All right, here we go on a Thursday. Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. It'll be a rainy day in Kansas City, but we're all going to be happy in the 1 o'clock hour when Jay Binkley stops by, joins the show. It's been a while since we had Bink. Well, Combine's in the rearview mirror, fresh off his birthday. It's all about the draft. We've reached the point in the year where Bink is texting and calling, asking what we think about this player. He's going to tell us all about the possibilities for the Chiefs in the 1 o'clock hour. He'll be here for the full one. He texted me about 20 minutes ago and said, "You guys still want me at 1?" I said, "Oh, absolutely, Bink. Absolutely."
He didn't text me at all.
Well, he can text one of us. It doesn't matter. He's coming in at 1 o'clock today. I'm looking forward to having Bink in studio. Character Concerns podcast well underway.
This will either increase the number of text messages you get from him about the draft or decrease it because you're like getting it out of his system, 2 hours to let those draft thoughts go. That's all.
Bink's going to be with us coming up in the 1 o'clock hour today. We also could have a player call in from Surprise, Arizona from spring training. We'll keep you posted on that as we like to check in with what's going on out there. And tonight, Vern's Hot Stove Show, 6 o'clock this evening. I believe he'll have Alec Marsh and Michael Garcia, if I'm not mistaken, on the show this evening. So that's coming up at 6 o'clock, Vern's Hot Stove Show. But I did want to start with something that kind of broke during our show yesterday, just the 7 teams that are reportedly interested in a trade for Chiefs corner L'Jarius Sneed. We know the situation. He's under the franchise tag now. $19.8 million is what he would make at minimum next year for any team, whether he stays with the Chiefs or whether he gets traded. But if you're trading for him, you're giving him an extension. So the 7 teams were, according to USA Today, the Vikings, the Colts, the Titans, the Patriots, the Lions, the Falcons, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so I was thinking about some of these teams and who actually not only makes sense on their end, like why he could be a good player and fit for them, but also if you're the Chiefs, what fits the best draft pick compensation and what's realistic. We know we're talking about a second-round pick or a combination of picks. First round's not happening, but what are you good with? And so that's why I think a couple teams make more sense than others. For example, I don't think the Patriots, while they're listed here, make as much sense. The problem with the Patriots is where their picks are at. They're almost too high in the second round. Like, I would love it if I'm the Chiefs, pick 34, I think it is, or 34, something like that in the draft. Well, duh. I mean, that'd be great to get for L'Jarius Sneed.
Sure.
Early second-round pick.
Doesn't seem realistic that you're going to get it. They're going to be a third-round pick?
You're right. So you're going to need a combination of picks later, and if I tell you that I'm getting a third-round pick while it's a high third, I don't know if that's the package that is going to make the most sense. Whereas on the flip side, Cody, the one that makes some sense is the Detroit Lions. Not only a team that continues to be on the rise, that is a piece or two away from getting over the hump, but if you look at what the Detroit Lions have draft pick compensation-wise in this upcoming draft, which happens to be in Detroit, so do you think the Lions are passing up pick 29? Do you think they're going to be forced to make a pick there? That's a whole other conversation. But round 2 for them.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if they could be as happy as Clark was. I don't know if the Lions owner could be as thrilled about that one.
They're definitely not walking out with a Lombardi trophy, so it's a little bit different celebration. No. But no, the Lions have round 2 pick 61, and then 2 round 3 picks, 73 and 92. So at 61 is obviously towards the back end of round 2, so that would have to. I mean, that would have to be included for the deal to work with the Lions. But they have it. Like, that makes sense. It's not a high second; it's a second, and then they have a couple third-round picks. They have a fifth-round pick as well. Could you get pick 61 plus a fifth-round pick for L'Jarius Sneed? And it's a team that might be a player or so away from improving that defense.
I think Mike Ginnetti, he was on the drive a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
The compensation is part of the issue here for what you can demand. He's already scheduled to make $20 million on the franchise tag. Now, look, that's around the amount of the estimate people think he might get on the open market anyway. But, I mean, the franchise tag makes it more complicated, and now you're pretty much guaranteeing that that's the dollar amount he's worth and all these years locked into it. And there are a number of really good competitive teams that have cap problems right now. So, when I'm starting to eliminate the teams that are in there, I might be down to 1 or 2 that make sense. Look, you want to keep as many teams in there as plausible. Those teams that are kicking around third-round picks for you, if you're the Patriots, entertain it. And why not? This is where you might need to get creative if you're Brett Veach, where you and I think about it as a straight second. But if it's the Chiefs, what it might have to be is a pick swap in the second, where you get up to that 34th pick where the Patriots stand.
They get your second.
But they get your second, where you didn't get the full value of you just got a clean and free, easy done second-round pick and you're good. And instead, you're going to have to do some sort of combination of, like you said, a third and a fifth, or a third and a fourth, or just moving up higher in the second round and manipulate your roster that way. I feel like it's going to have to be more complicated than just, very rarely does it work out, in my opinion, where it's like, you know what Snead's real value is? Probably like pick 50, Gold. Does the team who have pick 50 happen to also need your corner?
Right.
And have the cap space and willing to give him an extension? Typically, it just doesn't work that way. But, I mean, this many teams interested in him might take that franchise tag number from scaring him away.
And again, one of the other teams mentioned, the Minnesota Vikings. So they have in the second round, they have the 42nd overall pick. And then after that, though, they only have a couple fourths. They have a couple fifths, including one from Kansas City. And a sixth-round pick. So Minnesota's on this list. Maybe you're right. There's some pick swap, but if in that scenario, it has to be the 42nd overall pick because they don't even have a third-round pick. So you're not. All they have is a pair of fours. So it would, if you're trading with the Vikings and Snead ends up in Minnesota, you're either needing a player coming back. Yes, we know. Someone will text in Justin Jefferson.
I would aim lower.
Yeah, you're going to be very disappointed. Or just the second.
Yes, I am interested. Don't get me wrong there.
Second overall pick, second round pick, 42nd overall. Is there a team in the text line, too, that stands out of the seven I mentioned, Vikings, Colts, Titans, Patriots, Lions, Falcons, Jags, where between draft pick compensation, what they need, all of that you think makes the most sense?
Jags can have them. That feels right.
The Jags.
Look, I looked through the list earlier trying to get a sense of who the actual interested party is. The Jags are in the same position Cincinnati wasn't a year ago, Buffalo was a couple of years ago. The Jags have got to play a little desperate. It's a bad position to be in because very rarely does it actually pay off. Like, I'm being honest with you. Most of the time it doesn't pay off, but it's also just one of those, like, this is how you do business. If Doug Peterson doesn't start showing some winning soon, his ass is going to be out of a job. So's the GM. They've got this was supposed to be life-altering quarterback with the number 1 overall pick. They won their division last year and then immediately fell short of that expectation again. The Jags are bad on defense. I mean, really bad. They've got no secondary help. They continue to get torched by even the own teams in their division. And now C.J. Stroud and the Texans are coming. So, like, if I'm looking at where they sit in the draft, the compensation I think they might be willing to go up, and their level of desperation and cap space, Jags seem like a good fit for me.
A lot of people mentioning the Falcons on the text line. Jay Sathlantoser, his text line, 913-586-7610. And some of that is because their draft pick situation. So the tricky thing with them, though, yes, right now, they've got a second-round pick that's pick 43. Oh, that's kind of perfect. I mean, that's right. That's reasonable, it seems like. And
right
they've got
in the sweet spot.
They got a pair of third-round picks. They've got a fourth-round pick. The question, though, is if they trade for Justin Fields, is that second-round pick gone? And you know what I mean? And there's a chance it is. Now, if they sign Kirk Cousins, different story.
There might be more interest in L'Jarius Sneed than there is. Like right now, I would guess. Who gets better draft pick compensation? L'Jarius Sneed or Justin Fields?
Well, there's fewer teams that have a need for quarterbacks.
Sneed. The answer is Sneed.
Fewer teams need a quarterback, and we know a quarterback extension is going to cost a lot more than the 20. It's going to be way more than $20 million a year that L'Jarius is asking for. So yeah, the Falcons have cap space, they have draft picks,
but they need to sign
You got to find out what they do. Yeah, do they sign Cousins or do they trade for Justin Fields? So I hear you on the Falcons being the team. I just would wonder if that gets altered based off of what they decide to do with Justin Fields. And then there's a few people on the text line bringing up something that I know our friend of the show, Nate Taylor from The Athletic, has thrown out there, which is a Colts scenario. They're one of the teams listed, which is just Snead for Pittman, straight up. Remember,
I would do that in a millisecond.
Well, sure. If
that's a choice, I would do it instantaneously. If I'm this minute,
and that one's not as crazy as like the Justin Jefferson stuff. Like that one's a little more realistic.
Michael Pittman's there's a different quality of.
He's on a franchise tag, so he would be on a tag over $20 million. But if you're trading for him, you're signing him to an extension. So keep that in mind. If I'm the Colts, though, I'm not trading Michael Pittman Jr. I have a young quarterback.
But the one thing, again, this is where I told you yesterday for my All 32 that I think these big wide receiver trades are going to happen all the time. Michael Pittman is not Justin Jefferson in the sense that Michael Pittman is I would call him a replacement level wide receiver. I'm not trying to dismiss his career, but that's what he is. He's a 1,000-yard wide receiver-ish, like barely, right? Like he just barely gets to that number in a league that has 30 of them a year. There's a lot. He's a replacement level number, like maybe number 1. He's slightly above, but this is not like the trading for A.J. Brown or Tyreek Hill.
Do you think
or
he's a
Justin
top 20
Jefferson.
receiver, though?
No, I don't.
Where would you put him?
30, 35 range, maybe 40 range.
I think he's top 25. I think he's like top 25 or so in the league.
If he is, I don't know. I don't think I'd have him quite that high, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Like off the top of my head, the guys who would definitely be above him: A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp. Like, I mean, I can get through a lot of wide receivers.
Those are top 5, top 10 receivers. I don't disagree with that list.
Justin Jefferson. I'm trying to think about who I'm missing in this list. He's A.J. Brown, if I didn't mention him. Debo, Ayuk. I'd rather have all those guys than him. So, like, it's not that he's a bad wide receiver. It's just I'm probably getting into, like, the 30 range. I'm getting into the, like, aging Mike Evans, emerging, like, I don't know, like, whatever it is, like that like 30 range. That's probably that's why I call them replacement level.
Yeah, I just don't think the Colts are trading Michael Pittman Jr. I wouldn't do it if I was the Colts. I would love it on the Chiefs end, but I don't believe that makes a whole lot of sense. You have a team that overachieved last year while Gardner Minshew was the quarterback. That's who was throwing the ball to Michael Pittman Jr., and he did a great job getting him to the postseason. But Anthony Richardson, coming back from injury, still a little bit of an unknown, but you still feel pretty good about that. You want to make his life as easy as possible. You also can pay Michael Pittman Jr. while Anthony Richardson's not making any money by NFL standards. So
what's funny about that is that's the exact problem Denver has right now that people are talking about. Denver is hesitant to draft a quarterback because they'll burn 2 years of the gift that is rookie quarterback on a rookie deal because they'll be paying Russell Wilson's ass for the next 2 seasons.
Would you getting let's say you get the Patriots third and then you get a third from 2025 as well? Is that something that would you want to entertain that? Like, I know it's a third, you don't want it, but
I don't want picks. I don't want picks in 2025 because I could have just let Snead walk and got a comp pick in 2025.
Sure. But not 2 third rounders, you know?
Yeah,
like in that case, I'm getting compensation now and I'm getting compensation later. I'd probably entertain it.
And it's early enough of a third round pick that maybe I do
think the Patriots stink, so that helps.
Somebody from the text line too pointed this out. Instead of Snead, straight up for a second, would you do Snead and a third round pick for Drake London?
They're not trading Drake London. They're not trading Drake London. Not with what they're going to go. So they're going to trade for. So the Falcons are going to sign Kirk Cousins and then trade away his best receiver. I just don't think that makes any sense.
Malik Neighbors, 8, or
Yeah, if I'm the Falcons, I mean, with both these, not to like poo-poo the parade on either. I don't think the Colts are trading Michael Pittman. I don't think the Falcons are trading Drake London. If I'm the Chiefs, sign me up. Sign me up if I'm on the Chiefs end. But it takes the other. If I'm in Indianapolis right now, or if I'm in Atlanta right now, and I heard that exact scenario, I would be saying absolutely not. Absolutely not. You're going to go sign Kirk Cousins or trade for Fields, and then you're going to move on from a guy that's shown he can be a pretty legit wide receiver and Drake London. You
just want to put him with a real quarterback and see how good he can be? Because he's been, 800 or 900 yards each of his first 2 years, but he's been playing with, just absolute trash at quarterback. So you'd think there's some possibility. And then comes in the numbers. And over the last 2 days, and I'm assuming, because it usually comes in waves, over the next couple of days, welcome to the NFL cut party. Boy, no one bigger to the party yesterday than the Bills, huh? How about the Buffalo Bills? They shed, what, $40 million in salary yesterday, had to restructure Von Miller, let go of players you're used to seeing there. Poyer, Mitch Morse, Nyheim Hines, and others. And look, I don't think it's fully the just like, we got to clean house there, screwed department. But really what happened yesterday is the Bills have been handing out bad contract after bad contract. And eventually they had to get rid of them all at once. They were trying to hold on to them thinking they could win a Super Bowl. But they had to burn all their bad deals. That's what happened yesterday.
This stood out to me. One thing that Brett Veach, certainly compared to the prior regime here in Kansas City, we all know they had plenty of cap issues under John Dorsey. As great as an evaluator as he was, and he certainly is, he struggled with the cap. Got him into trouble. And one thing that Brett Veach has been great at is avoiding these horrific, devastating cap failures. It doesn't mean that everybody
has one.
Everybody,
two.
Yeah, you have to let good players go occasionally. That's the NFL. But this was, a mass number of players. Now, some of them...
I didn't mention Tre'Davious White.
I disagree, as fun as it is to say in Kansas City, wow, the Bills are completely rebuilding. No, they're not. I think that's a bit far-fetched with what's going on in Buffalo. They have cut multiple pieces, but if you go through even Tre'Davious White, big name, and it's fun here in Kansas City because that was a player they got when the Chiefs traded up to get Mahomes, and so the Bills have nothing left really from that trade. but Tre'Davious White has only played like 10 games the last 2 years. So them cutting Tre'Davious White to open up money isn't like, oh, they're having to rebuild because, Tre'Davious White barely has helped them the last 2 years anyway. Mitch Morse is a center. They drafted a center, I think, last year. And so some of these are, yes, because of bad cap decisions made by the Bills, 100%. This notion, though, that the Bills are building from scratch and they're in a rebuild mode, I think that's incorrect. But yes, they made bad decisions. They were saved a little bit yesterday by Von Miller agreeing to restructure his contract in a massive way. He was going to have, 18 or 19 million on the cap, and now because of how they're structuring it, it's going to be like 8 million, and then incentives can bump him up to $20 million. So he did them a massive favor because that contract is a disaster, or was a disaster.
All right, so multiple people now, both on Twitch and the text line, are telling us, you got to go check out what's going on Chris Jones's Twitter account. More cryptic tweets from Chris Jones.
Oh, gotta get to it now? Okay.
Take them for what they are. Well, it doesn't matter. It's a post that says it's just a photo of Andy Reid on top of Chris Jones. It just says KC with several periods, right? ... And then at the top, it shows that he's been on a phone call for an hour. What the hell's that supposed to mean?
I don't know. I don't know.
On the call with who?
His agent?
Or with Andy. I don't know.
He's been on the phone. No way Andy's doing hour-long phone calls, right?
With his players, I could see it.
I'm guessing he's talking to his agent. Maybe there's a conference call. Maybe Veach, the agent. Maybe everybody's on the call together.
Does it take an hour?
Maybe they're saying their goodbyes. I don't know. Cody, it could be a lot of things.
Saying their goodbyes for an hour?
It could be a lot of things. You asked.
I'll tell you right now, if I leave this show, I'm not talking on the phone for an hour. We're going to do this for 15 minutes. We're going to talk about it like adults. And then we're going to have to go our own ways. I'm just trying to read into it. Look, the Bills are a mess, but the Chiefs, Chris Jones is one of the best at cryptic tweet season. I'm constantly getting lured back into what he's having to offer in that department. So I don't know what you think that means, but it shows he's been on the phone for 1 hour. When's the last time you were on the phone for an hour with someone?
Or was on the phone for an hour, right? I mean, for all we know, that phone call...
it fired off a tweet in the middle of it, so I got to assume that maybe the call's over, right? When he took that photo?
As I'm saying, that call, Cody, could have taken place last night, could have been 5 minutes ago, could have been a week ago. I don't know. Doesn't have a date on there, does it? No.
We're just going to have to assume that this is... I'm going to report this like Mike Fleury would. Sources tell me that phone call, it was with Brett Veach. Chris Jones getting an extension. It's going to be announced the next 48 hours, so just prepare accordingly.
It could happen.
Could be.
It definitely could.
It could be a call with Brett Veach, and I'm hearing that that's something that both parties would be interested in, which means it could very well happen in the next 48 hours. I would also like 100% credit if this very vague report is true. So
thanks, Florio.
That's how you report these things, right? Somebody pointing out Michael Pittman Jr. was 13 in fantasy last year. That doesn't mean you're a top 13 quarterback.
I do think he's a top 25 wide receiver, though. I know you were listing off names. I think this is the joke we had about Keenan Allen a couple years ago on the show. I
can get to 25 before I get to Pittman.
We don't need to go. If you want to go through the exercise,
Keenan Allen would be harder because I probably list him before I got to Pittman.
I think you might be surprised, though, how many guys you couldn't name to get to 25 that are better than Michael Pittman. I think he is like 23 to 25. I'm not saying he's 15th, but I think he's top 25.
I don't think there's a big difference then between the two of us because I'm saying he's 30th. You're saying he's 25th.
Yeah.
That's a negligible difference. Yeah. I think if you were saying 15th and I was saying 30th, we'd probably have to look at it a little bit further because then, that'd be true. I'm just saying fantasy football doesn't dictate who the best, you can be a good fantasy performer. I don't think that necessarily means that you're the, the number 15 or 13 wide receiver. Because I was just trying to think about who the number one, I think Dak was the third best fantasy quarterback last year. I don't think he's the third best quarterback in the NFL. That's all.
Justin Fields was one of the best fantasy football quarterbacks.
Yeah.
In terms of the league. But
my argument was him saying top 25 had nothing to do with fantasy football.
Yeah,
right.
Just a general.
I just say I think he's top 25. The Chris Jones stuff is interesting. Yeah, I mean, we've been through this before, though, so it's hard to say.
Every time he tweets, I get less confident he's come back to the team because it always seems like it's about nothing.
You asked me the last 1 hour phone call I've been on. Yeah, I don't know. 1 hour phone call?
It's got to have been years.
Really?
Who are you talking to on the phone for an hour?
I probably talked to my parents a couple weeks ago for like an hour on the phone.
Not an hour straight. I mean, I've had like 30-minute phone calls or whatever within the last couple months or whatever, but not an hour.
Maybe this makes me
hour.
Maybe this makes me a bad son, but I talk to my dad on the phone once every couple of weeks. Text here or there.
Okay.
What are you doing, like 30-minute phone calls?
No, at 30 every night. I'm just saying you haven't. There'll be 3 weeks where you'll go without calling your dad.
Yes.
Really?
But both of your parents they're all here, right?
Wow.
Well, my dad and my stepmom are here. My mom's dead, but yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Cody said it's so blunt. That's one of those where I would like. That's one of those where I just say passed away because just flat out say it just sounds way more.
It's just too harsh.
I'm very sorry for bringing it up now.
You don't have to. Drew, it's been a decade. It's fine. You don't have to feel bad about it. It's okay.
When you said it, though, I will say.
If honest to God, this might be, at this point, borderline an on-running joke on this show that I make people uncomfortable with it. Because nobody ever knows what to say in response to that. Because occasionally someone on the text line will be like, your mom is this. And I'll be like, my mom is dead. They're like, oh my God, man. And they'll send me messages. They'll be like, I'm really sorry I said that. I didn't know. You're like, it's okay. I loved my mom. I'm sorry that she passed away. You don't have to apologize for not knowing that, Drew.
I do think it makes a difference, though, if they're physically there. Like, for instance, I call my parents.
Yeah, my dad lives in town.
Probably every other day. I talk to my mom at least every other day.
An hour phone call, though, it would be wild.
That's not often.
An hour phone call would be wild.
I'm just like, I'm trying to see if I could just like look through my phone and see like general length of call, but it doesn't look like it's offhand.
The fact that Chris Jones, the screenshot is the photo of him and like it's not him hoisting the Lombardi, it's not him smiling on the sideline or making a play. It's more of the, embracing and what they've gone through, which worries me a little bit. It seems a little more sentimental than Cody, the photo of him just making a great football play.
I think he legitimately was on the phone with Andy Reid for an hour. That's what I think. Just talking to his guy Andy, I think that's what it is.
For all we know, it's just like he's just remembering a cool moment from a month ago. Is it like, what's the 1 month anniversary of like when like he might just be like, what a great moment, KC. But why all the dots? ... That's a lot of dots. Not 3, it's like 6 dots.
Mm-hmm.
Does that add to your confusion over it? Could mean anything,
It definitely could mean anything. Yes, that's what's fun about the speculation around tweets. Everything's on the table.
But you've already heard my reporting, and I stand by it.
That it could happen.
That all thof those things could happen.
But if it doesn't, then it means it couldn't have happened.
No, I mean it definitely could have happened. It just didn't.
Yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, true.
What am I, a soothsayer?
Like the Chiefs could trade for Justin Jefferson. Like it is technically a possibility. But if it doesn't happen, it's just something that didn't happen this time around. But it could still happen in the future.
Well, what would they have to give up to get him?
A couple of firsts.
I mean, a couple of firsts and maybe a player. I mean, if the Vikings really wanted to play hardball. Anyways.
Somebody's now reading into like L'Jarius Sneed tweets. I can't even.
Well, Sneed sent out a tweet within the last 10 minutes. It said, still learning, still growing, still dreaming, still going with an eagle emoji. Bald eagles will be perfect.
I think that's more of like an America freedom.
The American dream versus.
I don't think that means he's
the
going
Eagles.
to the Eagles.
Let's just read through everybody's tweets today and see if we can figure out.
Mahomes is just in like Hawaii.
Yes.
I think his don't mean anything. He's just kicking it.
They woke up today, Sneed and Jones said, you know what? How about we toy around with everybody for a little bit? You send a thing of some of the Eagles, and I'll post a picture of me and Andy. Then I'm on the phone.
Someone says, I'm not doing this again with Chris Jones. Chris Jones is really bad about sending out cryptic tweets that mean nothing. Like, that don't actually indicate. It might be how he's feeling, but it might actually
indicate. That's why he does it. Let me just see what attention this garners today.
Yeah, Textline thinks that Sneed's just a big fan of poetry all of a sudden, Just start doing haikus and stuff on Twitter. That's his Twitter account.
That was his New Year's resolution to get into poetry.
That's right. It was that or sewing, so he chose poetry.
But none of that. That's not a haiku. It's not an iambic pentameter. It's one word and some dots.
I'm just reading the text. Anyway, we'll keep an eye on it. Interesting stuff from Chris Jones, that is for sure. All right, coming up next, though, a player we haven't talked a whole lot about, actually, signing an extension in Kansas City. It's not Chris Jones. It's not L'Jarius Sneed. It's somebody else. We'll tell you who.
Cody and Gold.
There is a back-to-back Super Bowl champion, and it is the Kansas City Chiefs.
On your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Wouldn't you like to save a couple minutes and not have to rush every single morning putting in your contacts? Doesn't have to be that way anymore. All you got to do is find out if you're a candidate for LASIK, vision correction procedure like I was over at Dury Vision. 913-491-3330 or online at duryvision.com. You could just wake up and start your workday refreshed, clear-sighted because of LASIK. It has been incredible to just wake up and see every single day now. I don't need contacts. I don't need glasses. It has been the best decision I've ever made. And I trusted the folks over at Dury Vision because they've been doing it since vision correction procedures were around. In fact, their staff has performed over 65,000 vision correction procedures. They're simply the best in Kansas City. I trusted them with my eyes. You should as well. You just got to schedule that free consultation. You can do that online at duryvision.com or give them a call at 913-491-3330 and even conduct that consultation over Zoom if you need to as well. Just call them up. Go online and tell them Gold from 610 sent you.
Outdoor America with Tommy Bench, Saturday mornings on 610 Sports Radio at 5 a.m. and the Odyssey app. This week, Tommy answers your questions. Outdoor America, presented by Wholesale Batteries. The right battery the first time.
Do you want to skip your car payment this month? I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. We're offering payment relief.
Buy a new car at Volkswagen Lease Summit and get no payments for up to 6 months.
Get payment relief today at Volkswagen Lease Summit. Visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
Some people just know there's a better way to do things, like bundling your home and auto insurance with Allstate, or hiring someone to move your piano instead of doing it yourself. So, do things the better way. Bundle home and auto and save up to 25% with Allstate.
Bundled savings vary by state and are not available in every state. Saving up to 25% is the countrywide average of the maximum available savings off the home policy. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This March, Wendy's has some amazing deals on their hamburgers made with fresh, never frozen beef.
Like a juicy Dave's single for $1 and a fresh $2 Dave's double with in-app offer.
It's such a good deal, we wrote a little ditty about it. Get it for $1. Dave's single, order in the app. Dave's single, get it for $1. Choose wisely, choose Wendy's official hamburger March Madness.
Limited time offer. Participating U.S. Wendy's. See offer details and redeem at Wendy's app. Account registration required. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S. and Alaska.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader. Like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
To thank you for 40 unforgettable years, Dell Technologies is celebrating with anniversary savings on their most popular tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 13 Plus, powered by Intel Core processors and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Planning for spring at Lowe's means big savings on outdoor power equipment, and Lowe's knows nothing feels better than free. Buy one select Ego string trimmer, leaf blower, or mower kit. Get one select 56-volt battery free. That's up to a $299 value. Power through spring with Ego, the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power. Because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 4/3 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over, and if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So, no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
Marcus, what happened?
I was changing my oil and I spilled some on the floor.
Oh, well, use these $50 bills to wipe it up.
Perfect. Got any more?
Yeah, take a couple hundred.
Stop. Instead of using money, use an old rag. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Back here, Cody and Gold. Just getting started on a Thursday. 913-586-7610. Jay Southland Tow Service text line. We'll keep an eye on the tweets from Chris Jones and others. And the similarities, once again, from July with the tweets and what it actually means and the optimism around everything. That's coming up throughout the show today. Thinking of players, though, that could get deals. We all have focused in on Jones and Snead, but what about someone else on this defense? Justin Reed, because I saw scrolling through Twitter the other day, not a tweet of his directly. At first, it was just someone else tagging him and said, "All right, Justin Reed, are we about to get this extension done, good sir?" And Reed responded and said, quote, "I would love to have that conversation. Those talks will happen whenever they happen, though."
Which means they haven't. Got it.
Correct. And if you were wondering what is the current situation for Justin Reed's contract in Kansas City, he will be entering his final year of the deal that he originally signed back in 2022. This year, he's slated to have a cap hit of $14.2 million. He's 27 years old. So that's where his current contract sits. Today in the NFL, it has been glaring that there's a shift going on with the safety position in the league. I don't think this is a one-off season thing. Not only just because Justin Simmons, who's a very talented safety, got cut by the Broncos today, but there are 10-plus notable names that have been released in the last 72 hours in the NFL that play the safety position. There's a couple that are just old and maybe a little washed. There's some that are cap casualties. But how the league is valuing the safety position has changed. So much so that unless he wants to sign a deal that he probably doesn't like, I don't think the Chiefs have to be worrying about an extension right now for Justin Reed.
Extension is completely off the table for me right now. Look, $103 million was thrown back into the market out of safety since free agency or since the end of the league year. That is $40 million than any other position in the league. The league straight up, all together, in one big voice, decided safeties don't matter anymore, and we're not going to pay them. I'll take it a step further. Based on the market that is available for safety and the cap casualty hit you would have to take by letting him go, it actually makes more financial sense. This is just a business decision. Nothing to do with Justin Reed. You should actually cut him and just sign it.
What?
You can save $11 million a year by letting Justin Reed go and replace him for half of that, 2/3 of that figure, especially in year one, where the cap number would be expected to be so much lower. This is a business thing. Justin Reed's been great. He's been a great player for this team. I'm not even arguing that. I'm telling you that there are 40 safeties on the market, 20 of which are good, 10 of which might be really good, like Justin Reed caliber, and you can get them all for a deal. Like, it's never going to be cheaper to afford a safety than it is literally right now. The value went so far down that you almost have to take it a step further because the value is greater in the free agency market than paying him $14 million.
Yeah, so I wouldn't cut him. I think that would be crazy. The extension shouldn't happen anymore based off of the market. I agree with you where the market is heading, and I think it's going to be kind of where the safety market is likely for years to come. But I don't think you just cut a guy that's still only 27 years old. If Justin Reed was 29 and he was entering his final year, and then you look at the free agent pool, I could understand the thought process a little bit more. I don't think with this defense, with what the season they're coming off of as well, and also likely trading someone else in the secondary and Snead, that you want to lose Snead and you want to lose Justin Reed when he's under contract for $14 million, which I don't think is crazy based off production for 1 year. You're saying they save $11 million a year. They have 1 year left on Reed's deal. They can next year walk away from Reed and not have any dead cap. And then if the market is what we think it's going to continue to be, then they will have no problem, based on what you're saying, to replace him a year from now. So Justin Simmons is a hell of a player. He's one of the guys that you're not going to get on a steal, though. I would disagree. Justin Reed, you're not. He's the guy that's still going to probably get what he should get.
Simmons, you mean? Yeah.
You
said Reed the second time.
Justin Simmons? Okay, yeah.
It's fine. I just wanted to make sure. You meant Simmons, right? He's not going to be a deal. Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that sentiment. But like someone's like, extend him for 2 years. The only way he's going to accept an extension is if he takes a bad deal. Like, and look, maybe a market level deal, but it's not going to look good on paper. It's just not. Like former safety, Chief safety Tyrann Mathieu is out here on Twitter complaining like, oh, league's booming for everybody, but one spot. The reality is, and you're not wrong that if you just waited a year, it'd be easy. I'm saying $14 million is overpaying. $14 million is paying more than it costs to have a safety of his caliber play. So if you're fine with overpaying a player for this year, fine. I'm saying from a business perspective,
Who's the one you want him to sign, I guess, is what I always ask on these. Like, it's easy to say, just go sign anybody. There are names out there, no doubt, but who's the one that signed where you think you're getting same play and the contract extension for them would be cheaper than the extension for Justin Reed? So you got to get
Again, I don't think he'd
deal.
get the extension. Like, I don't think Justin Reed would agree to the extension, but that's fine.
I mean, but somebody has to play safety. So if you're cutting Justin Reed in your hypothetical, they will have to bring somebody else in.
I'll be honest, I'm not overly picky at the position because it's the league has shifted in a way where that position has become less valuable. I'd be fine with Jordan Poyer for a year. He'd be less than $14 million. He'd be less than $11 million. Like if Jordan Poyer's got to play free safety for me for a season and I save $4 million on the cap,
I don't want a 32-year-old safety. I'm good.
It's his play hasn't dipped the way others have. I understand not wanting that. And Justin Reed's younger. That's fine.
I'm going to cut look, we obviously just disagree. It's fine. But like, I'm going to cut the 27-year-old that's been on my championship team the last 2 years that has 1 year left on his deal. Yeah, he's making 14 to go. Then sign a guy from a non-championship team that is 32 years old. I don't know when his birthday is. He might even be older by the time the season starts. He's 32 right now. I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe.
Justin Reed might be 28. It's fine.
He's 32.
Their current age is fine.
He's 32. It does matter, though, because he'll be 33 in a month. Sorry. He'll be 33 in a month.
Okay. Well, how old will Justin Reed be? Will he be 28 by the time the season starts or not?
You don't think there's a difference between 28 and 33?
No, I'm just saying if you're going to say what age they're going to be at the beginning of the year.
No, Justin Reed turned 27
I just want to know what their age
month.
is going to be by the time the season starts.
27.
If we're going to factor it in. There are a number of safeties I would choose. It is a devalued position. Not just from a financial devaluement, which the league is obviously telling you. The way the league has shifted in the way they play defense has taken that position to hold less value. Justin Reed is not as like the number of players that are more important than Justin Reed on the Chiefs defense last year is probably 5 or 6. I don't want to pay $14 million.
Okay, all right.
I don't want to pay $14 million to a player who's the 6th most important player on my defense, especially in the most buyer's market at safety ever. There are 20 decent safeties on the market. Like that's a lot. And I'm gonna overpay for the one. This has nothing to do with.
That's why I don't do an extension. But I've one more year playing it out. I'm fine. This is why I agree that they don't need to give an extension if that's where the market's going to be. But it's 1 year left on a deal for someone that's 27 years old that I know can play in this defense with Steve Spagnuolo.
Yeah, they haven't had any trouble getting a lot of safety. Like this is the other thing I'd say about safety. They've done seems like any safety who comes in this plays really well. Mike Edwards played really well. Tyrann Mathieu played well before. Justin Reed now. Shamari Connor. It doesn't seem that Brian Cook doesn't matter. Seemingly doesn't matter with the safety.
Well, they're not starting. All those guys you mentioned the last two. Cook and
Cook was starting in
and Connor, but not playing Justin Reed's position. Like there's
I'm just saying
sometimes
safety
we just
in
say safety but sometimes we just say safety in general and assume
only two
that
guys. It's just Matthew and Reed. And they both did great. It's a much smaller sample size. I was just trying to give you more numbers to back up safety.
I think it's discounting a little bit of the play of Justin Reed, but that's okay.
I don't know. Where did Justin Reed rank amongst Pro Football Focus safeties last year? I don't know that would be my end-all decision. I'm just curious.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay, well,
the market's interesting though at that position.
Market's
it's definitely changing. It's definitely changing, and we'll see ultimately what it ends up being long term. Maybe it impacts them wanting to do an extension, and that would be understandable. But that would be if we always talk in the offseason. I guess we haven't done it this year, but we always say, who could the surprise cut be? It sounds like that's your answer then.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Yeah, that would to me. I think that was
a
surprise
market dictating thing.
I think that would be a major surprise cut.
I just think it's a market dictating thing. I would separate, this sounds crazy because you're just he's a great player. I'm like, that's not even what I'm arguing. I'm not even arguing that he's done a really nice job for the Chiefs. I'm just arguing that the cost, this is always goes back to if I can get 90% of the player at 50% of the cost, I'd probably spread my money around somewhere else, Nothing Justin Reed's been a great player. I like him when he's here. He's been a nice contributor to back-to-back Super Bowls. All of those things are objectively true, and he does only have 1 year left on his deal. It just happens to be the must-flush safety market of all time. So, look, the Mike Edwards thing. We talked about that. I don't worry as much about the safeties who they don't have Like, not be like, what are they going to do to replace a guy who did a nice job filling Mike Edwards? I don't know. They got a choice of like 30 safeties.
Yeah, well, that's a different conversation. I'm not worried about Mike Edwards
like
walking
across
out the door.
the board just because it's so flush.
Yeah, not worried about that. But for those of you who are just wondering, just for the sake of all the numbers being out there, $3.5 million, I think, would be the dead cap hit. So if you're wondering, they would still have that on. They would save money, but they'd still be paying. So for saying how the position's not valuable, I don't want to be paying $3 million for a guy that's not on the field either. For a position
that
that's
amount
not valuable.
of dead cap just doesn't mean anything to me. If I save money, because like I'm either paying a safety
to play though.
No, I understand, but like if a safety costs me $7 million in the free agency market and I eat $3 million in dead cap, I'm paying $10 million for safety.
Right. So
I'm not paying $3 million.
So you save. Is it worth saving $4 million to sign a 33-year-old safety from Buffalo?
If both of them are only going to be here for a year, maybe yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Again, we'll ask Bink and have other people's opinions on this as well. Obviously, you and I just disagree on that. Like suddenly 33-year-old players aren't concerning, and that's surprising to me.
You always take it to like that's not what I said. I said he's a 1-year player for the Chiefs.
But we're
he's not
but
concerning.
also I think we oversimplify it. You're like, because the position's not valuable, it doesn't matter if he's 27 or 28 or he's 33. I mean, I feel like that is what you're saying.
Absolutely not what I'm saying.
Okay.
If I had the choice between a 27-year-old safety and a 33 straight up for the same cash, I'll take the 27. I'm talking about a difference between a 27 and 33-year-old player for one single season and millions of dollars in cap space. So
$40 million, yeah. $4 million.
That's not. Well, you just told me $3 million matters to you. Now 4 doesn't.
No,
so
I'm saying
you said $3 million in dead cap matters to you. I don't want to cut a guy, lose $3 million.
To not have a player play at that position.
But what's the difference between $4 million? So $4 million doesn't matter. It means nothing. But 3 does.
Because saving $4 million, Cody, to have a 33-year-old safety is not worth it. No, that's why it's different.
The dollar amount's the same.
But it's not. You're save $4 million, then play $33 million. If I'm going to if I'm going to cut Justin Reed and it's going to have $3 million on the books, then at least let me bring in a player that is going to be under the age of 33. That's where
fine.
we also
There's
disagree.
Other safeties who can.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be Poyer. I think you're hung up on that.
Well, that was the guy you mentioned.
There's 40 safeties available.
I'm just mentioning the guy. I'm just bringing up the guy you mentioned, man.
You brought up dead cap like $3 million is a lot of money to eat, but $4 million
is
not a lot to say. But someone will play. That guy won't, but someone will. It doesn't matter if that one guy doesn't play, if someone does.
Yeah, we also don't know what the contract, we're both still speculating here because we don't know what the contract is. For. We can talk about the market. You don't know what Jordan Poyer is. I don't either.
No, I'm just saying safety market is likely to be very depressed. You and I both know that. Safety is going to be low just because there's a bunch of them. That was, I think, the point of the initial part of the conversation.
All right, so Ryan Clark, thinking of former players and guys that played defense in the league a little bit, Ryan Clark had his podcast. He had Tyreek Hill on the show. We know the Chiefs thinking of cap situations. They made a decision that they weren't willing to go to a couple years ago when they traded Tyreek Hill. And Tyreek was talking more about the grudges that he had. We all know that the few comments he had the initial offseason when he went to Miami. And he right away was saying Tua's throwing the most accurate ball I've ever seen. And that got people all riled up. Since then, the Chiefs have won a couple of rings, and since then, that comment has looked more and more foolish. So here's what Tyreek had to say, though, about kind of the Dolphins and the grudges that exist. This was with Ryan Clark.
That's one thing that our quarterback, he gonna add, you know what I'm saying, to it, because with Pat, we all had a relationship with Pat. Like, we'll all hang out, we'll all, do stuff outside of football. And in Miami, we're still building that, you know what I'm saying? It hasn't got to that yet, but I'm telling you, this year it's gonna get to that, because we done had some battles in there, you know what I'm saying, already, but it ain't been a battle where it's like we can have a conversation, but then we can come back the next play and be like, hey, bro, I think you should do that, you know what I'm saying? It's been, nah, you, and then I'll talk to you later, you know what I'm saying, or the next week, and we don't need that. It need to be like, look, bro, we need to do this, yada, 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 you need to get open, I need to be better. And then we need to come back and then talk about it, not have grudges against each other, because we all trying to win.
That's the best
We
thing
all trying to win, man. You know what I'm saying? Being able to have them tough conversations, you know what I'm saying, is needed, I feel like, bro. Because that got us better when Pat did it. Yeah. It made me want to kick his ass, but it made me want to get better, man.
So the scenario he brings up, what they were able to do in Kansas City, and just because they were striving to be better, they recognized what some of the tough love was in Kansas City versus what they're maybe not doing in Miami. And that goes back, I think it's similar to what McCall Hardman was saying about the Jets, a week ago or whatever. I mean, I think it's easier, even EB stuff, like when in kind of his old school approach. I think you can do some of the things that we've heard McCall Hardman mention, what we just heard Tyreek Hill mention, what we've known kind of EB to be about, when you're around a winning culture and you know that quarterback, in this case he's talking about, has won, it's a lot tougher to be the guy that hasn't done anything in the league and try to be that guy and be more of the hard ass. This applies with the coaches. This applies with there is something about credibility in the league and getting guys to buy in.
Sure, the problem is right now the only quarterback with credibility in the league is Patrick Mahomes. Nobody else has won, right? I mean, other guys have had some success. They've gone deep in a playoff run or whatever, but nobody's won at the rate Mahomes has. We've already talked about the active quarterbacks with Super Bowls in their back pocket. It's dwindling by the second, and some of them are backups. Like Joe Flacco, right, who might just end up back with Baltimore sitting on a bench waiting to see if Deshaun Watson is healthy. The thing that really stood out about this, one, he finally starts conceding, right? He's obviously admitting what we all know. During this interview, he admits that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. He'll probably go down as the best ever, whatever. He's accepting some things that he was unwilling to admit just a year ago. But the other story he told about the wide receivers, including talking about this and like how those guys used to get in the faces, Mahomes is incredibly good at hiding the fact that he will get on their ass. So like last season when we were like, I kind of wouldn't mind seeing Mahomes absolutely lose it on a wide receiver on the sideline based on the way they're playing.
Yeah.
Listen to Tyreek Hill talk about one time when he called a meeting just to bitch about the play for his players.
I can't remember what year it was, but we was like on a bad streak. All like his supporting cast were playing bad. Me, Kelsey, all of D-Rob, Miko, Sammy, we always playing bad. This dude called the whole offense up. He called the whole offense up. This was like on a Tuesday, I believe. He called us all up. He cussed all of us the fuck out. Like,
I thought we
thought I got that one out. Didn't get that clip out. Well, there we go. Don't air that one.
Well,
that's fine. I thought I got all the bleeps, but apparently missed the first one. So I'll just delete that.
You care to summarize the rest of the clip?
Yeah, sure. Like if you're on the stream, kudos for you for enjoying that. Yeah, it's fine. So the rest of the clip, he said it was everybody. He went player by player. He's like, Tyreek, you're not. You think you're the fastest guy in the league? Well, you can't catch the damn ball. Travis, you're not doing this. Sammy, you're not doing that. He went player by player, and it was like, pick it up. This is not gonna work for the level of play. What's always surprising to me about you hear these stories about Mahomes, but only secondly, he never comes off that way. That's why the Bills thing, I think, threw him off when he lost it on the refs. He never comes off that way on the field. Normally on the field, it's petty. It seems like thoughtful, like Jordan, where he's remembering it and he's just doing it to pick on you. But he obviously has moments where he holds everyone accountable. I think that really stood out to me in this interview.
It's something that probably is trying not to you don't want to embarrass your teammates
publicly
in public, and we know that has happened in plenty of other organizations where a lot of times the wide receiver complaining that he's not getting the football. In this, it's the reverse in court. Doesn't mean there's not a slight disagreement. There was a few moments last year, whether it was I'm talking about after the game, the Bills game, where he went after the refs a little bit. But on the side, I think there was a little more tension on the sideline than we had seen before. But still,
the one clip where he said, "We just talked about it."
With Tony.
You could clearly see his mouth moving and saying those words.
Yeah, so I think it happened more. It was more visible this year, but a lot of it is in house, behind the scenes, and I'm sure there's an appreciation for that and a respect level you get. But I also think it's easier to do that when you're the established quarterback that's the best QB in the league and you've won multiple rings versus the second-year quarterback that hasn't won yet. I mean, if you're the second-year QB and you've got a veteran wide receiver, that's a much tougher spot to be in if you're the quarterback to try to get the wide receiver to, in this scenario, buy into you and understand you and you to be critical of the veteran player. Winning helps you in a lot of different ways.
It also just tells me that the Dolphins are not to be taken seriously. It's like, no, he's got all the weapons around him. He's just going to figure it. I'm like, gonna figure it out? That is the last sentence. And I've been around a lot of mediocre quarterback play in Kansas City. The last sentence I think you ever want to hear about a quarterback who's been in the league for 3-4 years is, no, it's getting ready to click. That's not how long it takes to click for quarterbacks. It's just not. Very rare. And if so, they're not starting the entire time. If they're starting that entire time, Gold, like Tua has, it's already clicked. Or it's not gonna, but it's already occurred. And so that's the thing they have to keep in mind with this. It was a really good interview. Ryan Clark's podcast has been churning out a ton of good content.
Ryan Clark's just great. I know we're critical sometimes of Orlovsky and other individuals on ESPN and stuff.
Clark's
Ryan
great.
Clark actually might be my favorite personality right now on all the national shows from a former player perspective. I just think not only is he extremely intelligent about the sport, I just think he articulates it in a great way. He's also not just full of BS hot takes. You know, you got a guy like Skip Bayless yesterday still arguing that Joe Burrow is better than Mahomes. I mean, just stupid stuff.
Just desperately trying to get a rating.
Stupid stuff. Well, his show is struggling. Yeah, but
we appreciate the support, Skip.
But I mean, do you even like that? Like,
but even you don't believe that.
No,
like,
he is an idiot for saying that.
Wouldn't
He's
that
stupid.
annoy? I mean, I would almost annoy me if I was the biggest Joe Burrow fan, but like that Burrow's not as good as Mahomes, just not. And you got some guy nationally that's arguing, which makes it seem like there are Cincinnati fans that are trying to make that point.
Like, I respect Bengals fans that are just like, Mahomes is better, but Burrow's okay. I wouldn't trade him because Burrow's our guy.
Yeah.
He's a Bengal. We wouldn't trade hands if we would. I think it's kind of silly, and you should, but I can respect.
I think that's what Drew said.
But that's fine. I can respect that side of it. That at least makes sense. Just being out like Joe Burrow's still the best quarterback in the NFL. One guy has 3 Super Bowl rings in the last 5 years. He's only been a starter for 6 seasons. That's crazy.
Yeah. Also, not to say that you don't want somebody saying something, but the fact that Skip Bayless is saying it. That's not who Bengals fans want saying that. Sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, because nobody's buying it. Nobody's believing
wants
it.
Skip Bayless to support their team.
Yeah, that wasn't even on Undisputed. That was like on his own separate podcast that he was doing.
Oh, really?
I don't even think it was on Undisputed. The clip that went viral yesterday was his separate. Everybody's got their separate podcast in addition to their national, because their national show platform wasn't enough. So now they got to have their own podcast.
It turns out this might be about money. I don't say for sure. But
it might be a few more dollars coming to his bank account because of that. We'll get back into the NFL in the next hour. Also, we're about 10 minutes away from one thing Vern told us yesterday about MJ Melendez that got us thinking about the potential. But don't forget, we've got March Madness right around the corner. Next week, we're going to be out at No Other Pub for the Big 12 tournament next Friday, as a matter of fact. We also are doing a little Cody and Gold bracket challenge. So if you want to join our bracket pool, just text in to 913-586-7610, and we'll have Drew shoot you a link. It's obviously free to join. We'll have a prize or two for the winner on that.
We don't have pricing figured out yet?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you know what? Let's start with, I still have an extra of the blanket pullover thing. I gave one away last week from Foco. I've got another one, so that's prize one.
I think we'll have some restaurant gift certificate or something included in there, but it's free to join. Just text the show if you want to join the Cody and Gold bracket challenge. Everybody fills out a bracket. You might as well. If you're using the platform that we're using for it, which you probably already have a bracket, all you got to do is just click one button or just submit your bracket in ours as well. I mean, it takes 2 seconds. You might as well do it.
It includes one 10-second Alex Gold hug. 10 seconds. That's a long
10
one.
seconds.
10 seconds.
Yes.
Mississippi's or just straight?
Just a regular 10-second
Just a regular 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But we'll get some prizing.
Someone says
we'll get some restaurant gift trade for you. There'll be pricing associated with winning it.
Yeah. So Drew will text over on the text line for you.
I'm going to have to find a way to shorten the link because it didn't let me send it.
Okay. Yeah, do Bit.ly or whatever it is, and you can shorten the link out. Someone says, last time you guys hosted the March Madness show, Gold got sick. What a coincidence.
Gold won't even be there.
I'm going to be in Vegas. So.
When he says we'll be at No Other Pub, he means we as the ethereal idea of a show.
Yeah, that's
the show is a concept. Will be at No Other Pub. It'll actually be me and Dusty Likens. Maybe Drew.
Yes, I will be in Vegas. Usually when we do stuff on the show, I like to say we're a team, it's a show, but I will not be there that day. Yes, I will be I'll be in
the
Las
collective
Vegas.
we. It's fine. That counts.
That's right. I think so.
But we, as in every person who is physically speaking, will actually be in the bracket. So you don't have to worry about that. I haven't signed up yet, but I will.
913-586. Yeah, 7610. I noticed you haven't. I did notice that today. I'm like, wait a second. There's going to be listeners that get in before you do. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We all got some time. We'll continue to remind you about it. Up next, one thing Vern told us about MJ Melendez, and is the college basketball season with 2 of our local teams going to be this way going forward? That's next.
Cody and Gold, weekdays starting at 10 on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
Urgent Camp Lejeune settlement message. On September 6th, the government announced it will soon begin providing fast, guaranteed settlements to Camp Lejeune Marines, families, and civilians. Awards will range between $100,000 and $550,000, with an option for higher amounts. If you or a loved one spent time at Camp Lejeune and suffered cancers of the bladder, liver, or kidneys, leukemia, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, Parkinson's, or kidney issues, you may qualify for compensation and could be paid within 60 days after accepting your settlement, with your VA benefits fully protected. You may be entitled entitled to a significant financial award for your Camp Lejeune claim, but you must act now. Call the James Harris Law Camp Lejeune helpline now to get the compensation you deserve. We're already fighting for thousands harmed by the water at Camp Lejeune. Call now or you may forever lose your right to be awarded a settlement between $100,000 and $550,000. For your free evaluation, call 800-217-1155. That's 800-217-1155. 800-217-1155.
Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. So you can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and so much more. All you have to do is visit FanDuel.com/610Bob and shoot your shot. That's FanDuel.com/610Bob. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA and of 610 Sports Radio. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
The needs of modern businesses are always changing, but corporate cards haven't evolved in decades. Until now. Meet Ramp, the all-in-one finance platform that combines corporate cards with spend management software. Ramp is the only card designed to actually help your business spend less, not more. With Ramp, you can set custom controls to stop out-of-policy spend before it even happens. And Ramp software even does expense reports for you. No more manual entries, no more chasing receipts. And with best-in-class accounting integrations, you'll close your books in days, not weeks. Ramp gives you better insights and a real-time view of all company spend, so you can stay focused on the big picture and build a healthier business. Join over 15,000 businesses who have switched to Ramp and start saving an average of 5%. Modern finance runs on Ramp. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. That's RAMP.com/sports.
You've heard it said, he's a diamond in the rough. Or maybe, diamonds are forever. Here's something else I've learned about diamonds. They're just pieces of coal put under pressure for a long, long, long time. So when I start feeling like I want to give up, I think about that little piece of coal. And if that piece of coal can make something of itself by not giving up, so can I. Persistence is in you. Pass it on. From PassItOn.com.
O'Reilly. You need parts? O'Reilly Auto Parts has parts. Need them fast? We've got fast. No matter what you need, we have thousands of professional parts people doing their part to make sure you have it. Product availability. Just one part that makes O'Reilly stand apart. The professional parts people.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-583-5795.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-583-5795. That's 800-583-5795.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Vern's Hot Stove, Thursday night starting at 6 o'clock. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City. WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Then I saw her face. Now I'm a believer.
11 o'clock hour here on Cody and Gold. We'll get to the trash of the day in about 20 minutes or so. Again, reminder, later on today, Jay Binkley going to join us in studio from the Character Concerns podcast. Him and Chris have been doing a great job already getting you set for the draft. And so we'll talk draft, we'll talk Snead, we'll talk Chris Jones. I guess we'll talk Justin Reed and safeties with Bink as well. We'll do that in the 1 o'clock hour.
Nobody ever wants to let go of popular players. I get it.
Yeah,
I
well,
got to be the bad guy.
I'm not going to open that back up.
Everybody wants to keep everybody. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Definitely the full story. So as I mentioned, though, Vern joined us yesterday, our Royals Insider, and tonight, Vern's Hot Stove Show. And we asked him the same question you and I went back and forth on about how many guys can really hit 20-plus home runs this year. And he listed the same first three that we did. So everybody was
the in-betweens.
But he said MJ Melendez, when you look at major league talent across the league and you look at the skill set that he has, like he's got everything to where he could actually lead the team in home runs. Now, that takes a lot of going right for MJ Melendez, but he's got the skill set to do that. And so at what point do you stop believing that he can also be one of those star players?
So my initial thought was, kind of want to be there just because I've watched him play. It hasn't all clicked. There's been some kind of back and forth. And, he's 24. That's not that old for a baseball player, but at what point? And then I remembered back to like conversations we were having middle of 2022, before the season in 2023, about Bobby Witt Jr. and how there were people that were more than ready at this station, more than ready to be like, well, Bobby Witt Jr. is never going to be a superstar, but, he could still be a really good player. And looking back at that thought process now is insane because Bobby Witt Jr. is a superstar. He's one of the 10 best players in all of baseball with a chance to be one of the 5 best players in all of baseball. And MJ Melendez is a 24-year-old with less than 300 games experience. So to be honest, I'm just not willing to write off that possibility yet. He's got 34 home runs in 277 games, but a huge chunk of his home runs clearly come when MJ is hot. So if MJ can, for the first time in his baseball career, and again, he has less than 300 career games, put together a full 150, 140, it's not as crazy as it initially sounded to me. Because my initial thought from Vern was like, are we kidding me? Bobby might hit 40. And you're telling me that MJ can lead this team in home runs? It's not as possible as it seems if you just believe that MJ is still an incredibly young, unexperienced player. He's 24 years old, inexperienced player.
Yeah, so he's hit 18 and 16 home runs in his first 2 years in the big leagues, and he did play 148 last year. So it wasn't like he was hurt last year. Or anything
I
like
meant
that.
from a play perspective, not like a complete like he plays because the first 80. I meant like play. So like the first 80 or 90 games last year, he's a bad player. We're talking about sending him down to the minors. The second half of the season,
he's a much different player in the second half. Yeah, I mean, if he plays like he did in the second half, then it's a possibility. I still think it's probably unlikely that he ever leads this team in home runs, and that's also not just to knock on him. It's that you have Bobby Witt Jr. on the team, you have Vinny Pasquantino on the
Salvi
team.
hit 48 once.
Salvi's probably not doing that again, but
he's
still,
23 the last 2 years.
He's probably more of in the 20s, a 26 home run guy, best case scenario at this point. It's interesting though, not because we're talking about Melendez and for him, and I know you're not saying he's going to be a superstar, but just. I always wonder with that conversation anyway, even with Bobby Witt Jr., is like, how many superstars do we think exist in the league to begin with? Because in the NFL, it's one thing, but in baseball, like, how many truly would we,
15 probably at any one
time. Is it that many? There's the obvious.
Judge, Acuna,
Mookie
Shohei,
Betts.
Mookie.
Okay, so there's like 5 or 6 obvious ones. We just named them. There's like 5 or 6 obvious. Then after that, Are there really, maybe there's 10. Like, are there 15 superstars in the league? That's what's tricky. You can be a great player, one of the best players in baseball. Does that automatically make you a superstar? You don't have, there's not 20, there's 30 teams. There are not 25 superstars in baseball.
Look, this goes to the argument I think Carrington was trying to have for a while with Trout. He's like, he's not a superstar. He's just a great player. And I'm like,
he's a superstar. Just
because, like, people outside of baseball circles don't know who they are. But, no, I think that's... I'll be honest, I think that's probably the number. In baseball, it's harder because people don't know who Nolan Arenado is unless you watch baseball, or Yordan Alvarez, or
that is a tricky
who
thing
I consider superstar level players, as in some and baseball, like, it's less in the NFL because, well, it's maybe more in the NFL because usually we separate them by position. We say superstar quarterbacks. Well, then it's like 4. And then we say superstar wide receivers. Well, then maybe it's 5. And then superstar corners, maybe it's 3. But by the time you add it all up, it is 20 or 25 players in the NFL that are superstars. It isn't that in baseball, too, because all the guys we just listed, except for Shohei, who does both, we haven't even started by listing a pitcher yet. We haven't mentioned Justin Verlander or other Cy Young Award winners or those things. And do we count in the media part of superstar as being a thing here? I'm just talking about players.
Yeah, I mean, I think unfortunately this speaks to the baseball problem in the sport. It's a regional sport. Football, you can be the face of the league and be in Kansas City. In baseball, you can't be the face of the league and be in Kansas City. I'm sorry, you just can't, right? So that
not unless you're going to every World Series.
That's
not likely in a small market.
Yeah, and so that's the challenge. That's what's great about the NFL and why it's grown so much is because whether you're in Indy, New York, Kansas City, or LA, you can be just as popular.
Shohei Dodgers, Juan Soto, the Yankees.
In baseball, so Bobby Wood Jr., from a skill set standpoint, he's one of the best players in baseball. I still will always wonder, if you're in New York or these other markets, if you were to ask the same question, do any of them consider him a superstar? My guess is no, and that's why I was wondering how many do we actually think? Great players. You named a bunch of them. Arenado's a great player. I don't know. The people in Kansas City think he's a superstar. I don't think so. I don't know.
Baseball's just got a problem with that.
That's a regional thing.
I think you could probably just limit it to the number you wanted. Who are the 15 best players in baseball? To me, you're a superstar if that's the case. Even if I don't even know your name. Even if most fans are who? Because then otherwise we're just talking about marketability versus playability. And to me, those things are
and it's
different.
I think a combination of that's where it's the whole
you can't be not marketable.
Superstar is the complete, the whole package to me. The superstar in baseball is the entire package. It's the unbelievable, one of the best players at his position in the league, does everything on the field, and is also a name because of the marketability, because of the personality and all. That, to me, is the superstar aspect.
This is the thing that baseball does differently than other sports, though, too, is superstar wear. There are a lot of non-English speaking players in the sport that are stars in their country, superstars worldwide. Nobody knows they are here because they're not marketable here because they can't communicate here. Or whatever. I was going back through MJ's numbers, by the way, because I was talking about what a different player he was in the first half versus the second half. Massive difference. In the July, August, September stretch of time, he had 20 dingers in his career. In the early part of his career, 12 in the first 3 months of April, May, and June. There's a massive swing difference between second half MJ Melendez. And look, you talked about it. He had a swing change at the end of or a grip change to his bat at the end of last year. I just think he's one of those, like most young baseball players, he hasn't put it all together yet. I don't think it's as crazy to think that he can still put it together. I just think it's foolish to rule that out for MJ right now. He's 24 years old.
Yeah, don't rule it out. The super, again, take it away from the
Not
superstar thing.
I'm talking about a good player.
Yeah, can he have his best season of his career this year? Absolutely. There's a decent chance that happens. The focus on the position and what he changed in the second half of the season. Spring training, players can look like they're going to have all-star type seasons in spring training. Players can look like they're going to have the worst year of their career in spring training. So there's always that balance of not overreacting to what they've done. But
Jake Brentz has got a 40 earned run average or something in spring training, and I don't want to oh no.
Well, at least with him, not to get too off on the topic on
Jake Brentz?
on the bullpen, but they actually, since they acquired some veterans, if they have to start Brentz in the minors, it's not a problem this year. They're not as hey, well, we got to put him in the bullpen because we don't have anybody else. They're not in that spot at least entering the season, so that helps.
No, a lot different than the setup yesterday. It was so funny when he said it. I was like, my initial thought was I don't know. And then the more I heard it, the more it's different. I like the people that are just listing off that. There's more than you think. Yeah, because Carroll and Harper. It might be 20. I don't know about Altuve. He's just is that a superstar? Or is that just a guy we know because he's been in baseball forever? I do think you still have to be putting up superstar numbers too. That's what you said. It's some weird combination of things that kind of go in there, but just so
it's definitely subjective to a certain point. There's maybe 3 or 4.
Baseball's way
There's
harder.
5 guys that I think are just nobody's going to argue about. We've named them. Betts and Ohtani and some of those players. And then after that, then it's kind of okay, a little bit of a
then
gray
it's just
area.
muddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're Adley Rutschman. You're he plays some
I wouldn't consider I wouldn't consider him a superstar. Great player.
I wouldn't either.
Great player, and actually is kind of more of a name. Also because of where he got drafted on top of it. There's just a combination of things that lead to name recognition and all that. We'll get to the trash of the day.
I don't think it's the superstar debate. It is messy.
Coming up in 10 minutes. We know, as we said, the Big 12 tournament coming up next week, and the show going to be out at No Other Pub during our show Friday. Friday, March 15th of the Big 12 tournament. Save an extra 12 cents per gallon at Phillips 66 for using the Fuel Forward app. Plus, get 5 cents off per gallon with the everyday savings offer. Restrictions to apply in the KC area only. And it should be a great Big 12 tournament. It's been a phenomenal season. It's loaded. Houston, of course, at the top of the conference. They're going to win the Big 12 this year. And we've tried to figure out, you and I have talked off air, what does this conference mean for the future? And what does it mean even for the immediate future of March Madness? Because there's one thought where you can say, man, this grueling Big 12, even more grueling than ever before, and all these teams are going to be ready to go come March. It's going to almost seem like they're getting easier matchups than they've had in 2 months. And there's some truth to that. But also, are you worried if you're Houston, if you're Kansas, if you're Baylor, whoever, was it so grueling that, man, you're just worn out, you're worn out at this point in time of the season? And is this what it's going to be like going forward? For the immediate future, yeah. I don't see anything changing the Big 12. Like, Houston's not going to, as long as Sampson's at Houston, I don't think Houston's fallen off the map anytime soon.
So this is like, I think people were trying to take this as like taking shots at Kansas. Oh, you got some real teams in there now. You got to really do them. Like, it's not like Houston has been a powerhouse for 30 years in college basketball. For the last 5 years, they've been a really good program because Sampson
done a great job.
Took them over and then immediately came a good program. Iowa State has their really good years and has their not really good years. Baylor won a national championship, has their really good years, has their down years. I think Kansas's fall to the middle of here, though, like middle-ish, top middle, right, does speak to this conference is going to be a lot harder every year. Kansas isn't going through another, and no team for that matter, is going through another run in this conference where they rack up 6 or 7 straight Big 12 titles. No, but like, I'm not even saying I'm having it of what they actually did because they ran the show here for a while. Look, it'll get, like Texas and Oklahoma were pretty mediocre in basketball this year, but they've had great teams before too. Like, it's really not that hard of a stretch to see why this is going to be the most difficult basketball conference every year. From the tournament perspective, I always tend to lean like, I don't know, man, with the way modern training and all that stuff is, are you really tired if you're a college student after 30 games just because every day you had to fight for your life? How can that not be beneficial to you? Sometimes you still get got. It's the NCAA tournament. But I feel like it has to be, objectively has to be good for them entering the tournament to have been more battle-tested than any conference that I can remember in a really, really, really long time.
Yeah, so it's better this year, but the Big 12 as a whole has been probably almost every year. There's maybe 1 or 2 off years, but for the last decade, I would argue it's probably been maybe the best basketball conference. It just went to another level.
Yeah, it just
this
stepped
year.
up
I mean,
because the teams they tacked in ended up being BYU's really good.
It's probably just if you have a star player, I guess I'll use Kevin McCullough for this example, but every team you could probably find one player in this that works, but that has been banged up a little bit anyway, and then you add in that you're not, playing Wednesday and Saturday, you're suddenly playing Thursday and Saturday, or Friday and Sunday in the tournament and all that. Who knows? I mean, that'll be something over time that maybe we'll find out. Look, I just think Houston, if we're talking about what team would you actually bet on to win the national title right now, that's probably my bet. They are one of the 4 favorites, so it's not like it's some way down the road. I think they're easily one of the 4 best, and I think defense, travels in the tournament. And they're not the best offensive team, but they are 100% the best defense in the country. They've been the best defense in the country all year. It doesn't mean they can't be beat. As you said, it's the tournament. It can be a crapshoot. But defense, man, that defense is not just going to not show up in the tournament.
The only fear about that, the way you're describing it is, you're right, the defense will show up. But over the last 10 years, the teams who seemingly get knocked out early in the tournament are the teams who are like, not the best offense. It's Purdue, dude. It's like Big Ten basketball nonsense in which that seemingly are the squads that always get
but they're not
upset
Virginia on offense either. You know what I mean?
saying?
Like they're Virginia's defense from a couple years ago, but they're not Virginia's offense where Virginia would love to win a game like 52-48. You know what I mean?
Like they're not that bad. I know, but like I'm just saying, there's been a recent track history of that. Plus, can they really get past UMKC? Currently projected to face them in the first round. Can they get past that one? Because, the Roos are the best team on defense in the Summit League as well. And I don't think you're factoring that into your decision-making.
I'm not. Again, have you decided? Are you going up to support your Roos?
I'm not going on Saturday. I might go Tuesday night.
And,
I might just make the drive and do it and get back at like 4 a.m.
That's if they make it to the title game.
Win.
They got to win the quarterfinal matchup against Denver on Saturday.
I put money on them, so they're going now.
And then they would play again Sunday in the semis, right? Or is it Monday in the semis? I don't know. Whatever. And then the title game would be on Tuesday. Someone also brought up, don't forget, too, in the Big 12 conversation. Like Arizona comes to the conference next year. So it's going to, you're going to lose Texas and Oklahoma, but it's going to get tougher when you add in Arizona.
I feel like in terms of in terms of teams who are more likely to get upset, I don't think Houston is that way because of the defense. Like they're the most likely to make it to the Elite Eight without having much of a problem. I think that over the last couple of years they've been a lock. Of course, they've not been in the Big 12, but just the way that they play stylistically, they're less likely to get upset because the defense is so good. It keeps them in a game, even if they are struggling offensively. They're still able to get by because of the defense, as opposed to another team that isn't quite as good defensively, but offensively they might be. If you're having an off day, then you're more likely to get upset. I think it's easier to say I'm picking them because they got a good defense to make it longer than, I don't know, you can throw whatever team in.
Yeah, that's who I'm most confident in entering the tournament, I guess. I mean, upsets happen. It doesn't mean anybody. There's no team that's like, they're guaranteed to just go to the Final Four.
Who would you say the favorites are then? Houston, Purdue,
so the two teams
UConn?
They're the odds-on favorite. I mean, literally, they're the odds-on favorites.
Yeah.
Teams that I'm most comfortable to bet on to get to a Final Four, at least to get to the Final Four, like Houston is at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Like to get to the Final Four for me. After that, I think it's UConn. I mean, Arizona, every team's had bad losses. I don't know. I watched them play Washington State, who's had a really good year, and that game just worried me a little bit when I saw that game against Arizona. And I probably can pick out a game for each one of these top. I mean, UConn lost to Creighton not too long ago. Houston lost to KU. It was at Allen Fieldhouse, but still, they lost to KU. I mean, so every team has not even a bad loss, but just a questionable loss, and like what the heck happened. But yeah, Houston's probably the team when we do our brackets. And again, you can join our Cody and Gold bracket challenge. We'll continue to send you the link if you want it, 913-586-7610. I'll probably, at minimum, have Houston in the Final Four, if not winning it all.
So you're already just telling us, just letting us know.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that's going to change. Like, if they look bad in the Big 12 tournament.
So you don't think that playing a tough Big 12 schedule is going to hurt Houston?
I don't. Yeah, I don't.
Just don't. I feel like even if they had a bad year, it's a false equivalency. I think you can get upset in the tournament no matter what. I do not think playing a difficult... I think it could only help you or do nothing. I don't think there's any way in which playing a difficult schedule that mattered for the entire regular season brings you down for some reason. You're just, I'm tired. They're 19, 20-year-old kids. It's like 30 basketball games. AAU schedules run triple that in the summer sometimes now.
I feel like that's a football conversation more just because of the injury, beaten and bruised up. Where in basketball, like you might be tired, which is... I think that's where... What you're talking about, Cody, is when the tournament comes into play. Because a lot of times you have 4 or 5 days in between games anyways, or if you're in the tournament, you're playing almost every other day. If you're a team that's, like KU, for example, might be a really actually good example to use. If they're a 4 seed and they have to beat a good 13, they have to play a 5, then they have to play a 1, then they might have to play a 2. Like, by the time they get to the Final Four, they'll have been through probably a 5 seed, a 1 seed, and maybe a 2 seed or a 3. Just to get to the Final Four, which is where I think at that point, though the wear and tear of the tournament would make sense for a team that your road is tougher in the tournament because you're playing every other day or every couple of days instead of having that 4 or 5 day break.
Trash of the day.
All right, you guys pick. I got 2.
Okay.
We can either do one involving bowling and balls. Or
wait, not bowling balls. That's not what you said.
Correct. I said it that way. I said it that way for a reason.
Okay, just checking.
Or we could do one involving a woolly mammoth.
Well, let's do the bowling one.
Okay.
I mean, are you sure we just did this high school toe-looking thing yesterday? Do we want to get into this? That's fine. We can do woolly mammoth tomorrow.
Okay, we'll do woolly mammoth tomorrow. Let's go to Pittsburgh, where there was bowling involved. Yes, a Pittsburgh bowling alley is, quote, letting it all hang out with a special bowling in the buff event next month that organizers promise will be a, quote, unforgettable night, hosted by the Pittsburgh area naturists, not nudists, naturists. The Balls Out bowling event is a regular gig at Crafton Ingram Lanes. The event has been at our facility twice a year for the last 3 years, the spokesman for the bowling alley said. They run this private event. They rent out our facility here.
I mean,
and the
as
actual
an employee,
headline,
you gotta work this thing?
Yes, they closed down the lane, so don't worry. There's no children around or anything. This is just that. It's the. I'll just read the exact title of the event. Balls Out Naked Bowling, Sunday, April 28, 2024, from 4 to 7 in Pittsburgh.
Look, we're always looking for things to do for the show. Have we considered a naked bowling night? Are you willing to be naked with the listeners? I'm not showing up. Drew was so quick.
Nor am I working that night either at the bowling alley. Sorry.
I know that, like,
I'm taking off.
Here's the problem with this, and this comes up in an episode of Seinfeld, and it's absolutely true. Something like people like you like being around. You know, you like when someone's naked in front of you. Sometimes it's nice, right? Even if it's the most attractive person on the planet to you in this circumstance, I don't need to see your body bowling. In that circumstance, that's just.
I mean, Sydney Sweeney bowling. That's fine with me. That's fine with me.
You don't care.
You and Carrington can go and do that.
You hold on.
What are you both thirsting over Sydney Sweeney?
Carrington says she is top. I don't know. He tweeted something the other day about her.
What is that, like a hot take? Sydney Sweeney is attractive? I think everybody's
a hot take.
No, so you said I can. Are you saying that? I don't know. Whoever you think is the hottest celebrity right now, Drew. I don't know what your answer is. You're saying that you wouldn't want to see that?
No.
Okay. I'm just.
No, I don't want to see them both. I'm okay.
I'll be honest though. They're not showing up
it's not
to
an activity I'm interested in seeing.
The problem is here, guys.
Naked.
Back to the story. Is in Pittsburgh. Sydney Sweeney's not walking in the door. Okay, this is just going to be a bunch of random, I presume, like majority dudes.
I have to legally be able to call in sick, don't I? Like, I mean, there's just no way they can legally make me work that day if I am just like the guy who helps reset the pins at the bowling alley. I need like quadruple time, septuple time, double time, time and a half. None of that's going to get it done.
Also, I don't like this. I feel like
I'm not showing up. I'm not even calling. Forget it.
I just feel like this, because of, bowling balls are heavy. We know that, right? Some of them can be heavier than others. This is not, I don't know, that's not the place I want to be nude anyway. Like, this feels like a bad accident waiting to happen. Yeah. This feels like a terrible accident. This could turn out
Somebody
bad.
swings the ball back, and you get in their backswing. You're not paying enough attention.
You're reaching down to grab the bowling ball out of the, whatever they call the little placeholder. I don't know, there's a name for that console of that holds the ball, whatever. Like, it's just... It's not good. It's not good.
I don't think you're putting anything other than your normal hands at risk near the ball return. Why is any part of your body more at risk? You're already not supposed to put your hand anywhere near there. Why are you risking other parts?
I mean, someone gets a strike, they get too excited. It's just not good.
Someone said, will the food court be open?
Yeah, you go up to order a hot dog? Come on, no.
You have to make your own hot dog. You come around here and you can grill it because nobody's going to be there working.
True. The way you said it. To make it no one's going to be working. The owner, I guess, he takes this buyout every single year. Do you think he charges them a premium? Like, let's say you and I try to rent out a bowling alley.
That would be discriminatory, I believe.
Is that discriminatory?
I don't know if you can charge.
I would just say there's like extra cleaning or something.
You can't. I don't think you can charge.
I got to wipe down those seats for a little extra time.
I hope they're wiping down the seats anyway. I don't think you can charge a certain group more than another group.
You still have to wear the shoes, right?
Yes, I would imagine so.
I would think you still have to wear the bowling shoes, right?
Yes, you're going to slip otherwise.
In a weird way, wearing shoes while naked makes you feel even more naked. It feels worse than just being like fully naked. It feels weirder.
Like bowling,
something feels
being
wrong.
Barefoot, yeah.
Yeah, something feels weird to be like, I'm naked literally everywhere, but I have shoes on. That's a weirder place to be than the other way around. But I guess you still have to wear the shoes, right? I mean, no choice.
But you might slip still. You need some. You need some grip.
Oh boy. I think.
Someone said, Drew, at least they're not wearing suits, right?
It's true. And hopefully, I don't know, somebody in a suit might have come up with this decision. The naturists.
So they've done a couple of years. It clearly is. It clearly is a successful event.
Why not on Twitch? It says that there's legal precedent to charge more for certain events. You're allowed as a business owner to charge more.
How many people actually? Does it say how many people have previously shown up?
It just says the event is open to bowlers of all skill levels. Obviously, you have to be over 18. It says the organizers do more than just hit the lanes and host a wide range of nude gatherings, including underwear nights, naked karaoke, and naked trivia nights. Naked karaoke. It's bad enough already.
You be naked for trivia.
Oh my goodness. You just sitting in a chair. Yeah.
What are the best songs for naked trivia? 913-586-7610.
Or for naked karaoke, you mean?
Yeah, sorry. Free Fallin'. I mean, there's some, because one letter change and you are just like good to go there. I mean, just one letter change and you're free.
Uh-huh.
So take those suggestions now.
Yeah. That's the track.
So you're not going to be attending?
No, I don't live in Pittsburgh.
If this exists in the Kansas City area, will someone let us know? Because we can make this a punishment for a bet on the show. You have to attend.
Oh my gosh, that would
have to be a big bet.
What do you? I mean, yes,
biggest bet on the show's
also,
history.
I feel like look, the demographic age-wise as well. Like, I don't know. You might be the youngest person that walks in there. It's going to be like going to a gym where people don't realize to put a damn towel on and they're 65 years old walking around. I don't want to be doing that. No, it's awful.
Seems uncomfortable.
Someone says, imagine if this happened when people were listening to the 610 airwaves, and we've established 610 airwaves, AM radio waves,
true.
what that can do. Listen harder, listen longer.
Someone says, baby, it's cold outside. Beat it. Good one. For Michael Jackson. Look, I'm assuming somebody just said my humps. You're like, is that 2 on the nose? I like when there's a little more play in that, you know?
Keep those texts coming in. Up next, Chiefs Red Half Hour. We'll get back into the potential teams that are interested in the L'Jarius Sneed trade and who's the best fit for both parties next.
Cody and Gold. Watch the show on YouTube by subscribing to the @610 Sports KC channel. 610 Sports Radio.
The Other Place now has 4 great Kansas City locations: Shawnee, Olathe, downtown Overland Park, and the brand new one in Mission. It has a one-of-a-kind game day experience with enough big screens that you'll never miss a minute of March basketball from the Big 12 to the NCAA. Did I mention dine-in only great daily food and beer specials? So make The Other Place your March basketball headquarters. The Other Place, Shawnee, Olathe, downtown Overland Park, your home for March basketball. TheOtherPlace.com. That's TheOtherPlace.com.
Looking to change your life? Well, you can do that over at Centric, where you can start working on AI programs. Maybe you missed their AI workshop that just took place a couple of weeks ago. Doesn't matter. Their program is always changing to make sure you're up to date on the most recent technology.
In just 4 months, you can find a completely new career path. And they only teach the skills that employers are actually looking for. That means you're ready to get to work in an IT role the day you complete the program. And as Cody said, the curriculum, they'll adjust that within that 4-month program. If there's something new that is coming about, you're not going to be in an outdated program. That's one of the benefits with a program at Centric versus a traditional school.
Look, it's really easy. Talk to our guy, Russ Mondry. He's like, hey, I like to hear from these people. Maybe, we want to find the fit for this new career, get them in the job, make the change. You can start that, then work through their accelerated tech program so you can get to that job as soon as possible. We always think like 4 months. But 4 months, the Royals could either be right in the middle of the Central Division or like falling short. And we're talking about Chiefs training camp. That's how quickly you could be in this new career at Centric.
Centric.com/610. Be one of the students that have graduated from their program and one of 1,500 different companies you can work with that have hired their grads as well. Centric.com/610.
Are you in need of top-quality metal for your next project? Look no further than Metal by the Foot. Whether you're a DIY enthusiast, contractor, or business owner, Metal by the Foot has the perfect solution for you. Steel, aluminum, brass, and stainless. The Foot. Blue Demon Welding Supplies, filler rods, and wire. The Foot. Cronius Professional Welding Equipment, service and repairs. The Foot. Located in KC and Topeka. Online at metalbythefoot.com. When you need a piece of metal, remember, metal doesn't have to cost an arm or a leg, just the Foot.
Gas, groceries, utilities, you name it, the price of everything is going up, and if you're stuck in a bad timeshare with rising maintenance fees, the financial burden can be crushing. It is time to get your finances in order and get the real facts about that timeshare that you are stuck in and your options to get rid of it. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has been helping families out of horrible timeshares for over 10 years and has put together a complete timeshare exit information kit that he will send you absolutely free. To date, over 30,000 families have trusted Wesley Financial Group to help them out of financial hardship by getting them out of bad timeshares. Get the facts about how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation. Simply call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit and see how you can become timeshare free. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. Once again, 800-462-3333.
Meet Cheryl. Hey. She's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's gotta be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates.
3 and 2 and...
But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
You've heard it said, he's a diamond in the rough. Or maybe, diamonds are forever. Here's something else I've learned about diamonds. They're just pieces of coal put under pressure for a long, long, long time. So when I start feeling like I want to give up, I think about that little piece of coal. And if that piece of coal can make something of itself by not giving up, so can I. Persistence is in you. From PassItOn.com.
At Lowe's, pros save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% when you buy 230 or more select James Hardie fiber cement siding panels. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
There are any number of reasons you might consider selling your home. That's where an agent who is a realtor comes in to navigate the process to sell your home in a way that's right for you. Because that's who we are. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs Kingdom. This is Mitch Holtis, and welcome into the Chiefs Red Half Hour on Cody and Gold. Every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
We'll get to the latest Chiefsaholic lawyer mixdown. If you guys tuned in last week, you know what we're talking about. We've been meaning to play a couple of these. We've got more. We promised them in the month of March, and so we've got a few more from the courthouse steps involving Chiefsaholic's attorney coming up during the Chiefs Red Half Hour. Those of you who are still texting in song suggestions based off of the story out of Pittsburgh where they're having a nudist bowling event at a bowling alley, and says that the same group does nude karaoke. So naturally, what are the nude karaoke songs you would be singing? And some of them are very, very good, like Great Balls of Fire or Hard to Handle from the Black Crowes.
Someone said Let It Go by, Unfrozen, or Whip It.
Yeah, someone texted in a song.
There are a few choices.
There's a song that I told you, I think, a couple years ago. I was actually at karaoke, and someone, this was normal karaoke, by the way.
Is it a Disney song? There's nothing against that.
No, it was the one by Clarence Carter from the 816, Strokin'. And it was the most obnoxious song that you can sing playing karaoke.
Is it too long? Because I don't think you should ever choose a song that's
Cody,
like
if you look up the lyrics, and
let's see.
Now look, it was after 10 o'clock at night. Somebody did have their kids with them, so that's their own fault. It's after 10 o'clock at a bar. But let's just say you would have been embarrassed to have your kids there. Because it's something on the lines of like stroking, and he's like, it's like stroking to the left, stroking to the right. Like, look up the lyrics.
It's east and west, but same vibe.
Mm-hmm. And it gets more graphic from there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not great. I'm not sure how many of these lyrics I can read based on the FCC rule that I cannot describe a sexual act.
Yes, it's
I'm
quite the
pretty
song.
sure that's exactly all this is, but yeah,
The whole song is that way.
Point taken.
Yeah. So it's a fantastic karaoke song. Yeah, if you just want to purposely be that guy, for sure.
What's your go? Oh, that's right. You never done karaoke.
I don't care. Yeah.
Drew, you ever done karaoke? I still think this show should have a karaoke night. Go just do one song.
Yeah, I've done karaoke before.
I'll do tequila.
I was forced to do it, but yeah, I did it.
That's fine. At least you participated.
I'll do tequila.
If we did Cody and Gold karaoke night, you wouldn't do one song?
Yeah, I'll do tequila.
I mean, one actual song?
Probably not. Probably not.
See, some of these, I like the ones that like have innuendo that necessarily aren't fully about the thing. I was trying to decide, like someone mentioned the song Sledgehammer, which is a well-known Peter Gabriel song that's been rumored to be about, body parts. Is that too on the nose? Are we, is that, do we need a little more, leeway there? That's all I'm asking. We can get back to those later. Those are fun.
There are, let's get back to the Chiefs for a little bit here. And we'll also get to Chris Jones' tweet today that we already mentioned once. But
hey, Chris Jones tweet.
Yes. But 7 teams, according to USA Today, are interested in a trade for Chiefs corner L'Jarius Sneed. We know he's on the franchise tag. And the 7 teams, according to this report, are the Vikings, the Colts, the Titans, the Patriots, the Lions, the Falcons, and the Jags. So it's not only what fits them, they go and get a stud corner, but what fits, of course, what the Chiefs want in return. And if you believe the initial reporting, it said the Chiefs are maybe seeking a second-round pick. First-round pick would just be unbelievable. I just don't think that's realistic. So what team actually has the capital to pull that off? And there's 2 that stand out. The Lions, most notably, just and the Falcons.
Theirs line up really well.
Yeah, I mean, so like the Detroit Lions, their current picks, they pick late in the first round. So, of course, late in the second round, they're picking 29th overall in the first round. I don't think they're giving up their first round pick, but 61 overall. So it's a late second. Are they willing to part with that? Because if not, they've got 2 third-round picks, 73 and 92. I'm not taking pick 73 and pick 162. That's not what I'm getting for Snead, in my opinion.
I might entertain that just because that's more than I would have gotten if I let him go. Like, if I let him go, it would have been worse than pick 73. It would have been worse than pick 92. It would have been after those rounds and certainly making those things tough. The reason why I think you should target 2 teams, Jacksonville and Detroit, are because I think the team most likely to pay you the most on the market for him is a team that needs to win now. And I know the Bills are probably higher on this list and those things, but of the teams that are like entertaining him as a player, right? Those are the teams that I think feel the most pressure to win now and still have some things going in their favor where they can take chances. Trevor Lawrence isn't too expensive yet. Jared Goff, I mean, how many more years can you count on high-level Jared Goff play? How long can that continue for? I think you have to take advantage of those teams that really feel that crunch to go up there and make a splash for their team now. To me, Jacksonville makes just as much sense as Detroit. And look, their picks are around that same range where you might have to take a third or a third in next year. Because like their second round pick is 48. Seems too high. Do you get 48 from the Jags but have to give them back your third or give them back your fourth? It's going to take a little bit of creativity in order to get that pick. I think you should be vying for a second. Anybody who gives you a flat second, take it.
Yeah,
if someone will give you a combo of picks that includes a third, I'd still entertain
The
it.
Patriots are mentioned as a team that has interest. I just don't know if they're. I mean, I would love this on the Chiefs end. Their second round pick is pick 34. So imagine you got pick 30.
They're
right?
never giving that up. They're
think
in
so.
the third round range.
Yeah, and so because that would be incredible. You'd have pick 32, and the Chiefs would have pick 34. I mean, my goodness. That would be an unbelievable spot to be in.
Then you can go up to the 20s if you wanted to get crazy. You don't have to,
yeah,
but if you wanted to.
So their third round pick is 68, and then they don't have any extras. They got a third, a fourth, a fifth, and a sixth. So could you get pick 68 and then their fifth round pick 135? Does that make it happen? Maybe so. The Falcons get mentioned a lot here, and they are the team mentioned as interested. The problem I have with them, and they actually have the perfect picks. It's like right in the middle of the second round. Is if they're trading for Justin Fields, well, are they giving up that second round pick?
That's why I think they get Cousins, then they're willing to give up the pick for the player they need.
Correct. And as you pointed out earlier in the show, it's not always a clear Snead for 2. Sometimes it's Snead for our second, we get your second, and we get your fifth. Or, it's pretty rare player for player trades. They just don't happen in the
second
NFL.
for second is not what I want unless I'm getting the Patriots pick.
Yeah, 34.
The only way I'm doing that is if I'm moving up 30 because it's essentially like, I'm willing to move up that number of spots because of how close it gets me near the first round. I would certainly be moving in that direction. But no, I mean, the only way you're getting anywhere close to that level of pick is if you give up a pretty good thing back in return, as in a pretty good pick. I don't know as we get close to the draft, I'm sure we'll talk draft strategy for the Chiefs. The other part about this pick that they have to decide is, when we're talking about Snead, is what you're willing to accept is, are you taking these picks because you want to load up on players and you're looking for a volume type draft? Because, and we can ask Binkley this at one, the most recent report I read on this draft is, if you want value in the later rounds, not going to happen. You're looking 5th, 6th, 7th. Look at the guys the Chiefs have gotten in those rounds lately. Trey Smith and Isaiah Pacheco and Jalen Watson. And that's not the draft for you. The value in this draft is in the first 3 rounds where it's loaded. And if you're thinking you want these extra picks to make sure you maximize the number of picks there or move up earlier in those second rounds, well, then you can look at those picks a little bit different. The fact that it's 61 doesn't change the math as much in the draft trade chart that we know these teams use as these other players. So I think Jacksonville, I think the Lions, I think those teams that hold some desperation, that's what makes sense to me.
Nate Taylor over The Athletic, he's hearing that there's 5 teams, not 7, but 5 teams. And one of the teams both reports agree with, the Colts are in the mix here. And Nate Taylor put out a hypothetical trade that involved Snead for Michael Pittman Jr. And I know that gets us all excited because I would absolutely do that trade. And I just don't think the Colts are going to do that. But that would be one that would, of course, I don't need a draft pick back. Give me Michael Pittman, who's on a franchise tag, and then I'll sign him to an extension. And that would be a phenomenal trade. I would do that in a heartbeat. I just don't know if you're the Colts, why. Yeah, you get a great corner, but you have a young rookie quarterback, or second-year quarterback, still on a rookie contract, who got hurt last year. But your team with Gardner Minshew got to the postseason. You overachieved, so maybe you're closer than you think. So why would you take away a star receiver from your second-year quarterback? That's where I don't know if that makes sense. I know Chris Ballard's in Indy, and there's a good relationship between the Chiefs, and I understand the tie-in. And I would love that on the Chiefs end. I just don't know if I was in Indy. And I know CDOT had someone on from Indy yesterday, and they said there's no chance that they're trading.
I know. Someone's making Snead for Kyle Pitts. I already made that argument like 2 weeks ago. I would do it straight up.
Last week, yeah.
No questions asked. I would make that trade. I don't know that the Falcons will, but I would. So quick.
We all think Snead, like, what's your percent? He's getting traded, right? Does anybody think, like, what's the percentage? I'm like 80% sure he's
70?
getting traded. Okay, so we're not far off. Yeah.
It depends on some of it on my confidence
Jones.
in Chris Jones, I'll be honest. Both sent out cryptic tweets today. So, L'Jarius Sneed's tweet. Let me pull up his exact thing so I don't misrepresent exactly what he sent out. And you can pull up Chris Jones with just a photo, so you can. Yeah. There's no misrepresenting what Chris Jones sent out. That one's easy enough. We'll get to that one in just a minute.
Colts lost the last week. They didn't get the playoffs. Anyway,
his tweet said, "Still learning, still growing, still dreaming, still going," and then a picture of a bald eagle. So then people are like, "Wait, are you going to the Eagles?" And then I was like, no, it's probably more about like USA and freedom. And then I thought, but that's also Philly. Are we double sure that he's not suggesting that he's going to the Eagles, at least on this end? The Chris Jones one, by the way, was the photo of Andy Reid, like shaking his shoulder pads on top of him with Chris Jones smiling. His tweet said, KC, with 6 dots after it, and included in the screenshot of that phone was pointing out that he had been on his phone for 1 hour. He was in the middle of a 1 hour phone call. Yes. So of the 2 cryptic tweets, what do you think they both mean? Attack them individually. First, Sneed's.
Yeah,
America, freedom, love football.
L'Jarius Sneed, I don't think it means anything at all. That's just he's chasing his dream, whatever that. I mean, maybe it's what we already know. He's chasing his dream. He's looking to get his big payday, but he's already guaranteed $19.8 million no matter what happens, whether he gets traded or not. He's making $19.8 at minimum. From that, if he gets traded, he gets traded. He will be signing, presumably a 3-year extension somewhere, maybe in Kansas City. I don't think so, but so that's where he's at. I don't read too much into the Sneed one. The Chris Jones one, we've been down this road a lot with him.
Is he messing with us?
I don't think he's messing with us, but this is just how he uses social media. I mean, last summer there were cryptic tweets, and this is kind of his game. What do I think it means? I'm guessing he was on our phone call with multiple parties. I don't think it was one. I think it was a merged call. I think it was a call.
Wow.
I think it was a call, Cody.
Between the Chiefs and his agent. And
I also think the fact that it was an hour, are they reminiscing a little bit? That scares me. The photo choice actually makes me more nervous.
I think he's messing with us.
I think the photo choice is makes me a little more nervous because if it was about if it was a photo of him on the field, if it was him hoisting Lombardi, this one is like him, a very sentimental moment with Andy Reid, like remembering the great moments we had together. That's how I don't like it.
I don't like it at all. But I also think he's messing with us. I think that 1 hour phone call is just as likely to have been he's trying to figure out a billing error with Verizon as it was with his agent. Chris Jones likes to send out cryptic tweets and mess with us. He does, man. He enjoys it. The Chris Jones offseasons have gone identically for 2 straight years. He sends out a tweet every 48 to 72 hours. We talk about it on the show because it could mean 9 things. And every report from every national reporter, last year too, is, well, they're really optimistic this deal's going to get done. But Chris Jones wants a lot of money. Will it get done? We'll see. Every report for 2 consecutive years sounds exactly the same. I could read you one from April of 2023, and you would not be able to distinguish it. And from August of 2023, and you will not be able to distinguish it from a report that was released on Chris Jones yesterday. Right? I mean, I don't think if I test it, I don't think you can tell the difference.
Right.
As long as it didn't include that he's a back-to-back Super Bowl champion, which he
still firmly believe. I don't believe they're going to let both Snead leave in a trade and Chris Jones leave in free agency. But that's the key. They have to do this in the next couple of days because we all know he will get more money on the free agent market than what the Chiefs are offering. And that is what we've been discussing for a while. If he wants to get the biggest payday, well, that's not in Kansas City. That is going to be a free agent, and he's so close to being one. If he wants a huge new extension, but for a little less money, then Kansas City is a viable option.
Update on the L'Jarius Sneed thing. I think he just likes eagles. Like the bird.
Yeah, he's used it in multiple tweets.
He literally retweeted a story about an eagle surviving in harsh conditions on February 1st before he played in the Super Bowl. I think he just likes the bird.
Well, he had a tweet on January 28th. Hell of a team we just played. Thankful for it. All ticket punched. LFG with the same eagle emoji. So, yeah, I don't think it means he's going to the Eagles.
L'Jarius Sneed, big Eagle fan. Who knew?
January 13th. On to the next. Peace sign emoji with 2 eagles. That's... He's
That's
done
his
this.
thing.
He's done this. December 31st, fly high like a bird. 2 eagle emojis. So that's just his thing.
What is his obsession? If we have L'Jarius Sneed on the show at any point, can we ask him about the Eagles?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if we're going to have him on the show during training camp because I don't know if he's going to be here. August 9th, relentless again. Eagle emoji.
What's going on? I didn't realize how much he tweeted about Eagles.
Just this season. I don't think he's done it before. It's just this season thing. This is something he did this year. Glad we had that full breakdown. Very important stuff.
Hey, it's important that I can't diagnose Chris Jones' cryptic tweets. They're all over the place. Mostly they just say, like, thank you, God. And then everyone's like, wait, are you signing? He's like, no, he just sends that tweet out a lot. That's all. He's just thankful to God. There's nothing. But he sends out a photo of him and Andy. I don't know.
As we said earlier, I mean, the hour phone call is not very common, but I don't know. You could have been on hold, as you said, with a utility company. He could have been on hold. He could have been just talking to his mom for an hour. Who knows?
Yeah, Drew said he talks to his parents for an hour occasionally. What would stop Chris Jones from having a conversation with an hour with his parents?
I think he was talking to Andy for an hour. Because why would he, in the same tweet, have the picture of him and Andy if he was on the phone with a
So your prediction is
cable company or a phone company?
That's the photo he has that comes up when he's on the phone with Andy?
Oh, no, not necessarily. I'm just saying the fact that he posted a picture with him and Andy, he's on the phone with Andy. He's been on the phone with Andy for an hour.
Yeah, but he could have.
Conversation.
You could be on the phone with somebody, then click on photos that you got saved, and then just hit screenshot it. It doesn't mean that you know what I mean. Like you could easily make it seem like whatever the hell you want it to seem.
Well,
like.
it obviously isn't like the profile photo he has for Andy, because otherwise it would show up with the time of the
correct,
call on there.
Correct.
It would look different.
Yeah, I mean, if I call you and I just go to photos on my phone, I can show at the top that I'm on the phone for 35 minutes, and I can have any screenshot of a photo I want.
Maybe they know a deal's getting close, and Andy's just trying to sweeten things up a little bit. Like, hey, you don't want to leave, really?
I'm telling you, the only part that is is a little weird. Is like that seems more like a sentimental type of photo than we're doing this again, holding up another Lombardi.
Like him if he had sent this exact same
sacking
photo,
somebody,
but it was him at the parade, where we know for a fact he had said, "I'm not leaving." Right? Then you feel different. So you're less confident today based on that one.
I mean, I don't know, less confident.
By at least 1%.
Sure, fine.
1%.
Okay.
Sometimes they have a screenshot of them being on the phone with you for an hour.
You've never been on the phone
true?
with me for an hour. There's just no chance. What are you, my lawyer? Who am I talking to for an hour?
You talk on the phone with a lawyer for
I'm
an
just
hour?
saying, if I had a real legal problem,
That's
I would.
expensive, by the way. You better get a that's an expensive rate.
Oh,
I'm sure Chiefsaholic had a few of those.
Yeah. Thinking of Chiefsaholic. We all know his attorney a couple weeks ago now was on the courthouse steps here in downtown KC-Mo, federal courthouse of his client. Chiefsaholic pled guilty to those 11 robberies, faces up to 50 years in prison, sentencing to come at a later date, not going to trial. Trial would have been scheduled for April. They avoid that, but who knows? And so it was an all-time lawyer moment, and we decided to amp it up. And so Drew has been putting different mix downs behind Matthew Perriman, the attorney. We haven't heard the NFL Films mix down yet.
No, we haven't.
I think that one's next up. You guys have requested it. Here it is.
From the beginning of this case, folks, the government has been blitzing.
This
and
has
Xavier's pocket was collapsing. But today, Xavier stepped into the pressure. He took responsibility for his actions. He stood up in court, humble and repentant, and admitted what he had done. Now, if I know anything about Xavier, and if the Chiefs Kingdom knows anything about Chiefsaholic, We know that he doesn't give up. We know that if he stumbled and he fell, he didn't let his knee touch the ground. And that's because he's capable of doing a great thing. And he knows that there's still hope. We still have a lot of work to do on his case, but Xavier wants everyone to know that he loves the Chiefs' kingdom, he loves Kansas City, and he hopes that you'll rally to his support.
That's pretty good. The beginning was really good.
That one's high on the list now. That one is, I don't know if it's past Chariots of Fire version of Chiefsaholics Lawyer, but it's close. It's moved towards the top of the list.
Have we played the Top Gun one?
We did, but it was one of the...
Did we play... What's the Victory one in here, Drew?
Victory is a song by Diddy with Notorious B.I.G.
Okay. Well, good week to be playing some Diddy. So
Diddy has been in the news a lot.
Interesting week to be playing some Diddy. Not good week, I guess. Interesting week to be playing some music from him. So we can do that one. We'll keep taking your suggestions. 913-586-7610. At the latest, this culminates with...
after the national championship with one shining moment.
One shining moment. But here's Victory by Diddy.
From the beginning of this case, folks, the government has been blitzing, and Xavier's pocket was collapsing. But today, Xavier stepped into the pressure. He took responsibility for his actions. He stood up in court, humble and repentant, and admitted what he had done. Now, if I know anything about Xavier, and if the Chiefs Kingdom knows anything about Chiefsaholic, we know that he doesn't give up. We know that if he stumbled and he fell, he didn't let his knee touch the ground. And that's because he's capable of doing a great thing. And he knows that there's still hope. We still have a lot of work to do on his case, but Xavier wants everyone to know that he loves the Chiefs' kingdom, he loves Kansas City, and he hopes that you'll rally to his support.
Adds a whole different vibe to it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like it feels, a whole different vibe to that. That's what I kind of like about it.
Do you think Chiefsaholics allowed to listen to that song while working out in the federal prison?
You think he
gym?
gets the weights? You think he's a bench guy?
Might as well if you're going to be behind bars for a while. You might as well get ripped.
Is that what your plan would be? Just to get ripped?
Might as well. Got nothing else to do. Yeah, I think you would have to, right?
I don't think everybody gets muscular.
No, but you might as well. You might as well do that.
I think people do push-ups or sit-ups or things to entertain themselves because they get bored. Yes. I guess I just read. Just read a lot.
You already do that.
Well, I don't read a lot. I'd read a lot more.
Cody, if you had to be in jail for 60 days, how many books do you get through in 60 days?
Oh, man. 100?
That's just crazy to think about.
I would guess that I could get through, look, I'm not, at my peak when I was reading, I could read better than a page a minute, right?
Well, at your peak.
Like at a time when I was reading a lot, I could read faster and contain it more. Right now, I don't read as much, so it's not there.
Okay.
My reading peak. It's like athletic peak.
Gotcha. Okay.
I don't know, more than a page a minute. So let's just say most books, 400 pages. You can get through that in, half a day, right? Like an 8-hour day. I would think I could get through 2 books a day or close to it. I think maybe 100 books in 60 days. Maybe less than that. I don't know. I don't know how often they let you change them out, but I can get through some for sure. Unless they're going to let me have the TV in there. And I know some do. So they give me the TV. Yeah. It's going to slow down a little bit. I'm just going to be watching Maury in the middle of the day trying to pass the time, getting through those 60 days.
A lot of prices, right?
Yeah. Any daytime TV they're letting me watch. A lot of History Channel, I'm sure. Whatever they let you put on, I don't know what the cable package is like.
People are asking you now, how can they make sure they extend their prime of reading?
Of reading? Got to practice, just like anything else.
Okay.
It's like LeBron. What do you think? You just can't go to the gym and keep putting up shots? If you stop doing it, you'll be worse.
How can there be a prime of reading? You can be 60 and still be in your prime of reading,
Yeah, but I just given up on my prime. I hit it, and now I'm just going to age out of it.
Like if prime
somebody could be a prime reader at 70, but that wasn't my window.
I didn't know if you meant like prime reading, that it means that you don't have to use glasses to help you read as well, so therefore you're in your prime of reading.
Maybe probably a little faster There probably is an age part of it, whether you want to admit it or not. There probably is.
Cody, you're going to retire and then you're going to retire from this, come back out of retirement from a reading prime. You're going to get back into, you're going to have your second prime.
I'm going to have a second run, like Mike Tyson in the ring, getting ready to fight Jake Paul.
We'll get to that.
That'd be me from the reading end once we got there.
Yeah, let's talk about that fight for a second. When we get to what's trending, and also a player that we haven't talked a whole lot about until today that could get an extension in Kansas City. That's next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every weekday starting at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Erectile dysfunction affects many men in America today, but it's not just the man who's affected, it's also often their partner. But successful treatment of ED can truly bring relationships back to life. This is Jeff, the CEO of Promenic Restorative Men's Health, and that's why I'm pleased to announce the opening of our second location of Heartland Men's Health right here in Independence, Missouri. As a Promenic affiliate, Heartland Men's Health is a part of a group that has successfully treated tens of thousands of men over the last decade with treatments that are shown in medical studies to be effective in well over 90% of men. And unlike wave therapy groups or online pill sellers, we offer a variety of treatments to help you get the results you want. You could even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So call Heartland Men's Health today. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes a medical consult, blood work, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600 or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. That's heartlandmenshealth.com.
Do you want to skip your car payment this month? How about for 6 months? I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. We're offering payment relief.
Buy a new car at Volkswagen Lease Summit and get no payments for up to 6 months. That's right, no payments for up to 6 months. Or we have low leases starting at $239 a month and rates as low as 0% for 60 months.
Get payment relief today at Volkswagen Lease Summit. Visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
Financing through VCI on approved credit. Call 816-841-7383 for details.
You give your all to your team. From the time you put into watching the game to the miles you travel to make it there. So to give back to Big 12 fans, you can now save 12 cents a gallon with the Fuel Forward app from March 7th through the 17th. Because you fuel the game, but we fuel you.
Phillips 66, title sponsor of the Phillips 66 Big 12 Basketball Championships. No minimum purchase required. Can be combined with other offers.
What if you could build a six-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement, creating six-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Brett Kitchen, best-selling author and star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. In this film, economists and Nobel Prize-winning PhDs share a strange concept called the retirement discount. It gives you more retirement income with the same dollars saved, and your money is never at risk if the market crashes. That's right, if the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you're over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money, call to get a free copy of the brand new movie, The Baby Boomer Dilemma, at 1-800-689-4545. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you'll get it completely free, and I'll even pay your shipping and handling, no credit card required. So don't delay, call right now, 1-800-689-4545, 1-800-689-4545. That's 1-800-689-4545.
Is switching your wireless service to Total by Verizon easy?
Totalmente.
And you get unlimited 5G data, $25 a line for 4 lines on the unlimited plan at an amazing price with no contracts. Should you switch to Total by Verizon? Definitely.
Totalmente.
Find a store or switch suavemente at totalbyverizon.com. Monthly rate when you activate with autopay plus taxes and fees. Discount begins the month after you enroll. Additional terms apply. See website for data management practices.
Old Man Winter here. One more snowstorm and...
Not a chance, Mr. Winter. It's spring.
It's also time for the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event, where you can get great deals on all our award-winning Hyundai models, all backed by America's best warranty. Hurry in. These deals won't last at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Now get 0% APR or up to $1,500 bonus cash on the Hyundai Tucson. Now, during the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Offers end soon. Call 562-314-4603 for details.
Some people just know there's a better way to do things, like bundling your home and auto insurance with Allstate, or hiring someone to move your piano instead of doing it yourself. So, do things the better way. Bundle home and auto and save up to 25% with Allstate.
Bundled savings vary by state and are not available in every state. Saving up to 25% is the countrywide average of the maximum available savings off the home policy. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
This March, Wendy's has some amazing deals on their hamburgers made with fresh, never frozen beef.
Like a juicy Dave's single for $1 and a fresh $2 Dave's double with in-app offer.
It's such a good deal, we wrote a little ditty about it. Get it for $1. Dave's single, order in the app. Dave's single, get it for $1. Choose wisely, choose Wendy's, official hamburger March Madness.
Limited time offer. Participating U.S. Wendy's. See offer details and redeem at Wendy's app. Account registration required. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S. and Alaska.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios.
Hey, it's Creed Humphrey, and you're listening to the official broadcast partner of the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app. What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number one on What's Trending, Cole Reagan's on the mound for the Royals today in spring training. 2 o'clock against the Rockies. That's over on 1660 the score. We also could have a Royals player maybe stopping by later on this hour and calling into the show. We'll keep you updated on that. We also are about an hour away from our guy Jay Binkley joining us in studio. It's been a while since we had Bink on the show. Combine in the rearview mirror, draft full steam ahead, free agency full steam ahead. And the Character Concerns podcast, you can check that out. Chris Unocero and Bink have been doing a great job. So looking forward to having Bink stop by.
Next up on What's Trending, it's official. I didn't even know it was in the works. But July 20th on Netflix, Jake Paul, YouTube star, will fight Mike Tyson. As in, 57-year-old Mike Tyson will get in a ring with Jake Paul, who's 28 years old, on July 20th, live on Netflix. We can talk more about this right after What's Trending. Is there a market for this? He's 58. Also, Jake Paul, what do you got to do, man? You got to beat up senior citizens in order to get a fight?
Yeah, he only fights older boxers. That's what I mean. He really only does that. It's weird. It's going to be at Dallas' stadium, which holds 80,000 plus or whatever. I
guess if you never got to see Mike Tyson fight,
it's July.
Now's your chance.
I'll be honest. There's a little bit of me that hears it. I'm like, this is dumb, but also watch the numbers be great. It's on Netflix too, which helps. It's not. I don't believe. I could be wrong.
It's not on pay-per-view on my cable.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work. If it's just, hey, you got a Netflix subscription, you're good. I think that's my understanding. That's how they just did the Nadal tennis match.
Yep, the match.
So I think it's the same setup. Anyway, you're right. We'll talk more about this in a second. Next one, What's Trending? The Broncos have cut All-Pro safety Justin Simmons. He's the latest of multiple veteran safeties to be cut by their teams. We're going to talk more about this when we get into
$103 million worth of safety contracts cut already this season.
30 years old, but still was playing at a very high level. And he's a fan favorite there in Denver, but after 8 seasons, they have moved on from him. Remember, they're paying Russell Wilson still a lot of money. Makes it a little difficult to retain certain pieces.
Just like the Buffalo Bills, when you're that far over the cap, assuming the Broncos cuts are not done, Tim Patrick and other guys will probably be gone off their roster too. The question is whether they're good players. Justin Simmons is a really good player. That's better than any player the Bills let go yesterday, that's for sure. Next up on What's Trending, the U.S. women's national team advances to the Gold Cup final in PKs last night. They're getting ready to face Brazil on Sunday for the Gold Cup championship. The big heat on that game was they're playing that game on a slip and slide. Like, dead serious, that field looked like a slip and slide. The ball wouldn't travel more than 4 feet on the ground because of the standing water and stuff. I'm still not sure how that match was even played yesterday. Did you see the highlights from it?
I didn't, honestly. No, I didn't. I'm not aware of where was it at?
I don't remember the field now.
Okay. I didn't see it.
I'm going to show you, at least, so you can get a sense of, what I'm talking about. You got to at least see, what the field was looking like. That's what it's like. They're playing a...
It didn't flip over, sorry, I guess.
They're playing a semifinal in this.
Oh, that's really muddy, or at least damp.
Some national teams.
Yeah, poor drainage on the field there.
Say so.
Next up on What's Trending, Minnesota Timberwolves All-Star Karl Anthony Towns diagnosed with a torn meniscus left knee. He's out indefinitely, according to The Athletic. The Timberwolves, kind of I don't even call them a full-on dark horse team for the playoffs, but certainly a team that's kind of intriguing come playoff time, and that is a massive, massive blow to their chances. As before we know it, we know the NBA playoffs take forever, so the playoffs will be here before.
They probably have already started.
Not quite. We're getting close.
It'll be over
it'll be
November.
Right after March Madness, basically, yeah.
They start way too soon. NBA playoffs are ridiculous.
It's long. The finals will be what, June 30th?
This is why I laugh at the people who be like, I can't believe they'd extend the NCAA tournament. I was like, if you're paying attention to literally any other professional sports league, which is what the NCAA is, they all have too many teams in the playoffs. You think I want to watch the 7-9 Saints in the playoffs every year? No. Or 7-10 now. Sorry, I can't even get the number of games right anymore. Next up on What's Trending, don't forget our Cody and Gold Bracket Challenge. We're going to send you a link. You send it 913-586-7610. Drew will send you a link over so you can get signed up. We're working on prizing, but there will be prizing attached other than the things we can just pull out of the office. So a Taylor Swift shirt and a pullover Sherpa hoodie thing, because I had 2 of those. And we'll probably get some restaurant trade for you. It'll be several $100s worth of trade to a restaurant. That's what you can assume.
It's a free
Plus,
bracket contest.
Bragging rights against us. You know what? As a matter of fact, I'll toss in one more prize on the spot. The winner of the Cody and Gold bracket pool is invited to Club 610.
There you go.
Official invite.
Yep.
You guys cool with that?
That's what we're doing. 913-586-7610. You can text in, and we'll get the link sent out to you. We'll remind you quite a bit heading into March Madness as well. Someone says they want Specs' keyboard from his office. They want us to steal his keyboard, and the winner gets that.
Okay. Sure.
He probably wants a new keyboard anyway.
Yeah. Honestly, we're probably doing him a favor.
Yeah. It's easy enough. As far as the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight, so it is July 20th. It's in Dallas, AT&T Stadium, and it is on Netflix. And Jake Paul does only fight boxers that are much older than him. That's been his thing. He's a great marketer, though. He's made millions and millions and millions of dollars. And I'll be honest, because it's July 20th, unless you're out of town, what else is going on? I believe the MLB All-Star break would have just wrapped up, maybe. It might be the first weekend post-All-Star break, something like that. What else is going on? Training camp wouldn't have started yet. No college football yet. Like, I'm probably going to watch. I'll be honest. And I bet you the numbers are better than we all think they're going to be. As much as us, like, I know the quick reaction is like, oh, this is stupid. I bet you the ratings are better than we think.
First off, our guy Nick Price over at Jefferson's has offered in free wings for a year at their Lenexa location as another prize for our bracket challenge. So we're slowly loading up. Second off, here's the thing I have. If I wanted like a WWE style fight, I had nothing against professional wrestling. I got friends who are really into it. I've sat over there for those big matches. It's fun to write to like, and I know it's scripted. Sometimes they change the script in the middle, but it's all fun. But that's the setup. The heel, the turn, the acting. They always pitch these things like Jake Paul's really fighting someone who's trying to knock him out. If I knew for a fact Mike Tyson was trying to knock his ass out, and if he just landed one correct hook on the chin, he would go down, I'm in. If I thought for sure they hadn't already decided that Jake Paul was winning this match, I'm in. Because some part of me still thinks, even though Jake Paul's a good fighter, that a 57-year-old Mike Tyson could hit a punch and win this fight.
Yeah, but there's probably some sort of agreement.
He was the former heavyweight champion of the entire world.
I'm probably still going to watch. But yes, that has happened a lot in these exhibition fights. I also think boxing in general, there's always a lot of controversy around is there something set up with it to begin with. But then when you get to these exhibition fights, even more so. But if it's on Netflix, which it will be, got the Netflix subscription, I'll probably flip it on, man, on a random Saturday in July when we're sports starved.
It's pretty low stakes. The fact that it's on Netflix makes it more likely that I'll do it. But I wanted to make sure that, like, I just want to know that he's actually trying to fight, you know? I watched a video, I think it was like 2 years old. It's like probably when he was like 55, not 57 like he is now. And they showed Mike Tyson in a ring against like a spar. He can still move, okay? Like, he was still flying through some punches.
What was the last? Didn't Tyson fight in some celebrity type thing recently?
Yeah, with Holyfield.
And it was a joke, wasn't it? I mean, so that's the only thing. Like, Tyson, to me, is just collecting a check like everybody else here. But there is some intrigue to it because of his age. And there's a lot of people that always would love to see Jake Paul probably get knocked out.
Well, I think if you're going to continue with this, like, I'm a professional boxer, this is a boxing career, the way to, like, pay off the bit, if this is a bit, is that 58-year-old Mike Tyson knocks your ass out.
But if you're Paul, then that ends your, like, the issue. The reason why
doesn't boxers and fighters lose fights?
Yeah, but the whole thing with Jake, he's not going for the title. You know what I mean? His thing is just these he's not, you know what I mean? Like, he's not
so
fighting.
He's got to be undefeated for this bit to work?
Well, for him,
I mean, if you're getting knocked out by one person, it might as well be Mike Tyson.
Sure, but I mean, you would agree that some of it, people have said, well, start fighting bigger names. Even though they're retired boxers, he's fighting bigger names, and people are still buying tickets to these events. That's why he is still making money on all these fights. But if early on, if he would have lost, and if he were to lose, like anything, lose 4 in a row, they wouldn't be able to do this fight even.
No, but he doesn't have to lose the next one. I want a clean fight. I'm not saying he can't even beat, like, a 30-year age gap probably has to matter a little in a boxing match, even if you were never as talented as boxer as Mike Tyson ever was. But it's a 30-year age gap, okay? I assume like a pretty good professional boxer who fights real matches against other people who aren't the elderly, could probably take Mike Tyson in a fight now because conditioning and all this stuff. And like, I understand there's all these things.
Look, I will not be betting on this fight. I can because what we just discussed, where there's clearly going to be some sort of rule or something we don't even have full access and knowledge of.
It's going to be shorter rounds. It's going to be thicker gloves. All the things that make it less likely to get knocked out.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. Someone says it's elder abuse. Look, Mike Tyson's 56. He's agreeing to it. He wants the check. That's his decision to make. Okay?
Also, I don't think that he could be 99 against me, and I still think that the person who's getting abused here is me. I'll just be honest with you. There's just no chance. What would it take for you? How much money for you to step in the ring against Tyson?
Oh, dude.
3-minute rounds, 3 rounds?
3-minute Cody, by the way, actually, it doesn't matter how long the round is because you won't make it past. If he wasn't forced to hold back and he actually was boxing you,
it lasts 10 seconds.
Yeah, it could be 50 rounds. It doesn't matter. It could be 1 round. It doesn't matter. You're
really,
screwed.
I'm asking you, like, how much would you take to take 1 punch from Tyson at 58?
We've talked about that.
Not prime Tyson, just now Tyson.
You have to take it.
Yeah, you got to take it.
Yeah, you have to
right in the stomach.
You have to agree that whatever.
Does that change it?
Somehow you would have to. You can't promise it technically, but that you would not have some debilitating, mental capacity after the event. I don't
think I can agree to any amount of money if it was like he punches me in the head and I don't have headgear on.
Like a right hook
to the jaw. Then it's lights
jaw?
out and it's over.
If you punch me in the stomach, you might get some broken ribs. But if I
for $10 million, you can probably break my ribs.
Yeah,
I'll risk that. Are you kidding?
But that's the extent. And you're not hitting me in the head. I'm not having brain injuries over $10 million. You want to break my ribs for $10 million? I can handle the pain for that $10 million. But that's about it.
Someone said he fought Tyson Fury. That's a legit boxer. How old was Tyson Fury at that time?
I'm not sure.
Tyson's brother. I think they corrected themselves afterwards.
Yeah, not
because Fury would have
not the good one, not the big.
Yeah,
one of the best in the world.
Not like fought in a heavyweight championship for a world title. He fought Tommy Fury, knockoff. He thought the Aldi brand Fury. That doesn't count.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got Best Choice Fury. That doesn't. And again, I'm sure that guy's a professional boxer or something, but he's not a heavyweight champion.
I'll probably gonna like if you're in town. Are you, and you've got Netflix, we'll talk about more as it gets much, much closer. My guess is you'll flip it on a little bit, Drew. My guess is you'll end up watching this thing.
I think I would take.
Yeah, I think I will as well.
Text line's got it. Cashed Out Gaming on Twitch. He just says, I take $1 million, but if that included, and you gave me the hospital bills. If you just covered my medical treatment, I'd take $1 million and he could punch me right in the gut. I could just take one Mike Tyson punch to the gut. $1 million, whatever he breaks or moves around in there and never goes back in the same spot. That's a part of the
if you get you in the right spot, you could have some major liver and there could be some major problem. Internal bleeding.
Fury. This is why
he lost to Tom Fury. There you go.
That's what they said. Ooh. If he lost to Tom Fury, I know Tyson's 58, but
if they let him
I don't
fight
think
for real,
Tyson doesn't care. He just wants the check. You don't sign up for these exhibitions unless you are clearly doing it for the money. Like before, when they were professionals, you could argue they're doing it for the money and because they want to be the best and champions. And I'm like, this is just a money grab. And here we are, we're talking about like this is what they want. I don't know if are they gonna sell out 80,000 seat Jerry World though? Or are there 80? It's one thing to watch. Are 80,000 people paying money to go watch it in person?
I don't know. I don't know if they can sell 80,000 tickets to that, but I guess kudos to them if they figure out a way. People are talking about. Well, I've seen some of Tyson's training video fights. He looks like.
No, it's impressive. Yeah, it's extremely impressive.
Like a dangerous man.
I think he's in it for the money, but as soon as he steps in the ring and he's gonna get that fire in his eyes again. Here's the here's the bell. It's all over.
Yeah, but if they already, but that's I hope that's how it goes. My guess is they have some sort of agreement ahead of time.
Do you think Tyson's going to agree to, or do you think he's going to fall? If he gets in there and say Jake Paul throws a good punch at him, do you think he's going to? Well, I can't go after him because we have the agreement.
I think that's what it, because I'm not disagreeing with the text line. Like, yeah, if Mike Tyson could go 100% full go, I do think he beat the crap out of Jake Paul. But the issue is, I don't think that's how it would go. There's the balance of the age gap of like how much that, as fast as Mike Tyson looks, even if Jake Paul is not as good in their heyday, is the age gap enough though where there's Jake Paul so much quicker that he's able to actually beat up Mike Tyson. I don't know. This is the intrigue of the match for me. If they're actually letting both boxers truly box.
I'd say going into a fight, not knowing if they're actually gonna fight, you know? Like, well, I sure hope they fight today.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's no way of actually knowing that. That's all.
July 20th, right?
July 20th.
In Dallas.
I mean, that's a good time for just like, nonsense, nonsense availability stuff. So I don't know why you wouldn't just give it a shot. That's all. Sounds like most people will at least check it out. That's all.
Coming up in about 20 minutes, we'll get to the random question of the day. We know a lot of the story in the NFL relating to the Chiefs is about Snead and Jones, and we already went through the cryptic tweets from Chris Jones today. Another player we haven't talked a whole lot about, maybe for an extension, is safety Justin Reed. It got more interesting today just based off of what is happening in the free agent market with safeties. Justin Simmons getting cut. He's one of 10, 15-plus safeties that have been cut here recently. A couple big names, some that are maybe past their prime, to say the least. But the reason why we mentioned Justin Reed is there was a tweet, some fan just tagged Justin Reed in and says, hey, are we about to get this extension done, good sir? That was yesterday, so keep that in mind. The response very quickly from Justin Reed was, I would love to have that conversation. Those talks will happen whenever they happen, though. And I don't think those talks are happening the way we maybe would have thought they were happening before, based off of where this market is headed, where you've got so many players that are going to be available.
A crazy amount
where
of safeties.
Justin Reed right now is on the final year of his deal. He'll enter the final year of his deal. $14.2 million his cap hit. That is, and the cash is $10.7 million. He is 27 years old. I do think the way the market is trending right now, this probably changes. If you are going to talk extension for Justin Reed, it's going to be way different than what he probably wanted to hear. And maybe he's smart enough to recognize, and he is a very smart guy, that, hey, this is what the market is, and he just wants to stay in KC? Sure. But whatever the extension number you thought maybe even 6 months ago it would take to get done is lower based off of all these players that are now suddenly in free agency at the safety position. The league is not valuing safety the same way they once did, it looks like.
No, and that's why I told you earlier that I would look at moving on from Justin Reed. Normally, 2 years into a 3-year deal, that wouldn't be crazy anyway. That's why the cap number is set up that way. $14 million is a big number for safety, and that would have me concerned about it. And you'd ask me, you're like, all right, what safety? And I mentioned Jordan Poyer. So I went back through the list in a couple of breaks and said, all right, look, I'll give you a couple of other options. You don't want the older safety in order to do this? Let me talk you into why this would work. Let me talk you into a player that would make sense. How about Jordan Whitehead? He's been a safety in this league for 5 years. He's a veteran safety who had a better Pro Football Focus grade than Justin Reed last year. He's a very good player who has been consistent at the NFL level, and his over-the-cap projection is less than $7 million per year. Let's call it $7. $3 million to cut Reed, $7 million for him per year. So in the first couple of years, maybe $4 or $5 million, I could save $8 million, $9 million in the 2024 cap, stay the same age at safety. There's just too many safeties. I could probably give you a handful of options.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about this some more. We've got actually out in Surprise, Arizona, MJ Melendez joining us on the phone. Well, let's get back to the Justin Reed conversation a little bit later on in the next segment. But let's go out to Surprise and welcome in MJ Melendez here on Cody and Gold. What's going on, man? We were actually talking about this Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight that's coming up. Have you seen this?
I think I just got a glimpse of it on Instagram earlier, but I hadn't really seen too much of it. I wasn't sure if it was just kind of like a rumor or what.
Yeah, so it's confirmed. We're just like, I'm kind of intrigued by it. I know these are all like exhibition setups, and we've seen Jake Paul do this, and he only fights older boxers, but it is going to happen. Does that intrigue you? They're having it at Jerry World down in Dallas.
I mean, I do wish that we would see him fight like younger, like actual boxers or whatnot, but yeah, because he has fought a lot of older guys. I mean, granted, they are great fighters, or they were at least in the past. So, I'm interested to see kind of how it is. Obviously, I think Jake Paul just being younger has a little bit of an advantage just because of the age. Obviously, Mike Tyson is Mike Tyson, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
The answer's got to be different for you, MJ, than us, the radio host. What's the amount of money for you to get in 3 minutes in a ring with Mike Tyson?
Oh man, 3 minutes only.
3 minutes only, but he's gonna try to get you, man. I'm not gonna kid around.
Man, like $1 million probably.
That's it.
See, I would have thought.
Yeah,
if you're a professional athlete, you can probably handle yourself better than me and Alex.
Yeah, I think I can probably like run away if anytime, you know. Like as bad as that sounds, like for $1 million, I'll run around for 3 minutes against one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, you could probably hang around much longer. I was just thinking, obviously, you know, you have much more earnings potential than we do, MJ. You know, you got more on you got more on the line than we do.
No, true. But I mean, boxing is cool. I like watching boxing. I like, you know, sport's a great sport, and I feel like I could defend myself a little bit. I mean, still one of the greatest. So, well, I mean, I think I'll do it for $1 million though, for sure.
MJ, we were talking a little bit about what your season looks like this year, and one thing stood out statistically, which is you have been way better in the second half. You've had more power. You've hit for better average. What's been the difference between those two times of year, and how can you translate that July, August, September version of your offense to the earlier part of the season?
Yeah, just made a couple adjustments halfway through the season during All-Star break. Was able to kind of tune a little bit things up, change my stance a little bit, and was able to, you know, I feel like that helped me make an adjustment with my swing, and just work through that through the off season to try to get better and a little bit more consistent, and just bringing that into spring training this year.
Did you see that in year one too? Because like statistically, you hit for more power in the second half of your first year too.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just maybe, you know, kind of getting used to seeing the pitching again and whatnot, but you know, it's something that obviously I want to be able to do throughout the whole season. You know, find that consistency and be able to just make a repeatable swing every single time, and hopefully that leads to more consistency and more power numbers throughout the whole season.
We're talking to MJ Melendez here on Cody and Gold, and this time last year you were completely still getting, I'm assuming, adjusted to a new manager and what that approach looks like. So now this is another spring training partially, although you were at the World Baseball Classic, so maybe this is the first full spring training, I guess, with Q. But is there more comfort there, and what have you maybe learned the most from him as your manager as you had him last year?
Yeah, obviously a great manager, you know, very, you know, you're able to go up to him and, you know, just kind of be yourself, and I like that as a player, just being able to talk to him like if he's one of the teammates, so that's always a great thing. And obviously just kind of learning how he manages the game, obviously, you know, being able to see that for a whole season, and, you know, going into spring, and just, you know, kind of how you can converse with him, you know, regarding different situations throughout the game. Just kind of ask him, hey, what he thinks about this, that, or the other, whether it's, you know, defense or hitting, or, you know, certain situation going up to the plate. So just being a little bit more comfortable with him each and every year. I feel like that's just only going to get better and better the more time we spend with him as our manager.
How different was it of an offseason from a fielding perspective? Like last year, I don't know, maybe you knew earlier than we did, but it seemed like you were going into the year, how much am I going to catch? How much outfield am I going to play? Doesn't seem like there's any mystery in it this year. How are you feeling about your confidence in the outfield this year versus last?
Yeah, definitely much better. Like you said, you know, going into this off season, I knew exactly what I was going to be doing coming into the spring, coming into the season. So just being able to, you know, do everything I can in the off season to get better in the outfield and, you know, stimulate as much as possible. You know, game situations, obviously you can never do that without actually being in a game. So that's what spring training's for, and just getting those live reads off the bat in game situations. But feeling definitely more comfortable.
We had Brady Singer on, I don't know, a week or so ago, and at that point that was still when everybody was talking about uniforms, and we know you guys at least have the big letters on the back of your jersey, and that's something that the Royals specifically asked to keep. But as things calm down with everything else, the pants situation, among other things.
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, I think it's still going to be a work in progress throughout the whole season. You know, we'll see what happens with that whole situation. But yeah, I mean, the only thing I got on it was, you know, the pants, obviously. Not even the see-through part, because I mean that is what it is, I guess. But some, I guess the fit's a little bit different than last year. They're not able to go as custom as we'd like, so maybe that's something I have to go and, you know, do it myself. Go take it into a tailor and have them tailor the pants a little bit. But you know, we'll kind of see. We'll kind of see how that evolves, and hopefully we're able to get better and maybe not see-through, and maybe a little bit more customization to the pant.
Speaking to MJ Melendez here on Cody and Gold, I think it was a couple of weeks ago you were trying to make an offer for one of your cards. My co-host was into cards there for a while. Has the person shown up with your cards yet? Have you been able to make a trade for it?
No, not yet. So we're still waiting on that. I think once we do that, I think everybody will kind of know. We'll make a pretty cool experience out of it for that person, and it'll be definitely something really fun. And I'm really looking forward to it.
Remind me again specifically why, because it's like a one-of-one card. It's your card, obviously, that you eventually have to send off via Topps. Why is it that you wanted that one so bad?
Yeah, just World Baseball Classic. So obviously I have a couple one-of-ones of myself already, a couple one-of-one rookie cards that obviously I love and was able to get some of those. But World Baseball Classic, something that I've always wanted to do since I was a little kid watching it growing up, and then being able to play in my first one last year. And, I was super, super, super excited to see that card come out. And to have both the one-of-ones of that with the jersey patch would be pretty special.
So it could be a little while till somebody opens up a box and rips open a box, I should say, and finds that card. But we'll definitely keep an eye out when that actually happens, man.
Definitely. I'm like, all right, well, I'll have that person message me, but I get a couple messages here and there, and I'm not always checking it. So I'm sure they'll post it and it'll get back to me eventually, and we'll make something happen.
MJ Melendez, kind enough to give some time out in Surprise, Arizona. Appreciate it, man, and we'll check in when we get close to opening day.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys.
There you go. That's MJ Melendez joining us here on the show. Yeah, it's really cool. So you were kind of describing it. Basically, there's as we know, there's different types of basically lines of cards, and one of the products that is being put out had some jersey patch cards, and MJ, as he just spoke, would like to have them. And so he said, hey, if you rip it open a box, and these aren't like the cheap, I'll be honest, I looked, I think there's a couple $100 at least for the box of them. So it's not like you just go buy a ton of them right now and just see what you can get. They're kind of expensive. If you rip open a box, it's going to be hard to find. I mean,
he offered
one-on-one cards.
Yeah, he's to fly to Kansas City and take you to a game and like the whole thing.
Well, because it can be ripped open anywhere in the world theoretically. And the thing with this is too, there's boxes that are on shelf somewhere. I mean, it could be a year from now or more until someone actually rips that. And they still have to decide, do they want to do that or not?
It's also not that crazy in the hobby thing. I see that stuff all the time. Like, I think there's a new hockey box that's coming out. It's got a Connor Bedard card that's one-of-one, and they put $1 million bounty on it. And if you can pull it, you're the lucky enough person to pull it, they'll give you $1 million for it on the spot if you'll take it.
This is why people do the card breaks. We talked about that. So maybe you don't want to spend $500 for a box, but you can buy a spot for $70.
Cody and Gold card break.
You can buy a spot for $70, and then you hope that that's the box that it rips, and you have the right slot and all of that. But appreciate that from. I was going to say when he was talking about getting his baseball pants tailored, I was going to recommend that our afternoon show host is
he's sewing.
Getting into sewing, and maybe Carrington can help him out down the road. Yeah. He wouldn't have got the joke, so I didn't bring it up in the interview.
No, but it would have been funny to be like, I do think our afternoon host has access to a sewing machine in Kansas City. So
wouldn't you like Carrington
if you live anywhere near the part of town he's in, maybe he could be your seamstress.
That's right. Thanks to MJ. Thanks to Vern for setting that up. Coming up next, let's get back into the conversation we were about to have about free agent safeties and what that means, plus the random question of the day next here on Cody and Gold.
You're listening to Cody and Gold. Follow the show on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts. 610 Sports Radio.
What if you could build a six-figure retirement income with almost half the money saved? You heard that right. Get a discount on your retirement, creating six-figure income with 40% less than traditional 401ks and mutual funds. Hi, I'm Brett Kitchen, best-selling author and star in a new Hollywood documentary called The Baby Boomer Dilemma. In this film, economists and Nobel Prize-winning PhDs share a strange concept called the retirement discount. It gives you more retirement income with the same dollars saved, and your money is never at risk if the market crashes. That's right. If the market crashes 30%, you lose nothing. Even people who are on track have shifted money to this new strategy because it increases their retirement income or can allow them to stop working years sooner. So if you're over 50 and want a bigger, better retirement with less money, call to get a free copy of the brand new movie, The Baby Boomer Dilemma, at 1-800-689-4545. This is a $30 value, but when you call today, you'll get it completely free, and I'll even pay your shipping and handling, no credit card required. So don't delay. Call right now, 1-800-689-4545. 1-800-689-4545. That's 1-800-689-4545.
Looking forward to the weekend? Of course you are, because you're going to assemble a 652-part entertainment center that has a 17-page instruction manual with no words. Don't worry if there's too many screws left behind. It's only got to hold your brand new 75-inch flat screen TV. Forget the weekends. Mo Money Mondays are here. New scratchers, new chances to win. Every last Monday of the month. Only from the Missouri Lottery.
Play responsibly.
The Other Place now has 4 great Kansas City locations: Shawnee, Olathe, downtown Overland Park, and the brand new one in Mission. It has a one-of-a-kind game day experience with enough big screens that you'll never miss a minute of March basketball from the Big 12 to the NCAA. Did I mention dine-in only great daily food and beer specials? So make The Other Place your March basketball headquarters. The Other Place, Shawnee, Olathe, downtown Overland Park, your home for March basketball. TheOtherPlace.com. That's TheOtherPlace.com.
Gas, groceries, utilities, you name it, the price of everything is going up, and if you're stuck in a bad timeshare with rising maintenance fees, the financial burden can be crushing. It is time to get your finances in order and get the real facts about that timeshare that you are stuck in and your options to get rid of it. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has been helping families out of horrible timeshares for over 10 years and has put together a complete timeshare exit information kit that he will send you absolutely free. To date, over 30,000 families have trusted Wesley Financial Group to help them out of financial hardship by getting them out of bad timeshares. Get the facts about how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation. Simply call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit and see how you can become timeshare free. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. Once again, 800-462-3333.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on Carol. She's more focused on hitting a high note than the car in front of her. Why pay a rate based on anyone else? Get one based on you with DriveWise from Allstate.
Not available in Alaska or California, subject to terms and conditions. Rates are determined by several factors, which vary by state. In some states, participation in DriveWise allows Allstate to use your driving data for purposes of rating. While in some states, your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Generally, safer drivers will save with DriveWise. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Get the one and done you want for your dog's monthly protection. NexGard Plus, a Foxalon or Moxidectin and Pyrantel chewable tablets. Protects against fleas, ticks, heartworm disease, roundworms, and hookworms. All in one delicious, beef-flavored soft chew. Use with caution in dogs with a history of seizures or neurologic disorders. Dogs should be tested for existing heartworm infection prior to starting a preventive. Ask your vet about NexGard Plus chews.
Hey, Joe Montana here. Back in my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia, a bacterial lung disease that can be life-threatening. If you're 65 or older, or 19 or older with certain chronic conditions like diabetes or asthma, you're at increased risk. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist about vaccination and learn more at knowpneumonia.com. That's KNOW pneumonia.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer. Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Not all water heaters are made equally. Some can be temperamental. Some can be unreliable and don't even think about what happens if you have neighbors downstairs.
Why is it raining inside my apartment?
Not with a Navien tankless water heater. You'll never run out of hot water. You only heat water when you need it, saving you tons in utility costs. Navien tankless water heaters. Visit tanklessmadesimple.com to learn more.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
You can change your career in just 4 months. Go to centric.com/610.
If you're ready to flip the script on your future, imagine transforming your life and career in just a few months with Centric.
You can do it as little as 3 steps or change your career in as little as 4 months. Go talk to our guy, Russ Mondry, and find out about that new career in IT. Go to centric.com/610.
Random question of the day coming up in about 10 minutes. We're also 25 minutes away from having Jay Binkley join us in studio in the 1 o'clock hour. He's already here. Yeah, he's already here.
He's been here for a while.
He's fired up. He's ready to go. We'll talk combine, draft, free agency, all of that. We'll also get his opinion on something we were talking about, and then obviously we're glad to have MJ Melendez join us. So let's pick that back up. Again, we were talking about Justin Reed, who is in the final year of his contract, and would you be interested in an extension? And with the way the free agent market is going at the safety position, not just because Justin Simmons got cut, but there's a lot of names now available, and clearly there's not the same value in the GM's eyes and in ownership's eyes and how they're building teams at that position. So is there the rush and need to do an extension with Justin Reed as much as maybe there was before? And I don't think so. Now, he's making $14 million this upcoming season. He's 27 years old. You said that you would be fine with cutting him.
I would do it.
And you would be you would
not
cut
because
him.
I don't think he's a good player, but because I think the value at safety is far too great that $14 million is way overpaying the position. That's the truth. I just think $14 million is way overpaying the position. Earlier, you were like, well, I don't want an older safety.
Well, because you brought up Jordan Poyer.
Yeah, and some of the other guys are there. Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer. There's plenty of elderly safeties. But, it's not that. But, older safeties in the league. So I was like, all right, let me get you somebody just to prove the point of why this matters. Because that's only 2 of the, 30 decent safeties available in the market right now. Jordan Whitehead started for the Jets last year. He started 17 games. He started almost 100 games in his NFL career. He's only 26 years old. His current projected contract in free agency is expected to be less than $7 million per year. So even at eating the $3 million for Justin Reed, if I sign him for $7 million a year, I save 4 at least this season. Actually, I probably save more this season because the $7 million a year, you and I both know, means it won't count them $7 million against the cap this season. It'll count against 3. So I probably save $8 million against the cap this year. And the following years, when I didn't have Justin Reed, I'm now still fine at safety. I both solved my long-term problem at safeties, and I only have Justin Reed for a year anyway, and I saved myself a bunch of money for this year. There's just too many safeties like Whitehead that I can do this with.
Yeah, I just think at some point there's a limit of, hey, they can just move on from so many players and just be fine with it. I think you don't want to push the limit too much.
Snead could be gone too, sure.
Snead's likely traded.
Gay.
I still think Chris Jones is coming back on a new deal. Yeah, Willie Gay is cut, or not cut, but just they're not
maybe
bringing
Dana,
back.
maybe Turk Wharton.
So at some point, you're really risking it. And Justin Reed has been part of 2 championship teams, and I do think, along with Nick Bolton, is a very good leader in terms of also making sure people are in the right spot and what that brings. I actually thought Justin Reed was better this year than he was his first year in Kansas City.
This again is not about the play he's had in Kansas City. This is a market forces at work thing for me.
And who knows? Maybe it prompts, if they still are interested in an extension, maybe it does prompt the extension to look more like the market value. And he's just happy to stay in Kansas City. He knows what his market value would be in free agency, and he wouldn't be getting the same deal, and he'd be on a crappier team. And maybe the extension actually makes more sense. It's the reverse of what I'm saying, and that it makes more sense because he's willing to sign a multi-year deal to ensure that he stays where he wants to stay. I'm not so sure. I'm fine with him staying here one more year on the current deal, though.
And just saying,
that's kind of what I'm alluding to.
If you won't take less, then kick rocks. There's cheaper safeties.
Yeah, maybe there's a restructure, or it's again, it's technically a 2-year extension, and so then next season the number is a little bit different. I think overall, you just have to be careful about assuming that you can move on from a player at all these different spots and just bring in a guy and it's going to be just as good as what you're getting. That applies to a lot of positions, and safety is not the first 5 positions I think of when I'm considering what they have to be a championship.
Did that, so it doesn't help. They let go of a popular team-leading leadership safety, and then replaced him.
Clearly was not playing at the same level as what Justin Reed is playing at now. Tyrann Mathieu at points in his career was obviously much better, but the final year of Tyrann Mathieu is not the same as the year we just saw because of age. Tyrann Mathieu is crossing 30. Justin Reed is just turned 27 years old.
I just think when you really dive into the Chiefs cap thing, they have to do stuff too, just like every team every year. Look, they're not in Buffalo situation. They don't have to just cut 17 players in order to make this thing work. But I told you about the extra money they're paying for these things. Right now at Spot Track, they have less than $10 million in cap space. And there's lots of ways to do this, right? There's tons and tons and tons of ways to move Patrick Mahomes' contract around, move this money here. And the Chiefs, by the way, according to Spot Track, have the 2nd youngest team in all of football right now and still only have $9 million because some of the players they got to pay. I know it might not be 1 for 1, but Gold, like the way I view this is, so all the players we just talked about maybe being gone. Willie Gay, Dana, Wharton, Jones, and Snead. I don't think they're all going to be gone, but we know some are, so the defense won't look the same. Is if I can get a player for half of the cost of Justin Reed, and that's what like the market is telling us right now, because
the projections are, we don't know what the market is yet, but yeah.
But I mean, it's going to be hard to imagine. Safety's already been getting devalued, and now there's 400 of them available. So like we can do some simple economics for this situation. I'd be surprised to find out there's always a couple. Maybe Justin Simmons will just get his bag, but everyone else seemingly should be devalued based on that. If that's where the market is, it's not like I'm getting worse. I actually think I'm getting better in my mind. I'm getting 90% of the player in Justin Reed for 50% of the cost. And with that 50% of the cost savings, I'm adding more depth at safety or more depth at defensive line or more depth at linebacker. I'm viewing this as a 2-for-1. I have to take maybe a slight dip in safety play. And by the way, maybe not. Maybe not have to take a dip in safety play. I'd like to remind people of about the level Justin Reed was playing for the Texans when he came here, and then he's gotten better under Spags. Whitehead could do that same thing at 26 years old. He could improve under Steve Spagnuolo. So 82, maybe 100% of the level of play is Reed. For 50% of the cost, I'd take the risk.
Yeah, for me, not as sold on it only because at some point there's a limit on specifically the defense that I think you can. If we say, and I know you're not saying every player, but if I give you 8 players or like 10% less of this player, if I do that 8 times, that's a problem. I can do that for 2 or 3 players. I'm with you that you can take 85% of said player. But if I'm good with saying, I'll save money and I'll just take 85% of the player at all these different positions, that you get in a little bit of trouble, I think. So,
absolutely.
So we'll see how they value it. Maybe the restructure or an extension, but maybe Justin Reed is seeing what the market is as well, and his agent certainly is. And it's like, he wants to stay in KC. We'll do an extension. We'll actually sign you an extension at what the new market value is. Maybe that happens. I don't know. That's a possibility that they could definitely explore. We shall see. I think the Justin Simmons cut will be interesting to see where he lands. I mean, Buffalo's talking about what they're going to do because of all the cuts that they just made, and including in the secondary. I mean, they released Tre'Davious White. They released Jordan Poyer. They released Nyheim Hines. Like, they went out and
they cut out half the roster.
They're not – I think it's probably not fair to say the Bills are rebuilding. I think some of these names were guys that just barely had played recently. Tre'Davious White, big name, but had only played in 10 games the last 2 seasons. So they're not rebuilding, but they certainly are having to reshuffle the salary cap, and Von Miller did them a huge favor yesterday by allowing them to restructure his particular deal. But these are the consequences. It's why I feel better about Brett Veach right now than we already even have for championships, because he hasn't got himself, despite always tough decisions, whether it's what you're suggesting or otherwise. Yeah, you're going to lose good players because the cap is real. It can be a maneuver, but it is real. But they haven't found themselves the same problem they got in when John Dorsey was the GM, and the same problem that the Bills just got in, which is forced to cut like 6 guys because you got in cap hell. They've been smart, and that's where you maybe have to make tough decisions in your case with Reed, or it's also why I think the idea when we've talked about the all-in approach stuff, continue the same approach. You don't jeopardize your future cap situation by going all in this year.
That's also where I feel like letting go of Reed does kind of do that. You're playing the long game.
Maybe so. I mean, their all-in approach has been for the last 4 or 5 years, but it hasn't meant that they have jeopardized. 2 years ago, when someone wanted them to go all in, it didn't jeopardize what they're doing now in 2024. And that's got to be the same thing. What they're doing in 2024 can't jeopardize what they want to do in 2026. Your quarterback's not even 30 yet.
How much do you value backup kicker play is really the question.
Well, they have a backup kicker in their new punter, Matt Ariza. They don't need Justin Reed for that part, if that's what you're talking about.
He used to kick?
Yeah, no, seriously, in college.
Great.
There's some good stats. He can kick field goals, too.
You just became obsolete.
I think Justin actually had a funny tweet about that the day they signed him. I'd have to pull it up, but I think someone tweeted about
a joke.
He's like, he's going to have to beat me out or something. I'm paraphrasing, but somebody did make that same comment the day he responded to a fan the day that they signed Matt Ariza.
Yeah, it was just the top text, 816, safety and kicker play. Let's not, come on. 2 for 1. That's more than one position.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Random question.
For you, Gold. For you, Drew, over on the text line, 913-586-7610. Of course, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, we'll hit up there as well. Look, I had several options for the random question today, so we're going to have to push some of them to tomorrow, to be honest. Because one thing we haven't gotten to is something everybody in the city's talking about, and of course we're going to keep talking about it, and that was George Brett talking about Kauffman Stadium and what would take place upon its teardown. And, of course, George wants something out of the building.
I'd like to see a new stadium built. I know they can't do one out there. Yeah, it would be tough for me. I'll probably break down a little bit when I see the bulldozers going in there. And the thing about me, I grew up in locker rooms my whole life. And when I built this house, I have a urinal. In fact, we have 5 of them in this house. I'm going to exchange one, and I want to get a urinal out of Royal Stadium and put it in my house. That's the only thing I want. I don't want a seat. And I remember when they took down Yankee Stadium, a friend of mine was vice president of the Yankees back then, Arthur Richmond. And I called him. I said, Arthur, I'll pay for this. I want someone to go in there before they demolish that stadium and go get a urinal out of the Yankee Stadium locker room. The one that Babe Ruth went to the bathroom, and the one that Lou Gehrig, the one that Reggie. I want one of those in my house, and he couldn't get it for me. But how great would that be to have Babe Ruth's urinal in your house right now? I can honestly say. So I'm going to get one I'm going to get one if they demolish that stadium. I promise you, I'm going to go there in the middle of the night with the guy that built this house. And I'm going to say, come on, we got to figure out how to get one of these things out of here.
Look, I think George is going to have a much easier time getting something out of Kauffman Stadium, the team in which he's a Hall of Famer for. Urinal's a weird thing to get hung up on. Clearly has a urinal thing. Talking about Babe Ruth.
It means a lot to him. That was Scott Reese in KCTV5 with the interview there. He's absolutely going to get a urinal if he wants the urinal. I'm 100% with you. So what's the item? I'm guessing what your question is.
So the normal question would be, what's the item? That's not my question, because that's fine. You can answer that as part of this. The question I have related to this is, should we allow the taxpayers of Jackson County to choose one item out of the stadium for themselves as a price of value for getting the new stadium? Should it be allowed that the taxpayers of Jackson County, or anyone, I don't care who's paid it, should they be allowed to go into the Stadium Gold and get a piece of memorabilia for themselves? Rip out a seat, tear down a fountain, cut off a piece of the crown, I don't care. You get supermarket sweep style, has been my pitch. Mm-hmm. They set a timer. They let 15 people in at once. You got 15 minutes to get the item out of Kauffman Stadium you want. If you can get it out in that amount of time, it's yours.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, sure.
They're going to demolish it anyway. What do you care?
They will auction plenty of the stuff off. Something tells me they're not going to let the free-for-all just run in there with chainsaws and get whatever you want. That'd be fun, though. That'd be a lot of fun. I think it'll be interesting to see how they go about that. We know the seat thing is the obvious that a lot of places will auction off.
Yeah.
There's got to be. My guess is there's got to be some good stuff left over from the championship runs or the All-Star games and things like cool events they've had there.
A World Series-y All-Star game.
Something.
Thing.
I don't know.
Sitting in a closet somewhere.
There's got to be some. Heck, we've seen some stuff even in the hallway of the underbelly of the stadium when we were waiting to do the hot dog derby. You were there as well. When we were doing the hot dog derby race, Cody, there was the underbelly of the stadium in the hallway. There's some random stuff just sitting there.
Yeah.
That look, from, whether it's bases, whether it's stuff from the All-Star game, whatever it may be, that's the kind of stuff would be more interesting than just grabbing a seat. Because everybody mentions the seat. What am I going to do with the seat? What am I going to do with the seat? Unless you gave me if I were able to find out.
A bar, basement
if you can tell me that
outside.
I can match my wild card ticket from the Royals-A's game to the exact same seat I was sitting in, that would be kind of cool.
Okay.
I'll give you that.
Yeah. See, there you go.
That's fair.
What if you just had like a row of seats would be pretty cool, like on a back deck? They're weatherproof. Yeah. They sit out in the weather anyway. Mm-hmm. On one of my mini decks, that would be good. You'd think that that's what I'd go for.
That would be.
I just want to take a hacksaw to the top of a foul pole so I can create a wiffle ball field that has a foul pole from Kauffman. Not the whole thing. That's too big. Just like the top of it. I'm going to get to the top of a foul pole, hacksaw the top part, take a sawzall, whatever, hack off the top part, take that with me.
So you want to have a wiffle ball?
I'm not going to reuse
So
those.
Are you building a wiffle ball field in your backyard?
I would if I had the foul pole.
Okay. Gotcha.
If I had the foul pole to do it, I think that it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that one's going to be a little tricky to get. I think that's going to be a little tricky.
I think I'm simple. Just give me a bat. A wooden bat that somebody has used.
You just want a bat?
Yeah.
You can get that now. The stadium that'd be torn down for you to get the bat.
You can literally buy that from the shop.
I don't want to buy it, though.
Do you want us to ask Vinny for one or something?
I'm
a little worried that your dream thing out of an entire stadium is a bat. And I'm pretty sure that if I ask nicely, I might be able to get you one of those.
If Vinny can if Vinny can get me a bat, I will take it in a heartbeat.
They pay for their own bats? How's that work? I know that they have companies they like to work with, so they must. They must pay for their, like, in a way
Yeah, I
where they
don't
get a
know.
budget or something.
I'm not sure. Some of them maybe have a deal with, Louisville or whatever.
Well, I've seen the bat guys show up. So, like, some of them like the axe handle bats. I've seen those guys. They're like salesmen. They show up. MJ talks to the guy to the side. Spring training. He's like, all right, I want this many bats, this case. I'm saying, do you get a budget, or does that just, like, come out of the old debit card?
Maybe you pay for it. I've been to the Louisville factory / museum down there, whatever, and they'll show us as they're making bats they're like, yeah, we're making a bat for X player right here.
Do you want the hot dog ketchup costume? Someone says to memorialize your win.
They can just carry that over to the new stadium. They want to keep those. They'll just carry those over to the new stadium.
I think you got to start a new tradition.
Oh, you don't think they can do a hot dog race in the new stadium?
We're doing new stadium,
So
new
you
tradition.
Think,
I want the barbecue race.
You think that's
finally.
when they switch it to barbecue sauce? That could work.
Ribs versus or barbecue sauces, or
ribs versus burnt ends
versus link versus burnt end. Yeah.
I mean that would be great. Everybody's been requesting that for a while. Maybe they got to switch it over there. If not, you just do the hot dog derby race again.
Someone says whatever leaves from the stadium, they're definitely gonna. I know that they're gonna sell that stuff. I got invited to the preview auction for when they were getting ready to renovate Kemper Arena.
Yeah,
and they were like, literally, you can have any of this stuff if you want to pay for it. You're like, I'm okay.
Those the craft and draft, the benches, and the wooden benches, that kind of stuff, they'll definitely auction off.
Yeah, they'll auction off not all of it, but a lot of it. I'm just saying, I think if I think at any time you were a decent enough taxpayer for Jackson County, like if you went to enough games or if you just lived in Jackson County for X number of years.
I was laughing at you
should be allowed.
I was laughing at the decent enough taxpayer as opposed to what someone just doesn't pay taxes.
I just meant like I don't think you have to be an active Jackson County taxpayer. If you lived in Jackson County from 2003 for more than 5 years, anywhere from 2003 to now, you've been paying on that thing this whole time.
That's
right.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, he'll get his urinal if he wants it. George Brett can get that. But it is the urinal thing when he was mentioning the one that Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig got at Yankee Stadium. How do you, like, memorabilia, if I get a bat or Drew gets a bat from Vinny or somebody, it can be easily authenticated. The Bobby Wood Jr. shoes I won at the auction easily can be authenticated.
I mean, he did personally bring them. So.
How do you, well, just the signature and everything else, and they're his, I mean, it literally has his name on it. But how do you authenticate that that's the urinal that Babe Ruth urinated in?
I mean, there's a lot of people that would have.
How do you authenticate that? How do you know that that's one of them that he actually? How do you know they didn't switch it out 30 years ago because it broke? And here's they put a new urinal in. How do you authenticate urinals?
I mean, I think you probably date them by the look. I'll bet a urinal from like Babe Ruth's era looks different. And also, I just don't think that's something you ever replace. I mean, to think about, like, if you put a urinal in your house and you live there for the next 40 years, do you think you'd ever replace that urinal? And look, I'm coming from a house where I've replaced all 4 toilets in my house since moving in.
Yes.
But I'm not planning on changing them ever again.
Yeah.
That's it. That was the one time. Unless one breaks, I'm not planning on ever changing them again. I think I bet there's a couple of old ones there, and that's what he wanted.
So it says DNA. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work.
DNA?
I don't think that's going to work.
Someone's cleaned some of the DNA off of that. I'd like to think that.
Yeah. Someone said they just want the beer taps from Craft and Draft. Yeah, that'll probably be harder to get. My guess is
just one of those gold balls from Crown Vision. You know how bigger those are than you probably think. Like, think about how big Crown Vision. How big do you think that is?
How big are the balls, Cody?
Look, big. Let's be honest. Someone says, Cody, just take the whole little K. Screw the foul pole. Just take it off the field.
Nice.
And just put it in my backyard. Oh, so many different choices. Good old Kauffman Stadium. I'm going to miss it if this gets voted on April 2nd. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I mean, there's great memories, no doubt. I'm excited for downtown baseball, but yeah, there's especially if we mentioned the wild card game. I mean, those memories, and who knows if you'll experience a championship run again. I mean, you just never know, and we know it's already been 10 years, and so knowing that was the stadium you saw a championship in, and a team win, all of that, and some of the moments.
You got to see that.
Even the funny stuff that we bring up, everybody brings up all the time with the Lima time and. The
people getting stuck in a tarp,
Krispy Kreme promotion, and the lemonade guy, like all those stuff. Yeah, of course, great memories. I'm also still excited about downtown baseball.
Holding a grudge against him. He
the lemonade guy. We already looked it up. Remember, he did some stuff for the T-Bone. Someone put us in touch with his contact info.
He didn't text me back. I have the lemonade guy's cell phone number, and he didn't text me back.
He went and worked for the Yankees for a little while, I think.
I know, but he's in
town.
He
got so popular.
This is just a guy that just.
Lemonade sale concession worker,
yeah.
but he was entertaining as hell and became very popular because he would go lemonade,
lemonade, woo!
And everybody enjoyed it. Everybody knew who he was.
Everybody was familiar with that guy.
He became very popular.
Maybe
and it was right in the middle of them being good, so like it was a combination. You felt good to be at the ballpark. It was 2003, a magical time, and this guy was just trying to sell us lemonade, you know?
Maybe that's why I just want the bat, because I don't have an affiliation outside of one game that I went to last year with the K. You know, maybe that's why I want.
Yeah, I just think the bat you can just have whether stadium. The bats don't have nothing to do with the stadium. You know, I think that's part of it.
Maybe clip off. You get a little square of like the turf or something like the outfield, and you can put it in like a case where it.
The grass.
Yeah, the grass where it'll be. All right.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But I think I can get a keychain with some like grass and dirt in it now. I want something unique. Not looking to get. I want something.
I mean,
weird.
I guess that would be unique.
If there's one, I guess if I could pick any piece of baseball memorabilia from the K or not, I would get a section of. They're never going to do this, I don't think, but tear down Wrigley. I would get a section of the original scoreboard in the back, like a number or whatever. That's what I would
Single
want.
number.
Yeah.
See, but that's the kind of thing you got to think
from
of
Wrigley. Yeah, that's what I would want. But I guess the K, the Crown Vision, one of the.
Someone says they just want to do that on Twitch. They said they just want to do that and then essentially just open like a drive-in theater. Like the person who's playing Mario Kart on it, you could just do that all the time. Like, you realize how much land you have to own Crown Vision?
That would be crazy.
Is that something they're going to auction off, or are they just going to crush it? Don't crush it.
Well, remember, there's all individual panels. They probably can make some money back on that in return. Some other.
Down.
There's a minor league stadium somewhere that wants to have doesn't have to be the same shape, but those are all different panels behind there that they have to replace sometimes, and I bet you are very expensive. They probably can reuse or sell off the panels. I don't think they're just offering that up to the Joe Schmo. But the top of the crown, that's a whole different thing. I don't know. Maybe they'll incorporate that somewhere around the project. All right, coming up next, let's talk some football. Jay Binkley from Character Concerns going to get us the lowdown on the scouting combine. We'll ask him how he is interpreting the Chris Jones tweets and his future in KC as well.
You're listening to Cody and Gold on your home for Royals baseball. 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
For over 36 years, Metal by the Foot has been your source for steel, aluminum, brass, and stainless. Located in KC and Topeka. Online at metalbythefoot.com. When you need a piece of metal, remember, metal doesn't have to cost an arm or a leg, just the foot.
Something bad has happened to Mom.
Streaming March 14th on Peacock.
Joy Delaney, mother 4, has gone missing.
From the author of Big Little Lies and 9 Perfect Strangers.
She will come back.
You think we're this, big, happy family?
I have a confession.
Starring Oscar nominee Annette Bening, Sam Neill, Jake Lacey, and Allison Brie.
Secrets will poison any family, and what you don't know can hurt you.
Apples Never Fall. Streaming March 14th, only on Peacock.
The Chiefs, the Royals, and this community all rise together no matter what comes our way. We've worked, battled, and overcome together.
They've done it! The Royals are World Series champions!
Kansas City wins the game! Champions of Super Bowl 58!
Now we can keep it going. Vote yes on question 1 to keep the Chiefs and Royals in Jackson County with a better deal. Over $1 billion in private investment with real benefits for every community. Growing small businesses, creating good-paying jobs with no new taxes. Vote yes on question 1 on April 2nd to keep the Chiefs and Royals here in Jackson County. Let's keep it going. Paid for by the committee to keep the Chiefs and Royals in Jackson County. Whitney Beaver, Treasurer.
I'm Bob Burke,
founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go, but I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there, providing hot meals, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding.
To learn more, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios. Subscribe to the 610 Sports KC YouTube page for exclusive video content from Cody and Gold on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs and your home for Royals baseball. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City. WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
1 o'clock hour, Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon with you. We're talking a little bit about the Royals and obviously George Brett wanting to get a urinal out of Kauffman Stadium before they tear it down. And thinking of the stadium projects, I know a lot of you have obviously had more and more questions from Royals ownership and Chiefs ownership for that matter. But tomorrow morning on Festival in the Morning, you can hear John Sherman. He'll join Bob and Josh, or Bob and I guess Bink tomorrow morning as Kling is out, but Bob and Bink tomorrow at 7:30. And also tonight, Vern's Hot Stove Show going on this evening, 6 o'clock here on 610 Sports Radio. I'll have a couple special guests, including Brady Singer, joining him on the show. So if you're wanting to continue to get your Royals fix, that is going to be the place to be. Alec Marsh and Brady Singer tonight on the Hot Stove Show. And we've got Jay Binkley in studio with us post-combine, post-birthday too. 51?
Yeah.
I didn't know if Bob was just giving you a hard time. Or
I was like, were you guessing or did you ask him?
Bob was 100% accurate.
Okay. I don't know if he was just purposely putting out an age or something.
You never know.
I guess that makes sense. We did go to Binkley's 50th birthday party last year. It's kind of a big thing.
You know what?
It's not hard to add up the one extra year. Should have thought that through.
That's how that works. You know,
it's
50 plus
fast years.
1. 51, I got it.
And we were just
It was a
celebrating a
fast
Chiefs
year,
Super
yeah.
Bowl win
Yeah.
and then win again.
100%, man. No, I know. We got a lot to get into. We haven't had you on the show in a while. I wanted to just start with the combine and just, did anything happen there that you think truly, either for you or what you think could change anything for Brett Veach? Like, based on performance, based off of anything you heard, was there something there that stood out that has you rethinking what the Chiefs might be doing come draft time? We can get to free agency in a little bit.
No, I don't think anything it just kind of solidified what I thought about it. This is a wide receiver draft, and I've thought about that. 7 is the record. That was 2004. And it's all these mock drafts that come out. I count the receivers. Right? How many people are going with the record? How many people are going and tying the record? How many are going over? Because I'm curious where people come out on that. The record for offensive tackles is 7 back in 2008. And this is going to be a lineman and wide receiver draft. I've had this feeling going into the combine, and it's solidified watching these receivers. And it's kind of like, I have a feeling with this talented group, in 5 years, you'll look back at it and you'll see the Pro Bowl or all pros, a lot of these guys from this draft class. And
Weren't they kind of saying that last year, though? And I felt like Rashee Rice was the second best of the group.
No, last year was kind of a really
Mediocre?
down year for
Okay.
wide. There was people talking, is there even going to be 2 or 3 wide receivers in the first round? Even
Sure.
2. That was the big knock on things last year. But I just think, 4 or 5 years, you're going to look back and say, man, this was the year to grab a receiver. What's the one position that we've been saying all year that since day one the Chiefs need? Wide receiver. This is the draft to get that guy.
Where is wide receiver in your... So we did our draft, our pre-free agency draft need rankings. I had defensive line 1. I had wide receiver 2. And I was between corner or offensive line for 3. Bink, he had the opposite. Gold had offensive line first.
Well, all of them are good, but still I'm staying wide receiver. I mean, what is this team? This team is Patrick Mahomes. He's the most electric quarterback in the NFL. What you do is you feed him weapons. He had, when he first came in, he's got Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and all these. It's time to replenish those weapons. This is who the MO. This is the Chiefs. This is what they are. They're Patrick Mahomes, and they're throwing the football down the field, putting pressure on the defense. You have a three-time Super Bowl MVP, a 2-time NFL MVP. You feed him weapons and make the offense this focal point. They've built up this defense. 7 out of 10 picks 2 years ago on defense. 5 out of 7 on defense last year. The youngest defense in the NFL. It is time to bolster it, and I'm not downplaying defensive line needs because interior defensive line, just Neil Farrell's the only one under contract. So, yes, that is a need. And offensive lineman, 100% with you, Alex. The good news is it is so deep that you're going to be able to get, decent linemen outside of the first round, which they're okay with that. Like Wanye Morris was not a first-round pick. It was a day 2 pick. And yet he was starting 4 games for the Chiefs last year.
How confident are you in Wanye, or how confident do you think the Chiefs should be? Because we know where they drafted him, as you said, middle-round pick a year ago. He did start a couple games when Donovan Smith went down. And Cody and I agree on this point, which is that Donovan Smith, it wasn't like he was great. He was average. He had a very nice postseason. But for much of the year, he was average. And I've kind of just said, just because you got by with average at left tackle is not what I want them to do going forward. I think that's why I had it as the number one priority. Do you think they can go into a season and feel good about Wanye? Because to me, they need to at least have a veteran that they think can start behind him if that's their plan.
Yeah, I do. And I was shocked that he got to play so much, being a rookie, because that's not typically a position that Andy Reid will start a rookie playing left tackle, especially with Patrick Mahomes, your quarterback, and a guy that played a lot of right tackle at the University of Oklahoma. He did play both in college in that direction. But I thought Wanye Morris was kind of the key rookie out of this whole class, because if he's good, and that's fine, and that's a staple, then you don't have to worry about that so much in this year's draft. But I do like Wanye Morris, and I thought he showed some real potential last year with his team, and I know the team liked him because you don't start for Andy Reid on a Super Bowl team the 4 games that he did if he didn't have complete trust in him. So I'm with you on that. I do feel second round there will be quality offensive line. I don't think there's a rush to get him in the first round. And not only that, but the wide receiver, I'd get the best of the bunch that you could and get that at 32.
I mean, again, offensive line, it's like I'd take the risk, I guess, partially just because I trust him, Bink. This is like corner. I always feel less pressure with the positions where I'm like, the Chiefs are better than anyone else in the league at finding corners. And they have made left tackle work with like 5 different names over a 10-year time period with Andy Reid, and it's never been such a detriment that it's cost them anything other than 1 game in which they had so many injuries they couldn't overcome. But nobody could have. Like, nobody can have quality backup left, right, guard. They can't have that many players.
I think the plan was Juwan Taylor, being over there on the left side.
Yes, but man, I think that kind of went away once they just didn't even play. They said Donovan.
But you remember how it worked? They got him there, and they're like, and that's when Donovan Smith came in. They're like, that's in case emergency break glass.
It was post-draft. Yeah, it was post-draft.
They realized, okay, this isn't going to work on the left side. We'll keep him over at the right side, and that's when the Donovan Smith came out of the blue when the Chiefs went and got him.
Yeah, the Juwan Taylor thing, we kind of, as we were talking it out on the air the other day, we didn't realize that here in about a week is when that dollar amount for 2025 becomes
kicks in.
Guaranteed. For Juwan Taylor's on this team for 2 more years.
Hey man, he performed better once the officials started getting off him for the foot being too far back and things like that. Like the holding's got to come down. We all know that the holding's definitely got to come down.
Does it? I mean, there's no.
Well.
We know that's gonna have to be a focal point for him.
Yeah, I would think so. But that's also like an off season of him having to completely adjust the way he comes off the line because they decided to pick on him, Bink. I mean, when that occurs, then you kind of have to reset. My whole thing on left tackle was not, I'm not I would prefer great left tackle play. The reason why I had said if Wanye gave you mediocre, I can live is the investment they have everywhere else. They have the highest right tackle in football. They have, in my opinion, the best left guard in football, the best center in football, and one of the better guards in football. So if you're investing that heavily in 4 out of the 5 players on the line, well, I don't think you can build a perfect line. I think it's dreaming almost too big to assume that in addition to that, you're going to get Pro Bowl caliber play out of a left tackle in the first round. Maybe you get it right, maybe you don't, but maybe they're just around the level of Wanye, in which case I'd rather be burning first-round picks on wide receivers or defensive line or some of those other players.
Well, does defense have to be number 2 in the NFL like they were last year? Or do they need, be somewhere between 5 and 10?
Depends on if the offense bounces
and
back,
then your
which
offense
I assume
gets
they will.
back to where now teams are worried. This team presses teams. This is what the Chiefs are about. They're about pressing defenses and lighting up the scoreboard and scoring from anywhere. And it's about more weapons than just Rashee Rice and a middle-aged Travis Kelce. It's about getting young. These receivers are big. They're physical. They're fast. Chiefs can get right back to where they were with that speed at that position.
We got Jay Binkley in studio. We know you and Chris Unocero doing a great job on the Character Concerns podcast, and it airs on Saturdays now on 610, right?
It's the podcast that went out during the week. There's one that comes every week, and that's played during Saturday.
Right here on 610, though.
Yes, 10
and
a.m.
you guys have talked a ton about wide receivers. I know you already mentioned that that's your priority position.
We tracked them since day one.
Let's start with the name that I think everybody was speaking about a week ago, Xavier Worthy.
Yeah,
out of Texas. You guys had him in there for a while, I know, since the fall.
Some people didn't have him as a first-rounder, right?
You guys mocked him back in the fall, and you can explain it more in a second, but he, of course, goes out and just has a record-setting 40 time.
He's great, and I understand the hesitance to always be enamored by combine times. I mean, it was Dontari Poe, right? That was the guy that lit up the combine. And if you look at top 10, combine times ever, there's hardly any good players in that mix, except for Chris Johnson. That was about the one that stands out.
He was pretty good.
Like John Ross from the Bengals. And we've mentioned
Sure,
this.
do you remember John Ross?
Was he taking 1 pick before Mahomes?
He was taking 1 pick. He was taking 1 pick before, and everybody gives the Bears crap because of Trubisky. Well, the Bengals went with John Ross, who ended up finishing his career with the Chiefs on the practice squad, which is completely funny. But regardless,
didn't even make it through training camp this year. He quit.
But I know. But he was loaded. But Xavier Worthy was mocked to the Chiefs early on, just nationally. Whenever nationally, you keep track of these mocks, who they're mocking. But Jatavion Sanders, A.D. Mitchell from Texas, there's a lot of Texas guys. And then Xavier Worthy's been mocked to the Chiefs for a long time. But I think a lot of people think, he just shows up out of the middle of nowhere and runs this 4.22. Be careful for an undersized wide receiver.
He is 165 pounds. That concerns me a little bit.
It should.
From an NFL perspective.
That's what he weighed at the combine, and Texas had him at 173, so some people were confused.
And probably 7'2", sure.
Well, the fudge numbers. But here's the one thing about him, though. He's extremely productive. Like his freshman year, he had 981 yards receiving. He has 27 touchdowns in 3 years. That's a lot of touchdowns. And not only that, he had over 1,000 yards receiving this past year. He had a punt return for a touchdown. So not only you get the punt return electricity and the wide receiver, it's a lot of combination of doing both. So that is not a stretch. And then with that speed, so he's already a good player. Everybody knew he would have been one of the fastest guys. Hell, we were talking about that at the happy hour last week. Like Xavier Worthy, man, go on his under because this guy's going to challenge for the top 40 time.
If there are that many offensive linemen, something we know that the Chiefs need, that many wide receivers, I don't know what you think about the defensive line depth, but if it's good too, and you can tell me here in a minute, should they even pick at 32? Should they even be selecting there? If, from what, look, I'm just reading it outside of this. Most people seem to think the draft is a lot better rounds 1 through 3, and there's not so much depth as there in the other years. Should they just be stockpiling in second and third round picks instead?
You would think so, but I would stay where you're at because essentially at 32, and who knows if he was going to trade with. Last year they wouldn't do it. They would.
The Chiefs didn't want to go that far back. Yeah. Remember, Brett Veach admitted they could go to 40. He just didn't want to go to 40.
Didn't want to go too far back, but could they move up? I mean, here's the thing too. I mean, if you get another pick for Snead, can they package that with 32 and get themselves right about 20? Because then all of a sudden you're looking at 5 linemen going, and then you're going 3 or 4 corners. And then all of a sudden, you're looking at all these other positions, and all of a sudden you're now in line probably to get the 4th best receiver sitting at 18 or 20 before the big run on him starts. in the 20s. So if you want to elevate from Xavier Worthy, and I don't think you get a Brian Thomas.
Let's say who's your kind of dream other than the obvious Marvin Harrison Jr. or Odunze? Those two are not
realistic dream.
Yeah, because those two guys we would both love. It's not happening. So give me a name that is you could actually truly come up with a real scenario that the Chiefs trade up and this player is there, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it.
Well, the real scenario, a guy that I've liked since day one is Brian Thomas, who led the NCAA in touchdowns. He's extremely fast. He's the second fastest time, but he was listed at 6'4" all year. I think he came in right about 6'3", almost 6'3". Brian Thomas is awesome. He's with Malik Neighbors at LSU, but you're always scared a little bit when there's, two good talents. Like, all right,
we were talking about this.
Drew brought it up.
I was talking about how Clyde Edwards-Helaire turned out he was just a beneficiary of being around one of the most talented offenses of all time.
14 players on the LSU team.
But they had Jefferson and Chase at the same. They both turned out to be pretty good.
They had Jefferson and Chase. It does happen, but this is what these teams are because Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell from Texas. You look at Washington, they've got 3. Odunze, Jalen Polk, and Jalen McMillan. How much pressure do those guys take off Odunze? I mean, and then you just go back and, all right, watch LSU, Alabama. All right, who'd they have Kool-Aid McKinstry on? Who is he guarding? Or who'd they put their number one corner on? But Brian Thomas, my favorite overall. I do like A.D. Mitchell, actually, probably a little bit better than Xavier Worthy just because of the size.
So Thomas, there's no way he's going to drop, right? He's projected to be like a 10 to 15 guy.
The end of the year is like not even a first rounder.
But
all of a sudden he started sneaking in. We actually mocked him on our first mock to the Chiefs, Brian Thomas, a couple months ago. But he's looking probably going anywhere from
top 20, I think.
Oh yeah, 13 to 20, something like that.
But A.D. Mitchell, he could be there at 32. That's not out of the cards, right?
A.D. Mitchell could be there or gone between 25 and 30.
Now, this is like that same range where the Chiefs were last year, which is
he's a stud. He's got a couple rings from Georgia too. Everybody talks about Ladd McConkey, and he does too.
Especially out of like wide receiver.
Before he went to Texas, he wanted Georgia.
If it's pick 25 and you love the guy, then just go up. Screw waiting around 7 more picks to find out. Because last year, what happened is the run went like a little too early. That run of like Jackson Smith and
20,
Jigba, the versus 25, right? You're talking about a different range. The Chiefs also, they don't have more draft pick compensation this year. They have less, I think, right? They have 6 total picks now.
6 total picks.
With the comp pick.
They have a pick round 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 in the 5th. None in the 6th. 1 in the 7th.
And hopefully they pick up a second rounder from Snead.
Hopefully they'll get that, but it's so the first 5 rounds they've got 1 pick, none in the 6th, 1 in the 7th, and maybe 1 comp, and there could be 1 comp going the Chiefs' direction.
So they really could end up still having 8 picks.
They have 6 right now, as we sit right now, and they haven't awarded the comp picks yet, so we don't know where they're drafting 4 through 7 because that order hadn't been set yet.
What do you think about Ladd McConkey? You mentioned him.
I like Ladd a lot. I mean, I like his speed. I like his toughness. I like he can get anywhere on the field. I mean, he can get down the field. He's a winner. Georgia receivers kind of scare you a little bit because of McCole Hardman, right? Like how much of the influence they have just on the Georgia receivers. But
it's just too easy to play for Georgia sometimes. It's always
and
my fear, but
A.D.
that's
Mitchell,
okay.
And A.D. Mitchell was part of that for a couple of years.
I get it, but because we've all said that about a player at a certain school, like, oh, that player, it's that was the Ohio State quarterback thing for a while, like,
a long time.
And then we just saw what C.J. Stroud did. So like, if that dude's that special, doesn't matter where the hell he went, in my opinion.
But he showed what he can do it, like when the Senior Bowl, like all these routes. I mean, he had an unbelievable Senior Bowl.
We can obviously talk about Chiefs free agency and stuff in a second. I am curious though, since while we're still talking draft before we pivot to free agency, with the quarterbacks in this year's draft. Have you reordered anything? We know Caleb Williams is still projected to be the number 1 overall pick, but did J.J. McCarthy, he's the name that suddenly everybody's talking about. He's the one guy that I actually don't like out of the group, but everybody seems to be moving him up their boards. What do you make of the quarterbacks now post-combine in Indy?
Yeah, there's a whole lot of defensive in this, and there's a whole bunch of, you have to look at their offense. It just didn't run through him. Just don't judge him because of that.
I do judge people who don't choose to run their offense through the quarterback in college.
Exactly, and also
why didn't they?
When Jim Harbaugh left, when he was suspended there at the end of the year, they kind of went away from him and just kept running the football with Donovan Edwards and the whole time they just kept running the football. But the bottom line is, some of these the programs they're at, you got to kind of weed that out and take it with a grain of salt. Like, did they really use them? Now, Ladd they had doing all the different routes and running all different directions, but it's hard to say what they're going to do, especially when they go to the Senior Bowl. I like that, but Caleb Williams definitely the top quarterback in my opinion. I like Jaden Daniels. And I've liked him just.
Commanders at 2.
I mean, just everything that he does. I mean, the way he takes over a game. I like that Missouri game. Missouri was a damn good football team this year, but they could not stop any direction Jaden Daniels. Like, he was taking the ball.
He completely took over that one game.
He takes
Kept
over
him out
the
of the
game.
college football playoff.
He takes over the game on the ground through the air. His arm's incredible. Jaden Daniels, I've enjoyed watching him even back at Arizona State when he was just lighting it up. I was like, man, who's this kid? And then all of a sudden, what he's did at LSU. But I like Jaden Daniels a ton. Drake May, I still like him. I know a lot of people are kind of, hit or miss when it comes to Drake May, but I still like him.
If you were the Commanders at 2, you would take Daniels over May, though.
100%.
Okay, yeah. And what about the Patriots at 3? How do they not take a quarterback?
They're going to have to. I mean,
because some people are mocking Marvin Harrison Jr., which is a great wide receiver. But if you're the Patriots, I don't know if you heard that there was a Boston radio host this week that went off on people trying to select Marvin Harrison Jr. to the Patriots. He just went crazy.
Well, he was logically mad because his point of it doesn't matter if a wide receiver is great if you don't have a quarterback.
I think this was Tony Maserati. I think it's Maserati. Maybe it is. I don't know.
I am getting tired of everybody bending over backwards to get Marvin Harrison. It doesn't matter if you can't block and you don't have a quarterback. It's useless. Everybody's just caught up in the freaking toy. Like the highlight reel. It drives me bananas. I like the player too, but you have to be somewhat practical about it when you're building a team. Take Harrison. Yeah, I'd take Harrison at number 3. I want Harrison. He's a stud. He's only a stud if you get the quarterback.
He goes on from there. The accent's tremendous. He sounded like
I want Harrison.
He sounded like Andrew Dice Clay to me, is what he sounded like for a little bit. I thought he was going to start
Doesn't matter if
cursing.
you don't have the quarterback. He's just so mad about it.
That was Andrew Dice Clay, I'm convinced.
If you get the quarterback.
Oh, man.
Bink, how much of a gap is there between Caleb Williams, Jane Daniels, and Drake May, and then a guy like Bo Nix? Because Bo has been mocked to the Rams. He's been mocked to the Raiders, to the Broncos. How much of a gap is there to Bo and I guess Michael Penix and JJ?
I think it's a sizable gap. I mean, you look at the top ones. I think Bo Nix does not really stand out to me. I'm just not crazy about it. Penix. I do like Penix a lot, but the injuries. I mean, he's had 4 season-ending injuries. I mean, that's a huge red flag right there. I mean, can the guy play? Yeah, he can. But can he finish games? Look at his game logs. 13 games one time, but that would scare me. Bo Nix just hadn't shown the consistency. Yeah, he was great this year at Oregon, but it's a great system where you put up big numbers in that system. But the top 3, I think, separate themselves, and then there's a gap.
Last one on the draft, local products. People are asking on the text line. The kid out of Mizzou, defensive lineman, defensive end. We walked by him when we were in Vegas on Radio Row. And he looks the part. He looks the part. Where's he projected to go? Is he actually in play in the second round for the Chiefs or something?
I think first round.
First round, okay.
I kind of have seen more towards the end of the first round. I've even seen him going in the early 20s at some parts. Ooh. But he's definitely put himself in the first round. Again, a Senior Bowl, guy that rose out of the ashes in that game.
Who do you hate, Bink? That's what really. It's nice to talk about the players we hate. Tell me 5 players that if the Chiefs drafted him at key positions, you'd be like, I hate Will Levis.
You hated Will Levis last year?
But let's talk about position the Chiefs don't like. Which wide receivers do you hate? That you're like, I hope the Chiefs don't take him at 32.
Troy Franklin.
Okay,
that would be one that stood out at Oregon. He had a good deal, but the drops concerned me.
You just hate Oregon players. No Bo Nix, no Troy Franklin.
Here's the thing about Keon Coleman. I'm mixed on him. I mean, I really like watching him play when he played. But the 4.61 40. So should I be concerned about that or not? Because Puka Nacua ran a 4.57 last year. Okay, but in the other drills, Puka was great. Like the gauntlet, he was the fastest wide receiver. Keon Coleman was the fastest wide receiver in the gauntlet. None of that, he was the only receiver over 20 miles an hour.
I don't get bothered by the slow 40 time. He plays fast.
Well, they wear these chips. They get these chips on them, so they look at it's almost more important than the 40 now. Like, can this guy play football or not? Can football speed be different than the 40? Puka proved that. Like, it didn't matter. The combine, the 40 time was
But it still hurt him in the draft. He was a 5th-round pick.
No, it did. And not only that, with Puka, not only was the 5th-round pick, he was the Rams' 4th 5th-round pick. They had 4 5th-round picks, and he was the last of the Rams' 5th-round picks.
Barely liked the guy. You always look smart when you get it right, don't you? Like, we've all seen that clip now. There's a clip of him, Les Snead. Maybe you haven't. Sean McVay and Les Snead sitting in this room. He's like, all right. He's like, well, I want a guy to do this. Like, McVay's explaining what kind of wide receiver he needs. He's like, can he do those things? And you hear him like, look, dude, he plays faster than this. Like, he's got really good hands. I'm telling you, he's like, all right, yeah, sure. Like, he doesn't seem blown away in the clip.
Ladd McConkey's been comped to Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Both of them.
Not a bad comp.
Ladd also does run a 4. He ran a 4.3, 4.40.
They all do.
Compared to Cooper Kupp, who ran a 4.6, and Puka ran the 4.5.
Give me Brian Thomas before he ends up.
That's the guy for Bink. Bink's going to keep hanging out with us here for the next half hour as well. I want to talk more about free agency and, of course, the two names we've all been talking about, Snead and Jones, and what do their futures hold. That's next right here on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold.
There is a back-to-back Super Bowl champion, and it is the Kansas City Chiefs.
On your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Football plus bowling plus bar equals Foaling Warehouse, Kansas City. Come take your best shot at Casey's newest, funkiest sports entertainment venue off 435 and State Line. Foaling Warehouse is a mashup of football and bowling, drinks and fun. Guys, girls, anyone can play. Come learn about foaling, the bonkhorn, and the rules that keep you on your toes and play the game that's sweeping across America. Foaling Warehouse is the place to host private and corporate events. Foaling Warehouse, you have to see it for yourself on 435 and State Line.
Do you want to skip your car payment this month? How about for 6 months? I'm Jeff Davis, owner of Volkswagen Lease Summit. We're offering payment relief.
Buy a new car at Volkswagen Lease Summit and get no payments for up to 6 months. That's right, no payments for up to 6 months. Or we have low leases starting at $239 a month and rates as low as 0% for 60 months.
Get payment relief today at Volkswagen Lease Summit. Visit VWLeaseSummit.com.
Financing through VCI on approved credit. Call 816-841-7383 for details.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
The needs of modern businesses are always changing, but corporate cards haven't evolved in decades. Until now. Meet Ramp, the all-in-one finance platform that combines corporate cards with spend management software. Ramp is the only card designed to actually help your business spend less, not more. With Ramp, you can set custom controls to stop out-of-policy spend before it even happens. And Ramp software even does expense reports for you. No more manual entries, no more chasing receipts. And with best-in-class accounting integrations, you'll close your books in days, not weeks. Ramp gives you better insights and a real-time view of all company spend, so you can stay focused on the big picture and build a healthier business. Join over 15,000 businesses who have switched to Ramp and start saving an average of 5%. Modern finance runs on Ramp. And now get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/sports. That's ramp.com/sports.
I didn't ask to be thrown in the streets with nowhere to go, but I did ask for help, and Covenant House was there for me.
1 in 10 young adults will experience a form of homelessness this year. For these kids who didn't ask to be put in this unthinkable situation, Covenant House is there, providing hot meals, a safe place to sleep, medical care, and love.
They just really genuinely just wanted to help me succeed, and I'm succeeding.
To learn more, go to safeplacetosleep.org today.
Wendy's new breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles let you create your own delicious combo. Choose from a sausage biscuit, egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, and a medium hot coffee. But it's obvious which combo's the best. Sausage biscuit and small seasoned potatoes. Well, maybe it's the fresh cracked egg and cheese biscuit with a medium hot coffee. Or 2 savory sausage biscuits. Whichever you pick, you can't go wrong. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles.
Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Not valid in a combo. Single item at regular price.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Gabby.
Hey, Gabby. It's Jennifer Coolidge. Hi. I'm so glad I reached you at 2 a.m.
Oh, of course. Anyone with a Discover card can call and talk to a real person 24/7. Now, how can I help?
Yeah, I used my Discover card to buy these yellow pleather pajamas, and I'm just not sure I'm pulling them off.
24/7 U.S.-based customer service. It pays to Discover. Limitations apply. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard.
A car is never just a car. Kelley Blue Book knows it's so much more than that. It's your commuting chariot, your road trip refuge, your I just need a reason to get out of the house. Your car is there for everything. And for everything car, there's Kelley Blue Book. Need a new set of wheels? Price it on Kelley Blue Book. Problem under the hood? Fix it with Kelley Blue Book. Can another car do the job better? Trade it or sell it on Kelley Blue Book. We're here mile after mile, moment after moment. Price it, fix it, trade it, sell it. KBB.com it. Visit KelleyBlueBook.com to get the journey started.
Hey everyone, it's Joe Montana. Spreading the word about pneumococcal pneumonia, a potentially serious bacterial lung disease that can be life-threatening. If you're 65 or older like me, you're at increased risk. So, what's the game plan? A strong defense. Pneumococcal pneumonia can strike at any time in any season, so you shouldn't wait to help protect yourself. Talk to your doctor or pharmacist about vaccination today and learn more at knowpneumonia.com. That's KNOW pneumonia.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer. The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
We've got Jay Binkley hanging out with us till the end of the show. We're talking all things draft and off-season. A couple days away from the start of free agency, the legal tampering period, the draft a little bit further on the horizon, but you want to be checking out the Character Concerns podcast. Jay Binkley, Chris Unocero do a great job with that. And again, Saturdays at 10 a.m. If you don't catch the podcast, you don't download it, although you should be subscribing anyway, you can listen to it live at 10 a.m. on Saturdays. Let's get to free agency and decisions in-house, because one thing they got to figure out before free agency opens up, of course, is Chris Jones. And if they let him get the free agency, he's not coming back. I don't know if you agree with that, but based off of the market that he can get. And then today, did you see his tweet?
Yeah, I saw that.
What's your opinion on the? For those listening that don't know what we're talking about, Chris Jones once again sent out a cryptic tweet.
Much like last year.
It said KC ... and it was a photo and a screenshot from his phone, and it was the photo of Andy and him embracing after the Super Bowl, but also at the top, he's clearly on an active phone call that's been going on for an hour.
To be honest, when I first saw it, I was like, okay, this is good news. This is good news. He's showing his love with Andy there. KC, what's going on? And he's staying. But again, it's Chris Jones. You never know, because I've been fooled by this stuff last year, this year. So when I initially saw it, I was like, okay, it's pretty positive. But I don't put any stock into his tweets.
You don't want to read into it.
Yeah, because I don't know which direction they're going. Now, naturally, I would get excited about it, but I've been fooled before.
I still think there's like a $2 or $3 million gap. I don't know that they've reconciled that. Because there was last year. Gold, you pointed out, why would the Chiefs go up? Why would the Chris Jones go down? Nothing has fundamentally changed for either of them. The years you would be paying him for is the same thing they were looking to be paying him for last year. So what do you do? Like, what do you do if you're Chris Jones and there's a $2 million
gap? If you
gap?
switched agents, I would be a lot more.
Sure.
I would be a lot more for it. But here's the thing: if you're another team, so I know the Chiefs have more money in the salary cap now. All teams do. So all teams have an extra couple mil to throw Chris Jones' direction. And Chiefs, you're going to compete with that? Because this is what teams are going to do. Because there's some teams that see themselves on the cusp. And they see a guy like Jones with 3 Super Bowl rings and a leader for your defense. And that's the missing piece to get them over the edge. I think his value with another team is extremely high. That's the thing they're going to be competing against.
And that's the balance. Like, we know he can get more money. Like, I ultimately think he is going to stay in Kansas City. But he's got to make the decision. But it's got to be extremely tempting. You can go to free agency in a few days, and you just know you are going to get more money than what you can get in Kansas City. I just don't know. Nobody can really. I don't think you can make the argument on the other side of that. So, how much does that matter? And is let's call it $2 or $3 million more at least per year somewhere else? Is that worth being on a team that maybe gets to the playoffs if you're lucky? Or do you come back to Kansas City?
You got 3 rings, it's easier.
You're still getting a mega deal. Let's not act like they're giving them pennies here. I mean, we're still talking about we're still talking about life-changing money on a new deal again. He's already gotten life-changing money, but on times 3 now. And you have a chance to run it back or three-peat.
My advice to him, if I was his agent, would be you stay in Kansas City, because the chances are you're going to make up that money in endorsements just by being with this team. Look at last year. So he's on DirecTV. He was on that one with Kelsey. Remember that? And who's to say that, Jake from State Farm's not going to have Chris Jones now in the commercial like he's had Andy Reid and Travis Kelce.
He was dabbing up Travis Scott at an Iowa basketball game the other day.
But your spotlight in Kansas City, because of this team going to 4 Super Bowls, winning 3 of them, the spotlight's on them, man. They are the team that people want to have on primetime television. Primetime TV also brings up your Q rating to where your advertisement dollars even get more. Do I think he could make up the difference playing here as opposed to playing in a different city because he's just with the Chiefs endorsement-wise? Yeah.
He's still a defensive tackle. I mean, that's not the most endorsable player on the planet.
But the thing is, everybody knows who he is now. Like, his Q rating's up. I mean, everybody was talking Chris Jones. Even nationally, they were talking about Chris Jones. They liked having him on the interview. They liked his personality. But Chris Jones, and I get it, he was on the DirecTV commercial. Can he get more? being a defensive lineman? I think yes. I mean, look at what it's done for Kelsey.
Bink's basically
Taylor
pitching. You're basically pitching like NIL, but in the NFL.
Like,
come on, we'll get you your money.
Yeah, stay with us, and we can get you more NIL money.
It's what a lot of these guys have now with their agencies.
I know, but I've never seen an NFL player actually take that deal. Is the problem?
What's that, Kelsey? He's got a regular agent and he's got a CA agent.
Of course.
So you have the off-the-field money and on-the-field money. And
I
there's
hear
this big mix between. It's a different deal now. It's a different ball game between having off-the-field endorsements and on, and you can make more money being a Kansas City Chief than you can with another.
I think that I 100% think there's truth to that. I just don't know if I'm in a negotiation with the football team. Am I buying into, hey, you're going to make $5 more million next year off a commercial, so don't worry about the $5 million you're losing with us. I guess that's what I don't know.
He's
if
like,
that's
I'd
their
like to
thought
make
process.
5 million commercials and get the $5 million from you.
And I don't know the answer to that. We're not in the room, but I 100% with you that there's separate marketing agents compared to contract agents. Totally, yes.
Since we're talking about players that may or may not be on the team, Bing, Gold and I got into it earlier because.
Which, by the way, I think he'll be here.
Because Chris Jones?
Yes.
Okay. I said that the Chiefs should cut Justin Reed. Not because I don't think he's a good player, but because $14 million is officially too much for a safety because there are 40 safeties available on the market. 40 good safeties available on the market. I poured out Jordan Whitehead or multiple others who are projected to make half that amount as Justin Reed. This has nothing to do with his play, in my opinion. Gold and I went back and forth on the price. Would you entertain it?
The Chiefs love safeties, but the safety position is kind of I know there's more and more stuff on the safety position becoming that dying breed. For one thing, quarterbacks aren't throwing deep as much anymore. And that's the one thing, the deep ball just wasn't there. So these safeties that can cover, deep zones in the field. They're not doing that. That's why these safeties are becoming, not going the way of the fullback, not going, that far direction. But the value of that position has certainly come way, way back as far as what it was just even a couple of years, like the Honey Badger. Because even the Honey Badger was one of these, okay, you better be good in the nickel, you better be able to do other things besides being the safety. And that's kind of why people are drafting. We want a guy that can still play in this level. Shamari Connor, we want a guy that can still line up on somebody and with somebody that can play safety as well. That's the direction teams are going. So the true safety is becoming obsolete.
Cody and I are on the same page with where the free agent market and value is. The question, so he's got a year left. He's got $14 million on the books for this upcoming season. He's 27. Would you be willing to cut him
and risk what you can get in the open market?
That was the debate we had. I said I wouldn't be able to. Would you? Do you think that's smart? I guess.
He had his best year this year, in my opinion. I mean, he was by far and away
of his career, probably.
Just the way he was hitting, the way he was doing things, and just, the Chiefs do value that position. This is something Spags does value, but that market is so tempting. It's like a Mike Edwards market. Mike Edwards coming in here and starts for this team down the stretch. There's other guys out there. I mean, you can't keep everybody. You can't pay everybody. And you look at $14 million, that's tough, especially when you look at the supply and demand, that there's so many safeties out there hungry and probably want to play with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I just think at some point it catches up to you if we're going to keep saying at all these different positions, well, I'll just take 80% of the player to save money. Like, you can't do that at every. Like, you can't be doing that at every position. Maybe safety's the position. Maybe
safety's the one I would do it at.
Maybe that's the position. I just think you got to be careful with that. Like, just because you got by with, this goes back to when we've talked wide receiver or left tackle. Like, I understand they just came off a championship. I don't want to just keep testing the theory. Like, how slim can they keep making the roster and cost cutting until they can still win? That's not what I'm trying to accomplish here.
But that's also not how I think that they'll operate as part of it, Gold. You and I both know that every single year that they're doing this, they're still right up against the cap. So they're not making themselves thinner everywhere. They're just choosing to spread out that money differently. Just because if they walked on Justin Reed and then they use this money elsewhere, I think that they would still have like $3 million worth of cap space. They wouldn't be making their roster thinner as in giving themselves no chance in order to have a better roster. They're just making the roster different.
If they restructure
and I'd rather
Tooney,
spend that money somewhere else.
If they restructure Tooney and Mahomes, that's
we've talked. They can free up a ton of money by just for converting. And yeah, someone on the text line was asking, like, they're not actually speculating. Yeah.
That's where you miss him.
The only reason why we brought up Justin Reed is because a fan tweeted him yesterday and said, hey, when's the extension coming?
Yes, this is what I'm talking
and
about.
he responded back and said, basically, I'm paraphrasing, like basically, would love to have that conversation. I'm paraphrasing, but something like that. And we weren't already going to talk about it. And then today you see all these safeties, and that's what prompted the discussion that we had. So yeah, there's no report. Someone was asking, there's no report that they're cutting, and that was just a hypothetical conversation.
Just by the way, if you look at it, he'd be the 5th highest paid safety in the NFL this upcoming year.
Yeah, for one more year, I
Derwin
think
James,
he's coming
Mika
off the
Fitzpatrick,
season.
Harrison Smith, Kyle Duggar, who just got franchise tagged. That's why his number will be that high.
And Brian Cook's coming off injury. They really like Shamari Connor and what he brings. And I thought Shamari Connor, when he was drafted, they were thinking L'Jarius Sneed replacement. You know, the Chiefs sometimes will draft that guy.
Do you think that's still a possibility?
I think so. I think Shamari Connor has proven to be that guy that can get to the quarterback and do all the special teams, can be in the slot, can do everything that you want from a defensive back, and play the safety position as well. Shamari Connor was drafted for a reason. They traded up to get him.
What about thinking of Snead? So let's talk about him. We know he's tagged $19.8 million. 7 teams, according to USA Today, have interest in trading for him. We went through the 7 teams and what makes the most sense for them, but also for the Chiefs, the Vikings, Colts, Titans, Patriots, Lions, Falcons, Jags. A, do you think he actually gets traded? And B, which one of those teams make the most sense? We were looking at who has the right pick range, basically. Like the Patriots at 34 would love their 34th pick. I doubt they're giving up pick 34 for Snead.
Yeah, and they do like trading with the Chiefs because they did it twice last year. But Belichick was there, so it's a different situation. I'm with you on the Colts, though. I don't think they do that.
The Pittman trade. I would love Michael Pittman, but I just don't know why.
I mean, please. Yeah.
It'd be great, but again, Anthony Richardson kind of needs him. Eagles actually make the most sense. I know you guys talking about his love of Eagles. That actually makes more sense than anything. But
by the way, his tweet is not about the Eagles, the team. It is definitely about the bird. But yes, the Eagles is the team you like.
And I think
I hope that would actually be a perfect fit now that we know about the tweets too, you know?
Yes, that would actually be the best fit, I think. We'll see what that happens.
What's the lowest you take?
Yeah, I was going to say, what's the range on the draft compensation?
I wouldn't take anything lower than probably 36, 37.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, then that really narrow. I mean, that
really does narrow it to the Patriots.
Unless you went to 40, maybe.
I mean, I would love in the 30s. I think
I'd take in the 50s. Am I crazy?
No,
I'd entertain high 3rd round if it came with the right other picks to go with it.
You could maybe go 40 to 45.
Look, what was you know more than I do on this, the thought was if they would have just let L'Jarius walk, they would get a comp pick in 2025, likely a 3rd rounder. Yeah. So that's where I struggle with being accepting of trading him and getting a true 3rd rounder now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if I'm trading him, I'd rather just have, like, I need a 2nd-round pick if I'm trading him now.
Yeah, pick is what you're saying.
Well, I would love 34. I probably would take kind of where Cody's at to a certain extent. If it's a 2nd-round pick and if it's a late second, then yeah, I want to throw in a 5th-round pick or something like that. But if it's a 2nd-round pick, I would do the deal.
100%. I'd do it. Get Beach another 2nd-round pick. A guy does a ton of damage in that round. Early on, I mean, it's the hot zone. Remember Nick Bolton's 2nd-round pick.
We'll get the hot zone.
We're not talking like that.
Someone will ask about the hot zone.
You know the hot zone's coming, though.
A couple days before the draft in Detroit. No, that'll come up.
It's going to be the 2nd, 3rd round, the hot zone.
Why is he always talking about?
I think it's pick 36 to pick 64. It's the hot zone.
That's the sweet.
You know what, though? He was 100% right
when
he
did
that.
I know.
Yeah, he's had. I mean, this is
look, he's been very good over the last 3 years.
I also, like, in a weird way, it's like sometimes I feel like wanting to be like, this level of draft success can't continue. This is too hot.
He went.
Nobody rides this hot forever.
No. He went
in the history of the NFL. No one runs the last 3 years for like a 15 or 10-year stretch.
Let me put it this way: he went going into last year.
On a heater.
20 of the previous 21 draft picks were still on this roster, except for Bo Peep. That was the only one. 21 of the last 22 were on the roster in some respects. Practice squad were 21 or 20, which is incredible because that was the COVID year too, where all these teams totally whiffed on a ton of these guys.
Yeah.
They didn't. And then when you throw darts at wide receivers, he got the one that finished number 2 receptions and yards out of all the rookie wide receivers, and only Puka was ahead of him in receptions.
He also
and
whipped
yards.
in the previous first 2 picks.
Laporta had more
He's
catches.
1 for 3. It's fine.
But he was a tight end, so that didn't count. But as far as wide receivers, he was number 2.
That's why I feel like it's important to be like, hey, getting these first-round picks where we like developmental or not, or 2nd-round picks, like they're still incredibly important to have a certain level of success because Brett Veach had to keep taking wide receivers because Sky Moore and McCole Hardman weren't what they needed to be. He had to take Rashee Rice because those guys hadn't developed into the wide receivers. Great, I'm glad he got it right. And he got it right in a year where there were other choices who were better, and somehow the best two, or not best two, but at least the most productive rookie wide receivers were a 5th and a 2nd round pick, and there were other guys floating around. Kudos. I just don't know that you can always hit at this rate. I just need him to hit one more year. They're in the middle of a back-to-back. Just hit another homer again this time. Because last year's draft wasn't as good as the previous two.
No, how many
he hit
reporters
big in Rashee Rice, and they don't win the Super Bowl unless you get that pick right.
How many reporters are going to be sneaking around Camp Pat? Which receiver? I love the fact the Chiefs had Patrick work out some of these receivers. I think
everybody thought they were taking Zay Flowers.
I think his decision goes.
But he also worked out with Rashee Rice.
Well, they were hiding him. They were hiding Rashee Rice. How many guys are picking out? Oh, who's there working out with the Chiefs?
Zay Flowers is pretty good. I wouldn't have hated him here.
Xavier Worthy had a great conversation with Andy Reid at the Combine. I don't know if you saw that.
I'm sure he did.
And Xavier Worthy had told Andy Reid that he saw him in Madden. He looked just like he did in Madden. He goes, "You look just like he did in Madden," and they had a chuckle over that. So Xavier Worthy and Andy Reid already.
So that means they're not drafting Xavier Worthy. That's what I'm picking up on.
They're talking a little bit too much about Xavier.
No,
Worthy.
You need to person at the airport in Texas, to figure out who's coming in to work out with Camp
actually.
Pat.
Let's see. Yeah, let's send you down to Texas and just camp out at Camp Pat with binoculars, like a half mile away down the road, and we'll just put you up somewhere, and you can just report on who's actually at Camp Pat.
Just Andy Mitchell.
Yes, nonstop. That'd be great.
That sounds fine. Wait, we were talking about wide receivers and which ones you like. This is the thing that Gold and I got into with some other people yesterday because we both agree. They were talking about free agent wide receivers. And like a lot of people want Calvin Ridley. And the reason why, from both a draft or a free agent perspective, the reason why we don't is because Andy's not going to sign up for 2 wide receivers who run the same way and do the same routes. What style of wide receiver do you think the Chiefs need? And is it Calvin Ridley, if you disagree with us?
No, I agree with you guys 100%. But it's like Rashee Rice kind of gave them to what they wanted with Sammy Watkins. Remember the comparison that Mahomes gave with him with Sammy Watkins? Because it was that kind of role, like a guy that can go in there, be tough, catch any ball you want. Yards after catch, extremely important. That's what Juju provided this team too. Yards after catch. That's what Rice is. You just put the ball in his hands. You lead him like Patrick Mahomes does, leads these receivers in great directions. He rarely leads them into traffic and gives them that opportunity of yards after catch. That's my favorite style. What Rashee Rice does with the football in his hand becomes that back once he's got it in his hands. My favorite type. But they need that down the field go route. They need that Justin Watson type, just better.
So who out of the free agent, right? who out of the free, not draft, but free agent? Let's talk about that. So Ridley, we just mentioned him. Out of who is going to be left in free agency when it begins, since Evans and Pittman aren't going anywhere, who do you actually like? Who makes the most sense? Some names we've brought up. So Mooney's the obvious one for a lot of people. I think Curtis Samuel would actually be a good fit here. I still want them to draft the guy. But I think Curtis Samuel plus, what's that?
You got to do a little work with Curtis Samuel.
Yes.
Because he's,
I understand. Yeah. But where are you at on free agent / trading for a wide receiver?
I like Tyler Boyd a lot too.
Yeah.
I like him a lot because I like the hands and I like what he does. Just having him on the field and the way he helps other receivers around him, what he does, great route runner. But I really, really, really like Tyler Boyd. I would really like to see the Chiefs with Rice, a veteran receiver, like you're talking about, in drafting.
Sure.
Probably at least 2 wide receivers in this year's draft.
Yeah, I think the most logical, like if you said, hey, lay the best plans, it is 1 good veteran wide receiver, like you just mentioned. And like the tiers can be a little bit different. Rashee Rice, 1 highly drafted wide receiver, 1st, 2nd at the latest. And then I can live my life if wide receiver 4 is Sky Moore and wide receiver 5 is Justin Watson. I'm not going to, that's an improved unit. And you can still spin those other draft picks on, hey, we took one in the 4th or the 5th round, Bink at wide receiver. And if they are Puka Nacua and burst onto the scene immediately, great. If they are developed guy,
Cody, you forgot.
Fine.
They got Justin Ross, so they're set, so they're good.
Jody Fortson and Justin Ross.
Who's going to be that? I guess the name's not on the roster yet, but that'll be always the mystery. Who will be that player? Will people still try to push Justin Ross as the solution? It's going to be, you know what it's going to be? It's the guy who was on the team that ended up getting hurt, had a nice preseason. Remigio or whatever.
Oh, Nico Remigio?
Remigio? Is that it? The guy from Fresno State?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, Nico.
That's going to be the guy that people will push again. Yeah.
Well, it was going to be the kid who ended up in the Vikings. Amir Marset.
Panthers, right? Yeah. I knew you were. Bink, have you been following? I know you listen a lot to the show. We appreciate that. We've been working on Chiefsaholics lawyer to just kind of amp up what he's been saying, because obviously he had some great comments on the courthouse steps. Sure. And earlier, people have been texting in suggestions for what they would like to have mixed down with it. We played a little NFL films music under it earlier, so you have heard these.
I think it's great, and I want to see what the next one's going to be, like the triple option.
Good news.
Like he's got options, like the triple option, whether you do a pitch it or do you keep it. He decided to keep it, and he'll go with the sentence. But there's so many good football references in that. Great stuff.
Which have you heard? Have you heard all of them?
Yes.
Do you want to hear a new one?
Yes.
Well, we played Victory in NFL films already.
Are you kidding? He already put a new one since then.
There's
he
the
came back
danger
with
zone.
the new one.
Yeah, there's one new one right here.
From the beginning of this case, folks, the government has been blitzing, and Xavier's pocket was collapsing.
Yeah.
But today, Xavier stepped into the pressure. He took responsibility for his actions. He stood up in court, humble and repentant, and admitted what he had done. Now, if I know anything about Xavier, and if the Chiefs Kingdom knows anything about Chiefsaholic, we know that he doesn't give up. We know that if he stumbled and he fell, he didn't let his knee touch the ground.
He would have been down.
And that's because
in college football and pros, he's fine.
He's capable of doing a great thing. And he knows that there's still hope. We still have a lot of work to do on his case, but Xavier wants everyone to know that he loves the Chiefs Kingdom, he loves Kansas City, and he hopes that you'll rally to his support.
That one moves up. It's not in the top two. I don't think that one's in the top two, but that one's good. That
Nice
one's
little danger zone.
I still think Chariots of Fire and then maybe the NFL films might be 1, 2. That has a chance to be 3 or 4 at an all-time.
It's just like the very beginning of this one is so good.
From the beginning of this case, folks.
Yeah, Chariots of Fire.
The government has been blitzing.
I mean, it's so good.
Yeah, the Chariots of Fire is very, very good. And
the knee touching the ground, too, because technically you can get back up and run. The NFL, college football, you're down. As long as you...
His knee also did hit the ground, I'm assuming, when he was being
So
arrested.
it must have been touched,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, this one was up there for me too.
From the beginning of this case, folks, the government has been blitzing.
Just the beginning
A lot of
part.
people like the Law and Order one as well.
Yeah, those first few seconds is that's when you know if it's going to be great or not. Those first 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
From the beginning of this case, folks.
Oh, the Law and Order was
The
solid.
government has been blitzing.
I just wish at the very end the lawyer would have said, and he wants you to vote yes. That's what they need at the very end. And by the way,
He'd like you to vote yes for a downtown stadium. Could you imagine? He'd like you to renovate Arrowhead. You're like, what? Why are you getting involved in this? The Chiefs would be so mad if Chiefs
I'm sure they also already are thrilled that the attorney keeps bringing up Chiefs Kingdom and the Chiefs.
I think we need some new suggestions. The ones that we haven't. I don't know if we played Titanic and then In the Air Tonight. Those are the only two left.
I think we did Titanic, didn't we?
Well, then In the Air
I don't
Tonight
know, we
is the
got
only
time.
one.
We don't have time to play it all. I was just going to play the beginning for a
But there's
second,
more suggestions. We'll get to more. Someone says
we
the
need more
NFL Blitz theme song they would like. Have you thought about just the national anthem to see if maybe we could replace it?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
From the beginning of this case, folks, the government has been blitzing, and Xavier's pocket was collapsing. But today, Xavier stepped into the pressure. He took responsibility for his actions.
he needs to wear the wolf suit. I've said this before, but I think he needs to wear the wolf suit to court.
I don't think you're allowed to do that, Bank.
Why not?
I gotta be honest.
He just said that's who he was. That's what he wants to be. It's what he wants. He wants to identify as a wolf.
Yeah, I don't think they let you wear that.
What juror?
Depends on the court of law, and it depends on the judge.
What juror is going to throw the book at somebody dressed like a wolf? I'm serious. That might help him.
Sometimes they do have dress codes. Like
I'm sure the
I
judge
walked into a
wouldn't like it,
courthouse
but-
that said, closed-toed shoes.
Say it's who he is.
Seinfeld music. It's a couple people have said that. now.
Would you convict a wolf, Gold?
I think he's pled guilty. There's nothing.
I know that.
Would
Would you give him the max for a wolf?
I don't know all the circumstances of the case. Sentencing, I don't know.
I mean, if he had robbed 10 banks, I probably would.
You know?
So it wouldn't less than anything dressed like
Up to
a wolf.
50 years in prison, Bank.
I know that.
His sentencing, when's that coming up?
I'm not sure how quickly
Yeah, I
that
know how
happens.
he pled, but would you give him the maximum sentence if he's dressed like a wolf?
No.
That would shave
What,
off
if he
about 10
showed
years.
up in the costume? To
Yeah,
his,
shaved up
to
in
his
the
sentencing?
costume. In the costume.
We were asking, do you think he tells inmates that his name's Chiefsaholic?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Do you think that that's the kind of person who doesn't?
Guarantee he tells every guard and you name
Super
it
fans.
to call
Yeah,
him
man.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know how he's going to pay back that $500,000. I'll say that.
You think he's pissed over that Mahomes photo, that portrait?
Do I think he's pissed over the?
He's got other things he's
Yeah, I don't
worried
think
about.
that's as low on the list.
His sentencing, July 10th.
Okay.
July 10th.
Right before the Tyson and Jake Paul fight. I mean, there's content within the month of July for sure.
Get him as the ring
outside of
announcer,
the Chiefs
That's
and
when
Royals.
training camp begins that month.
That's
later
right.
on.
That's very true. Thank you, Bink, for coming in.
Thanks, guys.
Character Concerns Podcast, Odyssey app, 610sports.com, and you can listen to it Saturdays, 10 a.m. right here on 610 Sports Radio. Thanks again, MJ Melendez, for calling in the show a little bit earlier on. Coming up tomorrow, it is a Friday, so we'll have a Club 610 Friday. Aaron Ladd from 41 going to join us in studio. We'll talk a little bit more about the Royal Stadium project as John Sherman will be on with Fesco in the morning tomorrow in the 7 o'clock hour.